After the cold and beautiful female CEO became blind, I walked around in front of her shirtless every day. And sometimes even without anything the woman sat on the sofa calmly and silently. But the tips of her ears were always slightly red, and sometimes she had inexplicable nosebleed. Until later, she pushed me into a corner and said, "Husband, I really like you too much. Just because I became a top second-generation rich man in a book. But in the end I became a stepping stone for the protagonist. In order to change the ending of a dog-licking man with a broken family, I decisively chose the blind villain Ling to join forces for warmth. In the face of my persistent courtship, the female president who only wanted revenge had to agree to be my wife and satisfy my different little habits in order to make me stop bothering her. After receiving the original owner's memory, I was speechless for a while, but fortunately, when I entered the book, I also awakened the universe pure love system. As long as I do pure love things, I can exchange for various items that allow me to protect myself. After sorting out my thoughts, I immediately had an idea. Among the villains in this book, I can only be regarded as a rookie. The real boss is a blind woman at the end of the book. She killed all the people and only the protagonist was left. Then some information about Ling and the Ling family flooded into my mind. The Ling family was very powerful back then, and together with the Gu family I belonged to. They were both top families in Zhangha. It was only because of a mysterious incident 5 years ago that the Ling family was almost wiped out. With this hatred for genocide, Ling became a cold-blooded villain seeking revenge. Thinking of this, the corners of my mouth slightly raised. As long as I hold on to the thigh of the final villain now, I can survive to the end at the very least, and I can also complete the pure love system mission. So I immediately called my mother. "Mom, I remember that Grandpa arranged a marriage between me and the Ling family. I thought I was old enough and wanted to try to get along with them." As soon as the words fell, Su Murong couldn't help but exclaimed in surprise, "Son, what did you say? Don't you want Shen Waner anymore?" My mother was quite shocked by what I said just now. Because the original owner had said before that he would not marry anyone other than Shen Waner, and had a big fight with his parents for this. Now I explained righteously. "Mom, Shen Waner doesn't like me, why should I force her? It's better to get married and start a family as soon as possible. So can you go and talk to the Ling family?" During this, my mother excitedly held the phone, patted her chest and agreed immediately. "Don't worry, son, since it is your grandfather who arranged the marriage, it is natural for us to propose." After the call ended, Su Murong excitedly ran to my dad and said, "Tianming is great. My son finally let go of Shen Waner, and still remembered the old man and Ling Jiading's baby mother." But when Gu Tianming heard this, he was dumbfounded. "It's over, the person that the Ling family married is a blind person." Su Murong was also panicked when he learned of this fact. No way, his son just left Shen Waner, and now here comes a disabled person? Gu Tianming sighed, "Forget it, according to that guy's personality. If he knew the girl was blind, he would definitely not agree to this marriage, and I will give the Ling family some compensation." 3 days later, in the Ling family, a woman with her eyes closed sat at the desk. She looked fresh and elegant although she could not see the colors of this world. Her beauty was not affected. This person was Ling Qiyu, the eldest daughter of the Ling family. In order to let the enemy hidden in the dark relax their vigilance, she did not hesitate to destroy her own eyes and become a disabled person. "It's been 5 years, I didn't expect that 5 years have passed." Just as Ling Qiyu was muttering to himself, a girl with dyed yellow hair ran in. Ling Qiyu knew who was coming. Without thinking, she calmly continued to explore the knowledge in the book and asked without turning her head, "Linger, what's the matter?" Linger is the second daughter of the Ling family, and Ling Qiyu's biological sister. However, when she came to the study and saw Ling Qiyu, her angry expression instantly subsided. "Sister, the Gu family is too much." Ling Qiyu sighed. "What happened to the Gu family? They should have nothing to do with a small family like ours." After she finished speaking, she was filled with murderous intent. Although there was no evidence to prove that the Gu family had participated in the incident, they were also among Ling Qiyu's suspects. Linger didn't notice her sister's abnormality. She said helplessly, "This is related. The Gu family arranged a marriage for their children with grandfather, and now the young master of the Gu family is preparing to come over to discuss this marriage. And the object of the marriage is you, sister." After the words fell, Ling Qiyu fell silent. Things have changed now, and the Ling family is no longer the same Ling family as before. Linger was still yelling, "Sister, I don't want you to get married. Don't marry someone else, you are my only sister." Ling Qiyu felt funny when listening to Linger's words. Now from the surface, how could the Gu family possibly look down on her? "Don't cry, the young master of the Gu family didn't come here just to marry me." Ling Qiyu shook his head, which immediately stunned Linger. "Ah, no? Before she finished speaking, Ling Qiyu stood up and picked up the crutches beside her. She said calmly, "That's right. If I'm not mistaken, the so-called eldest son of the Gu family should be here to reject this marriage. But it's okay this way." Ling Qiyu was calm in her heart. Ever since the family incident, she had lost the desire for love. Ever since she destroyed her own eyes, she understood that she could not be with an ordinary girl. Nor could she enjoy life like an ordinary girl. The only way out in my life is revenge. As long as Linger is safe and sound. On the other hand, Linger felt bad again when she heard Ling Qiyu's words. So, he is here to break off the engagement. Damn, just a piece of trash. Linger's indignant words made Ling Qiyu sigh helplessly. Okay, let's go downstairs and wait. I don't know what kind of scene the other party will use to cancel the engagement. The other side. In front of the Ling family compound. A Rolls-Royce slowly stopped at the door. Inside the car. "Master, we are here." The butler in the driver's seat spoke. Guyan in the back row nodded slightly and looked towards the gate of the Ling family. The corners of his mouth couldn't help but rise, and a hint of anticipation appeared in his eyes. "Well, let me meet my future thighs." Ling family. Reception room on the first floor. Ling Xing'an, the current head of the Ling family, was fidgeting on the sofa at the side, not for any other reason, but because the current atmosphere made it impossible for him to remain calm. After all, he swallowed nervously and looked at the rumored person with some uneasiness. The #1 bootlicker of the eldest lady of the Shen family. The eldest son of the Gu family in Zhanghe City. Who is willing to fall out with the patriarch of the Gu family in order to marry Shen Waner Guyan. The other person was sitting on the sofa with a smile on his face. His eyes constantly staring at the cold and aloof woman sitting in the main seat. TSK, is this the ultimate villain in the future? Guyan looked at Ling Qiyu who was sitting opposite him. Before coming here, he had searched for some basic information about Ling Qiyu on the internet. Such as how she was once the most talented woman in Zhanghe City and how beautiful she was. But when he really saw her, he was shocked. Guyan also understood that those rumors were not exaggerated. Even though the other party was now blind, it was difficult to conceal his aura that was like a flower on the mountain top. The only downside is, next to Ling Qiyu, there was a very annoying little kid with dyed yellow hair, earrings and a shiny little heart on his left cheek. She had fancy manicures on her fingernails, and was wearing a black Lolita miniskirt with a jacket tied around her waist. If the other party's tone of voice is that kind of, "Bah, you're just a piece of trash, why are you looking at my sister with such lustful eyes?" Linger was Ling Qiyu's #1 servant, so she naturally couldn't stand seeing Guyan sitting opposite them with a smile on his face. Especially since she is the big sister in school, everyone would stay away from her when they see her. She has never been afraid of anyone since she was a child. So what if it's the Gu family? Even if the other party is the eldest son of the Gu family, she doesn't think he can be stronger than her sister. Not to mention, he's a male trash. When these words were spoken, Guyan raised his eyebrows. Well, this was consistent with his stereotype of sea kid. Ling Xing'an was shocked by Linger's words. "My little ancestor. If we offend the Gu family at this time, many things in our Ling family will become passive and hindered." Ling Qiyu naturally knew that it was not the time for them to be exposed to public view. So he stretched out his hand and tapped Linger on the forehead, saying, "Linger, don't be rude. Ouch, it hurts." Ling Qiyu naturally didn't put in any effort. But Linger just liked to act pitiful in front of her sister. Ignoring Linger, Ling Qiyu closed his eyes and turned to Guyan. "Young Master Gu came to our Ling family today, and I already know why." As he spoke, Ling Qiyu quickly thought about the purpose of Guyan's visit. The Gu family is one of the top families in Zhanghe City. And their eldest son Guyan is the #1 bootlicker of the Shen family's daughter. This time I came here for a child marriage, but I am definitely here to cancel the engagement. Considering the other party's previous behavior, it is very likely that he wanted to win Shen Waner's favor, so he came to cancel this child marriage that may affect his image in front of Shen Waner. Ling Qiyu felt that his guess was completely correct. Unfortunately, I missed the point. Oh, now that Qiyu knows why I'm here, things will be easier. Guyan's eyes were filled with surprise. He didn't expect that his father was so efficient and that this matter was conveyed so quickly. But why didn't Ling Qiyu have any idea of resisting? He even prepared many excuses. To be honest, she felt a little uncomfortable hearing Guyan calling her name in such a tone. But when I think that the other party is here to cancel the engagement anyway, it doesn't matter. Who allowed? Linger was immediately unhappy when she saw Guyan actually called her sister, Qiyu. She was about to speak, but was suppressed by Ling Qiyu. She said calmly, "Since it's easy to do, then hurry up. It's getting late." Guyan nodded. It was indeed getting late and every minute counted. Thus now he has successfully bound himself with Ling Qiyu and they have become a pure love couple. They have to do pure love things as soon as possible to gain points. Thinking of this, he took a breath and said to a white-haired butler behind him, "Lao Gao, take that out." Yes. This time, Guyan only brought Lao Gao with him. One reason was that he was afraid that if there were too many people with him, Ling Qiyu would have a bad impression of him. Someone who didn't know might think that he came here to break off the engagement. Secondly, it was because the old butler behind him was extremely powerful and capable of protecting his personal safety. On Ling Xing'an's side, he saw that his eldest niece had a calm expression as if she was in control of everything. He also felt relieved. It seemed that things were just as Guyan had thought before he came. The other party really came to cancel the engagement. Look, this marriage contract has to be taken out and destroyed. Ling Qiyu's heart was calm and indifferent back then. She had vowed to devote her life to revenge. Whether Guyan cancels the engagement or not will not have the slightest impact on her state of mind. Thinking about this, Ling Qiyu silently said in her heart, "Grandpa, since it was the other party who cancelled the marriage, then your spirit in heaven will not blame me, your granddaughter." Ling Linger also thought that Guyan came to cancel the engagement. Although this was the result she wanted. But why am I so unhappy? Why can't my good sister be like this? You still don't like her? As she thought about it, the look she gave Guyan became even more unfriendly. This little devil. Guyan's expression remained unchanged. Pretending not to see Ling Linger's expression after all. The purpose of his trip was to see Ling Qiyu. Guyan didn't care whether Ling Linger liked him or not. Master. By this time, Lao Cao had already taken out the two documents. Guyan picked up a document and handed it to Ling Xing'an, who was sitting on the sofa beside him, and chuckled. "Master Lang, take a look at this document." Oh. Ling Xing'an was stunned when he took the slightly thick document. Why was the divorce agreement so thick? Then Guyan placed the special document in front of Ling Qiyu and said gently, "Qiyu, I know you can't see, so I made a Braille version of the document especially for you." Ling Qiyu was stunned. Braille documents? Oh, yes, the other party never cared that he had his eyes closed from the beginning. In other words, the eldest son of the Gu family knew that he was blind, but still took the trouble to make a Braille document to cancel the engagement. What is this operation? Ling Qiyu calmly reached for the documents on the table, but she didn't know whether Guyan did it on purpose. The documents were a certain distance away from Ling Qiyu's fingertips. Seeing this scene, Guyan hurriedly said, "I'll help you." As soon as he finished speaking, Guyan reached out, held Ling Qiyu's hand, and placed the other's hand on the document. The moment his hand entered his palm, Guyan clearly felt a tremor. At the same time, helped the pure love object to touch the material file. Oints 1. A mechanical sound came from his mind, causing Guyan to smile softly. Ling Linger saw this scene and immediately shouted angrily, "Pervert, let go!" Ling Qiyu's tone was also a little cold. "Master Gu, don't you know that men and women should not touch each other?" As soon as he finished speaking, Ling Qiyu broke free from Guyan's hands. "I'm sorry, I'm just trying to help you." Guyan apologized sincerely, as if it was really the case. "Obviously you can push the file over. Forget it, I won't have anything to do with each other anymore anyway." Ling Qiyu let out a light breath, picked up the Braille document and began to read. Time passes by every second. Ling Xing'an looked at the document and was completely shocked. He suddenly raised his head and looked towards Ling Qiyu, opening his mouth to say something. But he quickly suppressed the shock in his heart, and looked at Guyan incredulously. This? Before he finished speaking, Ling Qiyu, who was standing beside him, had already read the meaning of the document. She turned slightly towards Guyan and asked calmly, "What does this mean?" This document was not the marriage cancellation document they had in mind. Instead, it was an agreement to transfer 5 of the shares of Guji Group. You know, the market value of Guji Group is conservatively estimated to be 1 trillion yuan. So you can imagine the value of this 5. This is a huge help to the Ling family now. What do you mean, King Qiyu, don't you understand? This is my small token of sincerity in proposing marriage this time. Because I own 10 of the group's shares, I will give half to you. King Qiyu. After all. Bian looked at Ling Qiyu tenderly. From now on, we will be a family. Boom. Ling Qiyu was stunned on the spot. She stood up directly, her tone no longer as calm and composed as before. She asked incredulously, "Propose marriage, a family? Us, what's going on? What's going on? Why are you still proposing marriage? Aren't you here to cancel the engagement?" This made Ling Qiyu stunned. How could you even think of proposing marriage to a blind woman like her? And even gave her such a big gift. Seeing this, Guyan also stood up and said sincerely, "That's right, marry me, King Qiyu, I will treat you well for the rest of my life." So direct? No, no, this is not a question of whether it will last a lifetime or not. Ling Qiyu resisted in her heart. How could she possibly date and get married now? Not to mention that your Gu family was not yet on her whitelist. Ling Xingyan was also stunned. Huh? You're not going to cancel the engagement? No, brother, aren't you Shen Waner's liquor? Why did you come to my niece? Ling Linger also thought of this. She quickly stood up and yelled at Gu Yan. Bah, you are a lying bastard. You were pursuing Miss Shen before. But why do you say you like my eldest sister now? Hearing this, Ling Qiyu also found a reason to refuse. She said, Mr. Gu, if you are just looking for a replacement for Shen Waner, and I think we are still not suitable. Although it was not a cancellation of the engagement, he also sent such a big gift. But Ling Qiyu still didn't want to marry him. After all, she had already decided that she would never live like a normal girl. Her only hope in this life was. Before he could finish his thought, outside, Gu Yan started his performance. He acted as if he wanted to say something but hesitated. His expression was uncertain, but finally became very firm, as if he had made up his mind. He took a deep breath and looked up at Ling Qiyu. Even though the other party couldn't see him, Gu Yan still pretended to be sincere. No, not a substitute. Actually, I've been in love with you, Miss Lang, since I found out that my grandfather had arranged a marriage between you and me. It's just that you were the most talented woman in Zhanghe City back then. And I was just a playboy with nothing else to offer except being rich and handsome. I like you, but I know I'm not good enough for you. So I wanted to work hard to make myself worthy of you. But before that time came, I heard. When Gu Yan said this, he looked at Ling Qiyu and sighed slightly. He did not finish the follow-up, but continued, it will not be long before I hear the news that you, Ling Qiyu, are blind. At this point, Gu Yan said in a sad tone, I am very sad and guilty. I hate myself for not being with you when you needed me the most. I have never dared to face you. I feel that I am not worthy of being your husband. So I want to numb my heart through others, but the person I think about every night before going to bed is still you. King Qiyu. Gu Yan said this, walked around the square table, walked to Ling Qiyu's side, stretched out his hand to hold Ling Qiyu's hand, and said sincerely, King Qiyu, no matter what you become, I love you. I will treat you well forever. Ling Qiyu wanted to break free from Gu Yan's hand, but found that he was holding it very tightly, and his tone was very sincere, as if what he said was really true. Ling Linger blushed when she heard this. She stood up and cursed. Bah, who would believe such nonsense? Ling Xingyan was stunned when he heard it. He looked at Gu Yan, who was sincere in front of him, and said, No, are you serious about this, kid? Coco. He swallowed and looked at Ling Qiyu, who remained silent. In fact, no one knows one thing, that is, the person behind the Ling family is actually his eldest niece Ling Qiyu. Ling Xingyan was only the nominal head of the family. Therefore, if anyone knows the situation, they would understand how panicked he is now. I'm passed by every second. Ling Qiyu finally spoke, and it was unknown whether he had gone through a great ideological struggle. And he slowly said, I understand. Sister. Ling Linger was stunned. Sister, do you really want to agree? Call. After getting this answer, Gu Yan finally breathed a sigh of relief. That's great. No matter what Ling Qiyu was thinking, at least on the surface, the two of them were a legal and loving couple. That's great, King Qiyu. I swear I will treat you well. Gu Yan held Ling Qiyu's hand tightly and said sincerely, Oh, the first step to avoid death has finally been completed perfectly. Hey? Ling Qiyu remained silent, of course. She didn't really want to become husband and wife with Gu Yan. But she changed her mind and thought that since Gu Yan loved her so deeply that he even gave away all his shares in the group. So, a plan emerged in Ling Qiyu's mind. She could use Gu Yan, or the Gu family group, to help her find the murderer behind the incident that year. Aha, Gu Yan, you may never have thought that I actually have another purpose for you. Ling family. In the study on the second floor. Hold hands with your love interest. Points 1. Continue holding hands with your pure love partner. Points 2. Continuously hold hands with your love interest. Points 3. The system's prompt sound bounced wildly in Gu Yan's mind, and the rapidly increasing points made Gu Yan feel elated. The corners of his mouth couldn't help but rise. Not bad. Not bad. If I hold King Qiyu's hand for 24 hours, my points will increase by thousands or even tens of thousands. Right? If I keep doing this every day, won't I be able to empty the system store one day? Gu Yan said that one must have dreams. What if they come true? Ling Qiyu is here. Although she already had some plans in mind. Before that, I'm going to start reading. Gu Yan, can you please loosen your hands first? Ling Qiyu spoke with a forced smile, although on the surface she agreed to be with Gu Yan. But that was all for the purpose of taking advantage of the other party. Or to take advantage of the Gu family behind the other party. In her opinion, Gu Yan was a pure love idiot and would definitely be easily controlled by her. So, she wanted to avoid this kind of physical contact as much as possible. That's right, after confirming the relationship with Gu Yan, she didn't expect this shameless man to stay and refuse to leave. He had to come up to see what she usually did. Ling Qiyu was very good at controlling people. It would be inappropriate to chase someone away just after agreeing to their proposal, so she agreed to let Gu Yan go into her study with her to show his sincerity. Of course, during this period, Gu Yan often touched her body with his hands. The excuse is I'm afraid you can't see, so I'm helping you to click. Do I need you to tell me whether I can see or not? After hearing this, Gu Yan thought that he hadn't turned enough points yet? So how could he bear to let go? But he was also afraid that Ling Qiyu would get angry and ignore him, which would be even more disastrous. So he quickly let go and said, "Oh." Feeling that the other party had let go of him, Ling Qiyu finally felt a little relaxed. She sat in her original seat, with many Braille books on the desk. This is her own little world. A best place for her to understand the outside world and improve herself. It is also a place where no one can enter without her permission. Her face was grim, her mind racing with plans for the future. First, she took advantage of Gu Yan's love for her, and step by step took over the Gu family group through her own means. King. By the way, he secretly accumulated strength and found the murderer behind the scenes. Qiyu. This damn man. Ling Qiyu's thoughts were completely disrupted. She turned her head towards the direction of the voice, although she couldn't see the other person. But for some reason she seemed to see a face that annoyed her right next to her. Gu Yan was delighted to see Ling Qiyu finally looking at him. Very good, the book I read back then. Why did the overbearing president fall in love with an ordinary girl like me? It turns out it's because I'm very annoying. The love in the workplace starts from now is really true. According to the love teachings in that book, as long as you keep annoyed, you will attract the president's attention. Since it is written in the novel, then it should also apply here. After all, you know that this place can indeed be regarded as a novel world. Qiyu, I want to ask you, Ling, King, Qiyu. Which one do you prefer me to call you? Gu Yan blinked and looked at Ling Qiyu. Although he came to Ling Qiyu for points and to survive, but he had to admit that Ling Qiyu's personality and appearance really touched his heart. He couldn't help but want to have pure love with her. When Ling Qiyu heard this question, he was completely speechless. What kind of names are these? I don't like any of them. You'd better go. Why don't you speak? Gu Yan felt a little strange. He looked at Ling Qiyu's silent expression. The next second, he suddenly realized, oh, it must be Ling Qiyu who doesn't like it. That? Gu Yan thought of a name he had seen in a novel in his previous life. He smiled and said, well, can I call you wife and baby? Ooh. The moment she heard this name, Ling Qiyu's heart trembled. She quickly turned her head away so that Gu Yan would not notice her expression that changed in an instant. Damn it, what a disgusting thing this bastard said. Ling Qiyu blushed. This, how could someone say such a disgusting word? Ling Qiyu had lived for so many years, but this was the first time he heard such corny words. I don't like any of them, just call me Qiyu. Ling Qiyu felt like she was being stared at by a burning gaze. Unable to bear it any longer, she finally spoke. Seeing this, Gu Yan felt relieved when he saw Ling Qiyu's big reaction just now. He thought that the other party was angry, but now it seems that the other party is indeed angry, but not that angry. Well, Qiyu, what do you want to do now? How about we go out for a walk? Gu Yan looked at Ling Qiyu expectantly. To be honest, it would be difficult for him to take action if the other party stayed in the study room all the time. Hearing Gu Yan's words, Ling Qiyu was slightly startled. Go out for a walk. In fact, ever since she destroyed her own eyes, she has never left the Ling family, or in other words, she has spent most of the day in this small study. When I think about it, it seems like I haven't been out for a long time. After all he thought about was revenge. But going out and having fun is such a waste of time. For her, time is the most precious thing. So, no, I'm busy now. I'm going to read, please be quiet. Ling Qiyu said lightly, and then began to read the Braille book in front of Gu Yan. Seeing this scene, Gu Yan was not disappointed. The other person is a blind man now, and he will become a big villain in the future. It is definitely unscientific to expect the other person to truly like and trust you now. However, there is still a long time to go, and he has enough time to improve his favorability. Okay, I'll stay here and watch you, King's Wickshipian. You don't know, but as soon as I see you, my heart is. Before Gu Yan finished his words, Ling Qiyu turned his head viciously. Gu Yan understood immediately and shut his mouth instantly. This damn man. Ling Qiyu had a huge headache. How could this guy be so annoying? Time passes by every second. Guyan also sat next to Ling Qiyu and flipped through books. Of course, there was no book he could understand. After all, they are all Braille versions. He looked at Ling Qiyu, who was quietly groping for the Braille with his fingers. Has the other party been living like this for all these years? Constantly absorb knowledge to become stronger, accumulate strength, and finally become the biggest villain? It's really amazing. Worthy of being my pure love object. Ling Qiyu realized that she had been looking for a long time but had not heard Guyan's annoying voice. And she couldn't help but feel confused for a moment. Is this person gone? Thinking of this, she whispered. Guyan? As for Guyan, he was about to reply, but his eyes rolled and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. As if he had thought of something interesting, he held his breath, stood up slowly and backed away without saying a word. When Ling Qiyu didn't get a reply, she thought Guyan had left. She couldn't help but have a strange feeling in her heart. Why did this guy just leave without saying anything? Ling Qiyu shook his head. Perhaps the noisy room suddenly became silent again. This made Ling Qiyu feel a little uncomfortable for a moment. It was obvious that she had been in this environment before Guyan came. Darkness, pitch black darkness and silence. Ling Qiyu stayed in the study room and the only sound she could hear was her own breathing. What she does every day is to constantly improve and improve again. Only by constantly improving herself can she find the murderer behind the scenes and avenge her family. Of course, even if I stay in the study day and night. She also never loses track of time. After all, her computer-like brain can perfectly calculate every minute and every second of the current time. DSK, why do you suddenly think so much? Ling Qiyu laughed at herself. In the past, she would not have thought so much. However, when Guyan came over today and said that he wanted to marry her, and was buzzing in her ears, she actually felt that there seemed to be something extra in her life. It was as if her daily schedule had been changed from absorb knowledge to wife and baby. Learn knowledge, wife and baby. Bah, why do you think so much? Ling Qiyu's face turned slightly red, and for some reason the name Guyan had mentioned before popped up in her mind. No, I need to calm myself down. Ling Qiyu said that she really couldn't stand such disgusting words, and she didn't know how Guyan could say such things. Thinking about this, she stood up and walked straight in a certain direction. It was a bookshelf filled with her books. Because she had stayed in this place for many years, she already knew where each thing and book was placed. It's just what a coincidence. She was blocked by Guyan in front of the bookshelf she was heading towards. Why is Qiyu coming towards me? And what was she thinking about just now that made her so absorbed in it? Guyan covered his mouth seeing Ling Qiyu gradually approaching. He didn't know what to do. Especially, Ling Qiyu closed her eyes and walked towards him with a cool and elegant look on her face. It's really it, that's really it. This, who can stand this? Guyan swallowed his saliva. No, he couldn't do anything stupid at this time when he was trying to improve his favorability, so he glanced at the door next to him. Since Ling Qiyu thought he had left, he left quietly. Judging from Ling Qiyu's actions, he most likely wants to take the book behind his current position, so I just need to move around to the side. Thinking of this, Guyan moved slightly. As for Ling Qiyu, she walked towards the bookshelf according to a usual route, but she had missed one thing again. That is, because Guyan came. He moved a chair and sat not far away. Ling Qiyu walked without any guard. Next second, boom. Ling Qiyu felt like he was tripped by something and shouted out subconsciously, his body falling forward. Unable to see, her heart was filled with panic. If you fall you might. Maybe I'll lose my pure love object. Guyan, who was about to slip away, was startled. He quickly ran over Qiyu. With a plop, both men fell to the ground. Ling Qiyu fell into Guyan's arms. Ouch. Guyan was just about to shout out in disgrace. Save the love interest from falling, points 10. Hey. Haha. But with the prompt sound in my mind, I suddenly laughed out loud. Ling Qiyu, who had been prepared for the pain, was stunned. I was rescued by someone. This laughter. Guyan? Ling Qiyu asked hesitantly. That's not right. Didn't Guyan leave? He didn't even respond just now. But it be that? Ling Qiyu seemed to have thought of something. Combined with that laughter, she raised her head slightly and looked at Guyan expressionlessly. You deliberately kept silent just to see me fall? This bastard. Ling Qiyu felt a little annoyed when he thought of this. What kind of idiot in love is this? Did this person want to see her make a fool of herself? Okay, this is how I play, right? It's unfair. Qiyu, didn't you tell me not to talk? So I didn't dare to say anything. Of course Gu Yan refused to admit this, and he didn't intentionally want to see the other person fall. It was purely an accident. You know clearly whether you have this idea or not. Ling Qinkui didn't want to listen to Gu Yan's lame explanation. So she struggled to get up from Gu Yan. Let me go. You bastard. Qinkui, I feel so uncomfortable when you do this. Shut up, you just want to make me look bad. Who cares if you feel uncomfortable or not? Shut up. She supported Gu Yan's chest with her hands and tried to stand up. But she didn't notice that her and Gu Yan's body positions became a little strange due to her messing around. Just at this moment, Flick, Ling Linger, who had dyed yellow hair, rushed in anxiously. Sister, I heard a loud voice. You didn't get hurt by that pervert Gu Yan, did you? But as she was talking, she became speechless. She was stunned by the ambiguous scene in front of her. All she saw was her beloved elder sister, the one who was always the intellectual one in front of her. At this moment she was actually supporting Gu Yan's chest with her hands. And her expression was very painful. Is that Linger? Come and help me. Ling Qinkui heard her sister's voice and spoke. Do you still need me to help you, big sister? Sob, how could something like this happen after you've only been seeing this kind of man for a while? Ling Linger burst into tears on the spot. Gu Yan slowly put a question mark. And Ling Qinkui also slowly put a question mark. In the room, the two sisters Ling Qinkui and Ling Linger were sitting on the bed. Gu Yan sat on the chair opposite them. 3-person interview. So, in order to prevent this kind of thing from happening again, you are not allowed to be alone with my eldest sister again. Misunderstanding resolved. Ling Qinkui remained silent at the side. She seemed to have realized what kind of misunderstanding her and Gu Yan's actions in the dark had caused to outsiders. So at this moment she could only express her shameful heart through silence. Damn it, how could this happen? And in front of my sister. Damn it, I have lost all my dignity. Gu Yan looked at the yellow-haired sister-in-law in front of him, whose eyes were slightly red from crying, and nodded helplessly. Okay, I promise you everything. That being said, since my sister-in-law has to go to school later, can Qinkui and I just hang out whenever we want? After leaving the Ling family, Gu Yan went home in a luxury car. He is a man who knows when to quit, although some mistakes occurred in the process of obtaining points. But he thinks it's good overall. If there were a concrete way to express it, he thought that the favorability between him and Ling Qinkui should have increased by 10. Yes, we are that confident. By the way, let's take a look at today's harvest. Gu Yan happily opened the system mall, only to see the points column marked points. 60. Well, 60 points means that the score of my love with Ling Qinkui has reached the passing level. Maybe this is God's will. Gu Yan smiled with satisfaction, and then checked the items in the system store. Medicine, skills, magic powers, pet, body building, cold weapons, hot weapons, immortal weapons. Gu Yan was envious of the dazzling array of categories in front of him. But it was a pity that his points were not enough to exchange for those magical skills that sounded so awesome. In the original book, this world is considered a low-level martial arts world. While there are such things as innate and acquired masters and grand masters, it is rumored that the master can use ki to protect himself and resist bullet attacks. However, this kind of martial arts information is not known to ordinary people. In the later period, Ling Qinkui even cultivated to the peak of Grand Master. And he is just an ordinary person now that he has the system. He will not put all his hopes on others. Naturally, he also had to use the resources at his disposal to practice. Thinking of this, he found a category called Kung Fu. Clicked on it and saw a strange phenomena. It was seen that almost all the skills were in a state of red exclamation mark. There is only one technique called Universe Pure Love Technique that can check the information status. What the hell is this? The corner of Gu Yan's mouth twitched. What is this Universe Pure Love Technique? Next second. Hello, host, because this system is a pure love system. Practicing other techniques is simply the most hated behavior of the Minotaur in this system. That is simply too shameless. So the host can only practice the exclusive technique of this system. Universe Pure Love Technique. Hey, you are just a system. Why do you care so much? Gu Yan covered his face. He was too powerless to complain about the behavioral logic of this pure love system. But the skills were given by the system, and he had no choice but to follow the rules. In desperation, Gu Yan clicked on the Universe Pure Love skill. There is only one line of introduction on it. Universe Pure Love Gong Fa. Just do pure love things. You can stimulate pure love energy. This energy can cleanse the meridians of the Gong Fa master. Constantly nourish the body, make it stronger and stronger. And learn anything else with half the effort. It seems to make some sense. To put it simply, as long as you do things of pure love, you can become stronger, right? Gu Yan suddenly realized. It's a pity that this martial arts book costs 100 points. It seems that he can only save up more points. Thinking of this, Guyan put away the system and a hint of anticipation appeared in his eyes. Well, let's continue with this momentum, and let the favorability between him and Ling Qyu rise rapidly. Lao Gao, who was driving, saw Guyan smiling in the rearview mirror and felt very relieved. He could feel that the young master seemed to have changed. Because of Shen Waner, the young master's temperament used to be irritable and depressed. Now, after letting go of Shen Waner, the young master's entire mental state has become refreshed. Good news, good news. I'm sure the master and his lady will be happy too. Jingxie Commercial Street. This is the largest commercial place in Zhangye City. There are countless luxury goods among them, and many internet celebrities. Stars and rich second generations come here to check in, take photos and shop. In a restaurant. Water, are you saying that bastard Guyan hasn't contacted you for 3 days? Zbawi, the daughter of the Z family, looked at the silent and stunning woman beside her in disbelief. Shen Waner nodded silently. After receiving this answer, Wu Lily, the daughter of the Wu family who was sitting opposite them, immediately turned cold and angrily cursed, "Scumbag." It's because Water was so focused on her career that she refused to be his girlfriend. As a result, he gave you a cold shoulder. What a petty-minded man. As she spoke, she held Shen Waner's hand and said earnestly, "Water, you're lucky you didn't agree to that scumbag Guyan. Otherwise I don't know what he would do to you." Shen Waner pursed her lips when she heard that. According to her understanding of Guyan, how could he possibly give her a cold look? She asked hesitantly, "How about I send him a message and ask him what's going on?" Shen Waner wondered if it was her previous rejection that made the other party sad. "How about I just comfort him a little bit like I did before?" This kind of situation has happened before, but as long as she took the initiative to make a phone call, she would still come running over to show her courtesy the next day. When Zbawi heard this, she held down Shen Waner's hand as she was about to send a message, and then said earnestly, "Waner, this is your fault. Haven't you figured out the trick that's scumbag Guyan used yet?" Shen Waner was stunned. Trick? She looked at Zbawi and asked in confusion, "Wei, what does this mean?" That's a common trick used by cunning men." Zbawi sneered and waved her hand in annoyance. "I deliberately didn't talk to you and ignored you to make you feel a sense of crisis. This scumbag is playing hard to get with you. The purpose is to make you apologize to him. To coax him. Waner, I advise you not to be fooled by him. This man's words are deceiving, and excellent women like us must be able to distinguish the true from the false." Speaking of this, Wu Lili on the opposite side also nodded repeatedly. She insisted, "Wei is right. Waner, you must not fall for this trick." Wu Lili patted her chest and assured, "We are all experienced people. We understand this kind of thing best." After hearing what her two best friends said, Shen Waner's heart was shaken and she felt a little confused. So that's why no wonder Guyan no longer came to see her before. And he was so happy when she took the initiative to look for him. Love is because of lust. Yes, Waner, when you were fooled before, you never know how people laughed at you behind your back. I'm laughing at you for falling for his tricks so easily. Zbawi sighed and shook her head, as if she really felt sorry for her best friend. The more Shen Waner listened, the more she felt that her best friend was right. When she thought about how Guyan ignored her before, she took the initiative to send a message to Guyan in order to understand the situation. Now it seems. Maybe Guyan was laughing when he saw that she had been fooled. "Damn, I misjudged you, Guyan." Shen Waner frowned slightly, and she suddenly felt that all her kindness to Guyan had been wasted. Before she could finish her thoughts, her two best friends started talking at once. "Water, think about it as women, we have to be stronger in every aspect. It would be terrible if you were inferior to Guyan. Water, you were just too nice to that scumbag. That's why he uses this trick on you again and again. In my opinion, you shouldn't take the initiative to go find him this time. Just wait until he can't stand the loneliness anymore. Then he will come to you to apologize." The more Shen Waner listened, the more it made sense to her. She began to wonder if she had been too easy to talk to in the past. Thinking of this, she decided not to bother Guyan and let him entertain himself. Seeing this, Zbawi and Wu Lili looked at each other, then coughed and said, "Waner, let's order some food. This restaurant is ranked No. 1 in the niche reviews." Shen Waner, feeling that she had been deceived by Guyan, nodded. This store was also chosen by her two good friends. Believing that the taste would be good, she decided to eat it to get rid of the depression in her heart. "Guyan, I misjudged you." That night, Gu family, at the dining table, Gu Qianming and Su Rong returned home early for the first time. Looking at the table full of dishes, there are all kinds of delicacies from land and sea, including abalone and lobster. Guyan asked his parents with a twitch of his mouth, "Dad, Mom, what day is today? Why are there so many dishes?" "Sister Wang, just make a lighter soup. Su Rong shouted towards the kitchen. Yes ma'am. Gu Tianming and Su Rong looked at each other, and both saw in each other's eyes, wife-husband, tell me what you say. Finally, under Su Rong's threatening gaze, Gu Tianming looked at Gu Yan helplessly and said, Zhao Yan, I know you are disappointed, but it doesn't matter. There are so many daughters of wealthy families in Zhangye City. As long as you don't go back to look for Shen Waner, everything else will be fine. Gu Tianming spoke. Su Rong picked up a piece of braised pork for Gu Yan and said, Yes, Yan, just like your father said, there is no place like the end of the world. Why bother to love two flowers? Mom will find you a better one. Like the Bi family, the Tang family, the Zuch family. Your dad will take care of it. Hearing this, Gu Tianming's eyelids twitched. Hey, how come I can hiss? Su Rong put away the fingertips that were pinching Gu Tianming's thigh flesh, and then looked at Gu Yan gently. As long as Yan likes you, your father can help you propose marriage at worst. Your father won't help you. Your mom will help you too. Su Rong was not talking nonsense. The Su family was one of the top families in Beijing. If Su Rong married Gu Tianming, it could be said that Gu Tianming was marrying into a rich family. The more Gu Yan listened, the more outrageous it became. He waved his hands quickly and looked at Gu Tianming and Su Rong in confusion. Dad, Mom, what are you talking about? I have already proposed to King Qiu, and we are already husband and wife. How could I possibly look for another woman? Gu Tianming and Su Rong hadn't reacted yet. Yes. Yan, it is because Ling King Qiu is blind that you feel disappointed and back off. Back off, propose marriage. As they were talking, they were suddenly stunned. Wait a minute? Propose a marriage? A future couple? Su Rong's eyes went dark and he almost fainted. Gu Tianming opened his mouth wide and looked at Gu Yan in disbelief. You didn't break off the engagement with the Ling family? Seeing this scene, Gu Yan finally understood what was going on with these two people. I thought he would cancel the engagement after seeing that Ling King Qiu was blind. After figuring this out, Gu Yan looked at the two of them speechlessly and said unhappily, Yes, King Qiu and I hit it off the moment we met. I fell in love with her at first sight. I can't even take care of her, let alone cancel the engagement. Dad, Mom, please don't match me up with someone else outside. As he spoke, Gu Yan picked up his chopsticks and said as he ate, I will find an auspicious day to announce that I have proposed to Ling King Qiu of the Ling family. Boom. Su Rong felt as if his brain was struck by a bolt of lightning. Oh my god, son, you just left Shen Waner. Here comes another blind man. You are absolutely going to. Wrong. Su Rong's expression changed, and she glared at Gu Tianming beside her. It's all because of you talking about proposing marriage. Gu Tianming understood Su Rong's meaning in an instant, and replied with a shy look, Didn't you ask me to go? Isn't it because you said it's okay that Yan will definitely cancel the engagement? I don't know if this kid has changed his personality. Don't even think about sleeping in the bed tonight. Gu Tianming was defeated and started to eat his rice dejectedly. Su Rong was also annoyed and kept eating in silence. Gu Yan looked at his parents and smiled helplessly. And just at this moment, Gu Yan, are you there? Are you there, Gu Yan? Are you there? A special bell rang at the dining table. Gu Yan was stunned and thought, what the hell is this ringing sound? It seems to be the sound in my pocket. He took out his cell phone and immediately understood. Oh, by the way, Shen Waner had sent a voice message to Gu Yan before. And Gu Yan happily made this voice message into Shen Waner's special care ringtone. Gu Tianming and Su Rong immediately perked up. They turned their gaze to Gu Yan's phone and the caller ID showed, the person I like. Oh. The two looked at each other and held their breath without making any sound. They looked at Gu Yan with some concern. Although Gu Yan said that he no longer liked Shen Waner. But who knows if it's true, although their son hasn't visited Shen Waner for 3 days. Now that Shen Waner has taken the initiative to call them, they are really a little afraid that their son will become the same as before. Don't look at me like that. I really have no interest in Shen Waner anymore. Gu Yan nonchalantly pressed the reject button in front of Gu Tianming and Su Rong, and blacklist and delete one-stop service. Seeing this scene, Gu Tianming and Su Rong were shocked. Son, are you serious? Gu Tianming was shocked. He originally thought that the other party was only enthusiastic for 3 minutes and would soon become Shen Waner's bootlicker again. But he didn't expect it. I can't believe it. Of course. Dad, Mom, I'm really going to change my ways this time. I'm ready to live a good life with King Qiu. I hope you, Mom and Dad, won't look down on King Qiu just because she's blind. She's a good girl. Gu Yan said seriously and sincerely. This tone made Gu Tianming and Su Rong feel that Gu Yan was serious. This look is completely different from the childish expression and tone when he was pursuing Shen Waner. A long time. Gu Tianming laughed out loud. It's up to you. It just means we have an extra pair of chopsticks at home. Su Murong also nodded helplessly. Since Yan, you have proposed marriage, then let's do this. In fact, Su Murong essentially hopes that Guyan can find someone who is of equal status. Even if not equal status, at least someone with a normal body. Guyan understood that Su Murong would not be able to accept it for a while, but he would definitely not give up Ling Qiu. Thinking of this, he looked at Su Murong. Thank you, Mom. Su Murong was stunned. Thank you? My son actually said thank you? She suddenly felt a warm current flowing through her heart. Then Guyan looked at Gu Chunming again and said with a smile. Thank you, Dad. I was ignorant before and caused you a lot of trouble. Gu Chunming paused for breath, looked away, and said with a dry cough. It's good that you changed now. What kind of fairy daughter-in-law is this? How did she make her son so polite? Just for this reason, Gu Chunming recognized this daughter-in-law whom he had never met. Meanwhile, on the other side of the restaurant. Hello ladies. You have been stuck here for an hour. Can I pay the bill please? When the restaurant owner heard the news, he took the bill and asked Shen Waner and the others with a smile on his face. In fact, I feel very disdainful and contemptuous in my heart. These 3 people arrived a few hours ago and ordered a lot of things. They kept taking pictures as the things came. When we called them over to pay the bill, they all said they didn't have enough money. A few fake socialites taking photos. Water, did Gugu Yan hang up on you? CBA Wei and Wu Lily swallowed and asked in an incredulous tone. But maybe he's busy. Shen Water looked at the hung-up phone with a somewhat grim expression. And she looked up at her 2 best friends and asked hesitantly. Wei, Lily, did you really not bring money, Mom? When ordering the meal, Shen Water asked if they were ordering too much. However, both of them said it was okay and they could eat it. But in the end, I didn't eat much, I just spent the whole time taking pictures. When I got the bill, it turned out to be 133,000 yuan. In order to create an atmosphere for the photo, I opened a bottle of red wine worth 100 yuan. They certainly can't afford a meal that costs 130 yuan. That's why the 2 of them instigated Shen Waner to call Guyan. The purpose is to let Guyan pay the bill. Unexpectedly, Guyan dared to hang up the phone. Waner, why don't you give Guyan another call? Yes, Waner, these 130,000 are really too much. Well, Lily and Wei said anxiously. On weekdays, Shen Waner would pay for dinner parties. And when Guyan found out, he would take the initiative to reimburse Shen Waner. In the past, if Guyan knew that he had to pay for Shen Waner, he would be so happy that he would post several messages on his moments. Why didn't the person even answer the phone when Shen Waner called in person today? The 2 women were completely stunned. They had completely forgotten that not long ago, they were still telling Shen Waner to wait for Guyan to admit his mistake first. Shen Water bit her lips. She glanced at the hung-up phone. Naturally, her self-esteem made her unwilling to call again. Shen Water glanced at the restaurant owner whose smile seemed to be gradually fading. They definitely couldn't refuse to pay the money today. In desperation, Shen Water called Guyan again. In her opinion, no matter how busy Guyan was, seeing her calling twice in a row, he should have understood the urgency of the matter. He should have answered the call anyway. As the call was dialed, a scene that stunned Shen Water happened. Just listen. The user you dialed is powered off. Shut down. How could this happen? Guyan actually turned off his phone? Just because I called him? Shen Waner's expression became a little ugly. And a trace of anger surged in her heart. Why didn't the other party answer the phone at such a critical moment? The boss next to her was getting impatient waiting. So Shen Waner had no choice but to open the LV bag that Guyan gave her. The small box was taken out from it. Shen Waner looked at the small box reluctantly. This was the gift Guyan gave her when he asked her to be his girlfriend a few days ago. She had only tried it on a few times and wanted to show it off to her best IE. But unfortunately, Shen Waner opened the box, revealing an exquisite diamond ring inside. Wu Lily and Wei were both stunned, and they all swallowed their saliva. Waner, is this a gift from Guyan to you? For a moment, they were both extremely jealous of Shen Waner. It was obvious that compared to Shen Waner, they were all pretty and had good backgrounds. But why did Guyan only like Shen Waner? Damn it, if Guyan had come to find them, maybe I would have become the wife of the Gu family long ago. Shen Waner heard what the 2 said and nodded silently. Then she looked at the diamond ring again and handed it to the boss, saying reluctantly, Boss, can I use this to pay? The restaurant owner took it and looked at it. And his eyes suddenly lit up. Oh, Tiffany diamond ring? Miss, are you sure you want to use this diamond ring as a form of payment? The boss was very happy. He had a very good vision. You can tell at a glance that this diamond ring is custom made. So you can imagine how expensive it is. It seems that the person pursuing this fake socialite is very powerful, and is willing to give her such a thing. After hearing what the boss said, Even though she was very reluctant, Shen Waner had no other choice now, because all the gold and silver jewelry that Guyan gave her were of this kind. Although she is currently in charge of her family's business, but that was all company funds. She didn't have that much cash on her. So in order to leave, she had to pay with her diamond ring. She nodded. Well, can we go now? Shen Waner picked up her bag, her face looking a little unhappy, because what happened today has already embarrassed her. It's all because of that guy Guyan. If the other party answered her call and came over to pay, she would not have to use her diamond ring to pay. A restaurant owner nodded upon hearing this and said with a smile, of course, everyone is welcome to visit us next time. Come outside. Well, Lily and I started talking at the same time again. Waner Guyan is such a scumbag, he actually hung up the phone. Yes, you must talk to him nicely. If I don't answer your call today, I'll scold you next time. If the two of you were together, you would be abused by him. Shen Waner's expression became uglier as she listened. She clenched her fists and was in a very bad mood. Obviously, Guyan always came whenever she was called before, but the way he behaved today made her feel uncomfortable for a moment. She took a deep breath and said, Wei, you are right. I won't pay attention to him anymore. After hearing this answer, the two looked at each other and saw a teasing look in each other's eyes. Early the next morning, at the Ling family's front door, Ling walked out with a bag on her back, yawning listlessly. I'm so sleepy and tired, why do I have to go to school? After saying this, Ling seemed to have thought of something and her sleepiness disappeared. She looked around as if she was looking for something, and only breathed a sigh of relief when she found that everything was the same as usual. It seems that pervert listened to me carefully. Yeah, crisis averted. Ling giggled, then walked up and sat on the fancy modified electric scooter parked at the intersection. Then he put on his helmet and walked towards the school with full energy. And less than a minute after Ling left, click, the door of a luxury car on the roadside slowly opened. Guyan walked out from it. He looked at Ling who was getting farther and farther away. His eyebrows slightly raised, the corners of his mouth couldn't help but slightly raised. He raised his middle finger at that person, idiot brat. And he walked into the Ling family's gate as if he was returning to his own home. Study. Ling is improving his level every day. She read a variety of books, including finance, biomedicine, management. Before becoming blind, Ling was the most talented woman in Zhanghae City. International tests showed that her IQ was as high as 260. An astonishing number that caused an international sensation. He also has the talent of photographic memory. Can be said that one of the people who will stand at the top of the world in the future is definitely Ling So, after Ling became blind, some people felt regretful, but more people were glad that this son of the world had finally disappeared. In addition, there has been no news about Ling in recent years, so everyone thought that she had become decadent, self-degrading, and prepared to live out her life as a blind person and alone. But this was all an illusion she created deliberately. The enemy is in the dark, and her goal is to put herself in the dark as well, and then use her talents to continuously absorb the knowledge of the world, manipulating everything behind the scenes. And after so many years of accumulation, she already had a strong force in secret. We even investigated part of the truth about what happened back then. For example, the murderers back then were not ordinary people, but a warrior. Ling had too many thoughts in her mind, and both sides of her temples began to ache. I'll let us take a break. Ling exhaled. She leaned slightly towards the back of the chair, raised her head slightly, and put herself in a slightly comfortable state. For so many years, she would get up at 4 o'clock every morning and work hard to improve herself. Not only did she have to do all this, she also needed to review some important matters of the Ling family company. After all, she is the actual person behind the Ling family group, and Ling Xingyan is just the nominal head of the family who was pushed forward by her. At the same time, she also has to secretly cultivate her own power. What Ling didn't realize was, when she looked up, Guyan was standing right behind her. Gulp. Hannes. Is this something I can watch? Guyan swallowed and looked at Ling who was tilting her head back with her hair falling naturally on both sides. The other person's lips were rosy, her breathing was steady, and her appearance was as beautiful as a fairy, which made Guyan stare at her in fascination. Because the study door was not locked, Guyan walked in naturally. Just when he was about to speak to scare Ling the other party suddenly raised his head. Guyan thought he had been discovered. Just as he watched, Guyan discovered Ling face looked a little pale. Probably because he had been tired in recent years and had been in a state of mental tension. Although the original novel does not write about how Ling grew up. However, if Guyan put himself in the other person's shoes, he would understand what kind of environment the other person grew up in. The Ling family was wiped out, and all responsibilities and hopes were placed on the genius Ling Qiyu. She has to look for her enemy, but also prevent her enemy from finding her and wiping her out before she develops successfully. Her card to improve yourself every day. How much pressure must she be under? For some reason, Guyan felt heartbroken. Although she is about the same age as him, she has already shouldered the heavy responsibility of reviving the family and finding her enemies. Ling Qiyu hadn't noticed that Guyan had arrived. Her breath paused, and she quickly stood up from the back of the chair. Ling Qiyu rubbed his temple with his hand. "Tsk. I almost exceeded the rest time, fortunately it's okay." As she said this, she was about to continue reading the Braille. But suddenly I felt a comfortable feeling on both sides of my shoulders. That is, a pair of big hands pressed on her shoulders and performed super high-level massage techniques. Ooh! Ling Qiyu was shocked. Could it be that his enemies came to visit him? Just as I was about to struggle to get up, I heard a familiar voice. "Qiyu, don't get excited, it's me, your good husband Guyan." Guyan explained while holding Ling Qiyu's shoulder. Just now, he spent 10 pure love points to buy god-level massage technique. As for why it is so cheap, the system explained it this way. Buying massage for a pure love partner, the system is so touched by you, I will give you a 0.1 discount. Hey, doesn't your system deduct points? Why are all the system articles I read before so shady? Guyan no longer had the energy to complain about this pure love system, but it was a good thing that he could buy it. Good. But husband Guyan? Bah, it has nothing to do with me, whoever's good husband you are. Let go. Don't disturb me while I'm reading. Ling Qiyu's originally nervous heart couldn't help but relax when he found out it was Guyan. Fortunately, it was this fool. As soon as Ling Qiyu reacted, she understood why there was no sound of the door opening when Guyan came in. It must be because Linger didn't close the door when she left her study this morning. I must talk to her in detail when I get back. My dear Qiyu, I don't like what you said. Besides being your good husband, who else can I belong to? Besides, I didn't disturb you. I saw that your shoulders were too stiff, so I used my Qiyu baby's special massage technique to loosen up your muscles. Guyan kept one thing in mind, that is, he must be thick-skinned enough. Otherwise, how could you marry a beauty like Ling Qiyu? We have to start with small things first, then gradually penetrate Ling Qiyu's heart. That's not right. Guyan was stunned. How come he looked like Ling Qiyu's licking dog? No, what a bootlicker. We licked the biggest boss in the original Lakin. So we are wolf warriors, okay. When Ling Qiyu heard Guyan's addresses and remarks, the hairs on her body stood up. Ling Qiyu baby? Exclusive massage technique? Her heart began to beat in shame and anger. She gritted her teeth and said, "You, don't call me that, you bastard." "Oh, then Qiyu baby. How do you want me to call you?" As Guyan spoke, he kept massaging Ling Qiyu's shoulders and changed the subject. "Qiyu baby, the stiffness of your shoulders is obviously caused by you sitting at the desk reading all the time. It's physically hard to keep moving and read these Braille books. So, you see I pressed this position." Seeing that Guyan wanted to change the subject, Ling Qiyu immediately retorted, "I told you not to call me king." Ling Qiyu was stunned for a moment, and then the blush spread to her face at a speed visible to the naked eye. She immediately covered her mouth with her hands. What's going on? What's going on? Why did I just make that sound? Ling Qiyu's chest rose and fell slightly. Only now did she realize that with Guyan's massage, her body, which had been a little cold due to getting up early, began to gradually warm up, and my shoulders, which had been sore before, gradually felt comfortable again. Ling Qiyu began to doubt herself. She looked slightly behind her as she knew Guyan was standing there. You really know how to massage?" Ling Qiyu's tone was somewhat incredulous. She didn't know what expression was on her face or whether there was anything unusual. But Guyan's technique really made her feel like she was floating in the air. A god-level massage technique is really amazing. Guyan looked at Ling Qiyu, whose face turned slightly red. However, she herself probably didn't know what she looked like at the moment. So, Guyan lowered his head calmly, licked his face and leaned close to Ling Qiyu's ear and whispered, "Yes, Qiyu, now you believe it, right? I learned it specifically for you." Ling Qiyu's heart was disturbed by Guyan's hot breath. She quickly turned her head away and sat up straight, saying in a forced calm tone, "You, don't get so close to me. My relationship with you is not that good." Seeing this, Guyan smiled slightly, and he moved his hand away from Ling Qiyu's shoulder. Noticing that the comfortable feeling suddenly disappeared, Ling Qiyu subconsciously said, "Why did you stop?" But suddenly, Ling Qiyu realized that she had to use Guyan. "You can't act weaker than the other party." So she snorted and sat up again. "Finally, I know the relationship between you and me. Now that you know, go back quickly. At the next second, however, Guyan reached out and pulled Ling Qingyu's body back and leaned her against the back of the chair. Then, she chuckled and said, Qingyu, don't be anxious. After massaging your shoulders, the next step is head massage, which is also a very comfortable way to relax your mind. As he said this, he placed his hand on the other person's temple and began massaging it. Ling Qingyu pretended to struggle. Let go, I don't want your dirty hands to touch me. Guyan also saw what Ling Qingyu meant, so he shook his head and pressed harder. I won't, I'll just press. You. Ling Qingyu paused and surrendered on the spot as if he was unable to break free. At the same time, he sneered in his heart. Guyan. Oh Guyan, I admit that your massage is a bit comfortable. But you miscalculated. I just want to use you to give me a massage and then restore my mental and physical condition. Then I will take your Gu family in a more perfect manner. All this is caused by you. As she thought about it, Ling Qingyu gradually relaxed and began to enjoy Guyan's massage wholeheartedly, with the corners of her mouth slightly raised. Massage your love interest. Points 5. Skin contact with the object of pure love. Points 1. Make the pure love object feel comfortable. Points 10. Allez, so many points. On Guyan's side, the corners of his mouth couldn't help but rise. Evening afternoon. Ling family. The study is filled with soft orange-yellow light. Outside the window, the setting sun gradually sets, casting a warm afterglow. The atmosphere in the room is full of tranquility, with only the faint sound of birds singing and the sound of vehicles passing by in the distance. Ling Qingyu lay quietly on a soft sofa bed, her long hair spread on the pillow, emitting a faint fragrance. As the sun gradually set, the light in the room softened, casting a shadow on her face and outlining her delicate features. The corners of Ling Qingyu's mouth curled up slightly, as if she had had a beautiful dream. So comfortable. So warm. It seems like I haven't felt this way for a long time. I even dreamed about my father and mother. Dream? Suddenly, Ling Qingyu's brows frowned slightly. Wait a minute. No, what time is it now? She sat up suddenly and stood up from the sofa bed in a panic. Ling Qingyu covered his head, feeling annoyed. Damn it. How did I fall asleep? How could I be so lax? What happened before I fell asleep? Ling Qingyu was looking for his walking stick while recalling the scene before he fell asleep. Oh yes, she remembered that Guyan was giving her a massage before. Unexpectedly, she fell asleep comfortably while being massaged. Damn. I actually fell asleep until now because of that man's cheap massage technique? Ling Qingyu gritted her teeth and cursed, her cold face full of unwillingness. Combined with the current ambient temperature, she could tell that it was already afternoon. I actually wasted so much precious time? And just at this moment? Hey, what about that kind of lowly massage technique used by men? Their good husband will be very sad. Qingyu, you can sleep so soundly. Doesn't this just prove that my massage skills are very high? Accompanied by a teasing voice, a crutch fell into Ling Qingyu's palm. Hearing the voice of this bastard, Ling Qingyu's face turned cold. She held onto her crutches tightly and stood up from the sofa bed. And he turned his head towards the direction of Guyan's voice and emphasized with a cold face. Don't be so self-indulgent. I didn't fall asleep because of your massage. It's just because I'm tired from staying up late. You know what, your massage skills are really bad. Even though she knew in her heart that it was Guyan's massage that relaxed her nerves and caused her to fall asleep, she would never admit it. What if I admit it? Seeing that Ling Qingyu was tough on the outside but tough on the inside, Guyan found it very funny. You know, the system is frantically reminding him. Dips such as the pure love object feels comfortable. The pure love object feels happy. The pure love object feels so comfortable that he loses consciousness, etc. Of course, in real life, Guyan would never be that kind of stupid straight man. So he sighed with a disappointed tone of it turns out it wasn't my fault. So that's how it is. I thought the massage technique I learned it specifically for you. Qingyu helped you a lot. Am I exaggerating? When Ling Qingyu heard the disappointment in Guyan's tone, he didn't know why he felt a little reluctant in his heart. After all, he had lied to the police. Plus, he still has to use the Gu family in the future. Yes, it is only because he needs to use the Gu family that he cannot let Guyan feel desperate and leave. So she took a deep breath and said, it's not that it's completely useless. At least it's a little bit useful. After thinking for a while, Ling Qingyu turned to Guyan and emphasized, it's really just a little bit. Please don't misunderstand anything. Guyan took advantage of the situation and reached out to hold Ling Qingyu's hand. He said happily, really, Qingyu baby, then I will give you a massage every day in the future. Okay? Suddenly she felt her delicate hand being grabbed again. Coupled with Gu Yan's sudden change of tone, Ling Qiyu couldn't help but feel very embarrassed and annoyed. You, let me go, who allowed you to keep touching me? Also, change your corny name, it's so disgusting. Ling Qiyu was a little overwhelmed. How could the eldest son of the Gu family, who was known as Shen Waner's big bootlicker, really be so annoying? Yes, King Qiyu, I will call you whatever you want me to call you. We are a family. Gu Yan nodded repeatedly. Bah, who are you family with? Didn't you agree to my proposal? That's a child marriage. Doesn't the meaning of child marriage mean that we have been married since we were still children? You. Ling Qiyu couldn't see Gu Yan if she saw him. She might not be able to help but fight with Gu Yan. This bastard is full of nonsense and never speaks a serious word. If he wasn't trying to take advantage of the Gu family, she wouldn't bother to pay attention to him. How abominable. For the sake of my revenge, I have to endure it for a while. Thinking of this, Ling Qiyu took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. Then he said, okay, whatever you say, so you can go back now. It's already so late. Just finished. There was a sound of ping pong from downstairs. And Ling started to complain. Sister, I'm so mad. The math test results are out, I failed again. Is that teacher targeting me? And big sister, didn't Aunt Yadeka leave to rest? Who cooked for us? Why do I smell the fragrance of food in the kitchen? Her voice was getting closer and closer until it reached the study. Linger walked in. Sister. The sound stopped abruptly. Gu Yan waved at the other party. Welcome back. I'm back. No, Linger answered subconsciously, and when she came to her senses, she quickly shook her head. She pointed a finger at Gu Yan. You, why are you here? Didn't you promise me that I wouldn't be alone with my eldest sister? After hearing this, Gu Yan looked surprised. I'll go back to my own home to see if there's anything strange about my wife. After that, he said righteously, your condition is nonsense. Which law stipulates that I can't be alone with my wife? Ling Qiyu on the side slowly asked a question mark. And she faced Gu Yan expressionlessly. This man is so shameless. Look at my wife. Nonsense. Linger blushed. She looked at Gu Yan, then at Ling Qiyu, whose hand Gu Yan was holding. And she immediately began to stammer. It seems to be the case. She seemed very conflicted, but it's not possible. My elder sister is my family, and you are my sister's husband. So I am your sister-in-law, so we are all family too. Linger became more and more confused the more she thought about it. And so annoyed. She simply gave up thinking about it. Pointed at Gu Yan, showed her beautiful fangs and threatened. Anyway, leave quickly, otherwise, I will let you taste the power of my 10th degree taekwondo. As for Ling Qiyu, she smiled secretly in her heart. She was worthy of being Linger. I'm still on your sister's side. Gu Yan shrugged indifferently, but his expression became a little funny. Do you really want me to leave? It's okay if I leave? But can you cook? I've only done half of this dish. Cook? Ling Qiyu frowned. What are you talking about? What cooking? As she was talking she was stunned. Oh. By the way, Sister Ya suddenly stammered and said last night that she wanted to take a leave for a while. So for now and for a long time to come, there will only be her and Linger at home. Linger was also stunned. Is it you who made the smell of food in the kitchen? She looked at Gu Yan with some curiosity. You, a young master? And also cook? Of course I wouldn't have done that before. But Dante, I have a system. Gu Yan grabbed the hand of Ling Qiyu, who looked disgusted. The latter resisted a little, but gave up when she saw that she couldn't break free. He said with emotion, I learned it especially for King Qiyu. I have thought about this scene a long time ago. I will cook for you at home, and I will give you a back massage after you come back from work. On weekends, we drink tea and admire the flowers in the yard. If we have nothing to do, we can have a barbecue outdoors. Then, Linger couldn't stand it any longer. She forcefully separated Gu Yan's hands from Ling Qiyu's. Then glared at Gu Yan and complained, Hey! Are you a man? Ling Qiyu also found it a little funny. Why is this guy different from other men? In order to improve others' favorability, other men would say they would support you for the rest of your life. But why is it the other way around when it comes to Gu Yan? When Gu Yan heard this, he curled his lips and looked at Linger as if he was an idiot. You are talking nonsense. My King Qiyu is talented, and if I go out and make money with a stupid brain like me, I might lose everything in the Gu family. Of course, my King Qiyu will have to take charge. Linger was speechless after hearing these words. He was clearly praising my sister, but why was I so angry? Also, what about my King Qiyu? You two have just established a relationship for the second day. Okay, don't act like you are so familiar with each other. Okay? Ling Qiyu was also amused by Gu Yan's words. And the corners of her mouth rose slightly however. When she thought about how it would be bad if this bastard Gu Yan saw it. She forced herself to suppress the corners of her mouth. The pure love partner feels happy. Points 1. Hearing the prompt sound in his mind, Gu Yan also smiled in his heart. Very good, very good. If this momentum continues, the favorability between him and Ling Qingqiu will definitely increase rapidly. Thinking of this, he coughed lightly. Okay, it's getting late. I'll continue cooking. Qingqiu, read a book first. I'll call you when I'm ready. As he spoke, he took Ling Qingqiu's hand and gently led her to the desk. Ling Qingqiu was obviously not used to being treated like this. So he frowned slightly and said in a resisting tone, I can walk by myself. Hearing this, Gu Yan certainly would not miss this opportunity to touch the body with a legitimate reason. So he said righteously, no, it's okay if I'm not here. But now that I'm here, I can't let anything happen to you. Qingqiu. If you fall down like yesterday, Qingqiu, it will be a disaster. You, how dare you talk about yesterday? Let me go. Ling Qingqiu was furious, and the embarrassing scene from yesterday came to his mind again. This bastard. While arguing with Ling Qingqiu, Gu Yan also led Ling Qingqiu to the desk, and then reluctantly let go of her hand and said, okay, I let go, then I will go down first. After saying that, he left the study without waiting for Ling Qingqiu's reaction. This bastard. Ling Qingqiu's chest rose and fell. How could there be such an irritating bastard? What an annoying man. The other party is cooking for us downstairs now. He is the eldest son of the Gu family, but he cooks for us personally. Ling Qingqiu had an indescribable feeling in his heart again. Giving her a massage, helping her sit at the desk, and cooking for the two sisters. This. Stop thinking too much. Ling Qingqiu took a deep breath. Let your mood gradually calm down. Gu Yan asked to do all this on her own initiative. She didn't ask the other party to do it. That's right, I can't have that ridiculous feeling of gratitude. Feelings are the biggest stumbling block on the road to revenge. Ling saw her elder sister seem to be thinking about something and looked very painful, and her expression was a little indignant. Damn you, jerk Gu. It's because of you that my sister is suffering so much. I'm so angry, although you and my sister were childhood sweethearts. And although you are nominally my brother-in-law, but it's true. Coco. Sister. Linger was about to say something, but was interrupted by Ling Qingqiu. Linger, go to the kitchen and help Gu Yan, so that he won't think that we in the Ling family are lazy and good at eating. Linger was stunned for a moment, then she opened her mouth slightly. Itchin. So, this is how you help me. Gu Yan looked speechless at Linger, who was stirring eggshells and egg liquid in a bowl with red eyes and lifeless eyes. Linger got angry when she heard this. Slurp. Linger sniffed her nose and glared at Gu Yan fiercely. It's all because of you. Because of you, my sister. My sister has changed. She burst into tears when she said this, and then angrily punched Gu Yan's chest with her fist. You actually asked me to help a man like you. I'll hammer you to death. I'll hammer you to death, Wu. The voice stopped abruptly. Linger stopped crying, and her eyes widened slightly, because it seemed that Gu Yan had stuffed something into her mouth. It was hot and a bit big, so she chewed it subconsciously. In an instant, an unexpected delicious feeling burst out from her taste buds and filled her mouth. Linger's eyes lit up. She looked up at Gu Yan in disbelief and asked as she ate, what is this? It's so delicious. Gu Yan took the chopsticks out of Linger's mouth, rinsed them under cold water, and replied without even turning his head. Spicy rabbit meat. Oh, Linger nodded. And then, rabbit meat? Linger was shocked and looked to the side in disbelief, only to see a cooked and plated spicy rabbit lying there quietly. Her eyes went dark and she almost fainted. Gu Yan, who was washing the dishes, turned his back to Linger and gave a vicious smile. You little brat, now you know how powerful I am. Ein passes slowly. Linger seemed to be feeling sad and guilty for eating the rabbit cooked by Gu Yan. So Gu Yan didn't let her continue to help. Instead, he asked her to go to the living room to watch cartoons. Linger was wearing white socks and sitting on the sofa with her legs crossed, watching the gangster cartoon on EV in a depressed mood. She was holding a huge white rabbit doll and muttering, you bastard, you scumbag, the rabbit is so cute. And you actually eat it. Linger once again refreshed her understanding of Gu Yan. At this moment, a sound came from upstairs. I can walk by myself. Don't hold me up all the time. No, going downstairs is no small matter. If I could, I would like to carry you down. I'm not a child anymore. Gu Yan, don't be so exaggerated. And married women are all children. You. Ling Qingqiu was supported tightly by Gu Yan as she went downstairs. She could even feel his warm breath and the faint fragrance on his body. He is obviously a man. Why does he smell so good? No, they actually said that women before marriage are all children. This is outrageous. I am the actual person behind the Ling family. And they actually treat me like a child. When Ling heard the voice, her face lit up with joy. She quickly put down the doll and trotted out. At just one glance, I saw Guyan walking towards me, hugging his sister tightly. She felt unwell immediately. Seeing this, Guyan pretended to be puzzled and asked, Linger, why do you get unhappy when you see your brother-in-law? Didn't I feed you enough just now? It would have been fine if she hadn't said anything. As soon as she mentioned this, Linger got angry. She glared at Guyan. Bah, what brother-in-law you? How dare you say that? I didn't know you didn't eat that stuff. Linger. Girls wouldn't eat that kind of thing, okay? Ling Qiyu was a little confused. Wait, what are these two people talking about? What do you mean by feeding? What is that thing? Why can't I? With an IQ of 260, understand? Okay, it's over. As he spoke, Guyan helped Ling Qiyu sit down with an expression that said, I'm going to get your sister to sit down and eat right away. And he looked at Linger, who was still standing beside him. Don't be so angry all the time, come and eat. Snort. Linger snorted and sat down, and only then did she realize how rich the food on the table was. For a moment, she was stunned. The table was filled with a variety of delicious food. Colorful and fragrant fried fish fillet, colorful salad, hot pasta, and exquisite snacks made up a mouth-watering dinner. You did all this? Linger looked at Guyan in disbelief. She left halfway and didn't expect that Guyan could cook so many delicious foods by himself. Gulp, the alluring aroma filled her nostrils. For a moment, she couldn't help swallowing. Of course, I told you I learned this specifically for King Qiyu. Guyan sat on one side of the dining table after answering Linger's question. He looked at Ling Qiyu with a smile. The dishes and chopsticks on the table had already been prepared. He picked up a piece of tender roast duck from the plate and gently placed it in Ling Qiyu's bowl. King Qiyu, try this, I guarantee it will be your favorite tonight. Guyan's voice was gentle and affectionate, and his eyes were full of warmth and love. Although Ling Qiyu couldn't see Guyan's expression, she could hear the sincerity in his tone. There were ripples in her heart. You won't know if it tastes good until you try it. Ling Qiyu snorted softly, then held the bowl, picked up the roast chicken, and slowly put it into his mouth. At that moment, the delicious taste of the food blossomed on her tongue, causing her to straighten her back slightly and her breathing quicken slightly. How can it be so delicious? Delicious, I want to eat it again. Ling Qiyu thought in shock. How is it? Is it delicious? Guyan asked. The pure love partner feels happy about the delicious food. Points 1. It's just so, barely edible. Ling Qiyu finally spoke. His tone calm. Guyan saw through it but didn't say anything. He chuckled and said, It's okay, I made enough delicious food today. I'll introduce them to you one by one. There's always one you like to eat. And there are more? Ling Qiyu was stunned. She swallowed subconsciously and said in a less stiff tone. Then try it. Next. Guyan picked up some food for Ling Qiyu while introducing it to her. He even explained the meaning of the dish, which made Ling Qiyu, who normally had no idea about these things, feel very surprised and enlightened. It turns out that this dish can be prepared this way. And it turns out that this dish has this kind of story. It turns out there are so many beautiful things in this world. What is the Aegean Sea? What does the pink sky look like? And what is a talking elk? These things, I have a chance to see them again in the future. No, I can't think about this kind of thing. I can't let this kind of thing mess with my thinking. Linger, don't just eat rabbits, eat some vegetables. Bah, you bastard Guyan, who allowed you to order me around? Oh, I'll take it away then. Remember you said that rabbits are so cute. Don't eat rabbits? Oh wait, I want some vegetables. Although he couldn't see what was happening at the dinner table, just by listening to the sounds, Ling Qiyu actually felt a kind of warmth from family that he couldn't usually feel. Why do I feel this way? Ling Qiyu, drink some chicken soup. Your body has been damaged by all the hard work over the years. You need to replenish it. Guyan considerately served Ling Qiyu a bowl of chicken soup and spoonful to Ling Qiyu's mouth. She came to her senses. I can drink it myself. Ling Qiyu pretended to be dissatisfied but still let Guyan feed her. But that damn body, I couldn't help but move closer. Ling Qiyu felt ashamed in her heart. This was because Guyan had been feeding her, which caused her to react subconsciously. Why are you so nice to me? Ling Qiyu was extremely conflicted and struggling. From the current perspective, Guyan is a good person. According to Ling Xing'an, the 5 of the Gu family shares that Guyan gave have played a big role. It's only been 2 days. Many business groups that got the news approached them one after another and initiated cooperation. Insiders have noticed that the Gu family seems to be in contact with the Ling family again. Everyone thought that the Ling family would make a comeback. But that's exactly why. Ling Qiyu felt conflicted and decided that he wanted revenge. I want to use Guyan and his Gu family. If when Guyan finds out the truth, what will happen to the other party? Will he be sad or collapse? Am I worthy of Guyan being so nice to her? After dinner, Ling Qiyu sat on the sofa. She sat there quietly. At this time, she should have gone back to the study to read. But now, she was quietly listening to the sound of the TV in front of her and the sound of water coming from the kitchen. For some reason, this actually made her, who had always been very nervous, feel a little relieved. Damn it, I knew he was a bad guy. I guessed it in the first episode. Sister, am I smart? Ling Linger watched the content on Evie with great interest. Yeah, smart. Ling Qiyu pursed her lips, as if she was thinking about something, and then said, Linger, help me go to the kitchen. Kitchen? But that jerk ouch. Girls shouldn't use dirty words all the time. Guyan is your brother-in-law in name after all. Ling Qiyu tapped Ling Linger's head and said. This caused the latter to be shocked. Sister. Hey. Take me there first. Ling Qiyu didn't want to explain. And she couldn't explain the strange feeling in her heart. Oh, in the kitchen. Guyan was humming an unknown song while washing the dishes. Ling Qiyu and Ling Linger happened to walk in. The song that shocked the two of them also began. You said you were a little hard to pursue. And you wanted me to back off. You don't need to choose the most expensive gift. Dust the fallen leaves of Champs Ellie's S. Go create a romantic date and don't be afraid to mess it up. Having you means owning the whole world. My dear, I fell in love with you since that day. Sweet and easy. Guyan's voice, humming casually yet with some emotion, echoed in the kitchen. Ling Qiyu's heart also trembled slightly at this moment. For some reason, she seemed to be able to feel Guyan's joy when he sang this song. Why? Ling Qiyu is not a fool. Ling Qiyu can tell from the lyrics. If I own you, I own the whole world. This is obviously referring to myself. However, what she didn't expect was that Guyan actually believed that owning her was equivalent to owning the whole world. Ling Qiyu had never experienced this feeling before, and for a moment her breathing quickened slightly. It sounds so good. Ling Linger was also muttering to herself, although she was just humming. The catchy melody and sweet lyrics made a picture appear in front of her eyes. They are a couple, very sweet and loving. This song currently sounds like a confession of love to someone you like. But who sang this song? She didn't seem to have heard it before. At this moment, Ling Qiyu also moved his feet and slowly walked towards Guyan. The pure love object feels a shock in his heart because of the song sung by the host. Points 1. Dear, don't be willful. Guyan was humming halfway when a system notification sound suddenly came from his mind. He was slightly stunned and was about to turn his head. Only a cold voice was heard, and at the same time a tall figure stood beside him. The other person raised his head slightly, frowning slightly. He asked with a somewhat dissatisfied tone, Who do you say is a little hard to chase? Ling Qiyu didn't know why she asked this question. Maybe she just wanted to start a topic with Guyan. After hearing this, Guyan reacted in just a breath. He smiled gently, then reached out and tittied the hair by Ling Qiyu's ears. Of course it's our Qiyu. She was the most talented woman in Zhanghae City back then. You are like a star in the sky. It was really difficult for me to pursue you at that time. Ling Qiyu felt Guyan's movements, but she did not resist at this moment. Instead, she snorted softly. I never heard that the young master of the Gu family wanted to pursue me back then. On the contrary, I have heard that you have been pursuing the eldest daughter of the Shen family in recent years. You sang this song for Shen Waner, didn't you? When Ling Qiyu said this, the enthusiasm in her heart was slightly dissipated for some reason. After all, this possibility is not ruled out. What if this is what Guyan sang to him just to make him look good? Although it was none of her business who he sang to. But now she and Guyan are at least nominally fiancé and fiancée. She just didn't want her fiancé to still be obsessed with his ex. In that case, she wouldn't feel comfortable taking advantage of the Gu family. Hearing the question asked by Ling Qiyu, Guyan certainly knew how to answer. So he naturally took Ling Qiyu's hand and said affectionately, Qiyu, my love for you is like a river, flowing through the plains and hills. I have never feared danger and have come thousands of miles to you. The song Confession Balloon is an original song I wrote for you all those years ago. Maybe it's fate that we are still together now. That's why I couldn't help but hum this song. Hey, why are you exaggerating like that? Ling Qiyu listened to Guyan's exaggerated words, and for some reason her mood improved. The corners of her mouth curled up slightly. You are so talkative. She quickly pulled her hand out of Guyan's. She turned her head and took a deep breath before facing Guyan again. This time, she asked with some curiosity, You said, the song you just hummed is called Confession Balloon? Or is it your original song? You still have this talent? Hearing this, Guyan nodded and said, "Of course, but this was also the inspiration that came to me at the time. Because my mind was full of you, Kinkyu, and I even fantasized about doing this and that with you. So I created this song." "Bah, what are you doing here and there? Can you speak?" Okay, it's getting late, let's hurry up." Ling Kinkyu spat, then reached out to the sink. "Kinkyu, what are you doing?" Seeing Ling Kinkyu's actions, Guyan immediately grabbed the other's hand. "This is the sink. It's dirty." Hearing this, Ling Kinkyu broke free from Guyan's palm and said speechless lie. "This is my home, of course I know this is the sink. And you? Huh, what are you doing? Do you think that girls who are hard to pursue can't wash dishes?" Ling Kinkyu rolled up his sleeves, turned on the faucet and rinsed the dishes very skillfully. See this scene. Guyan's heart was slightly stunned. He originally came to Ling Kinkyu only because of his inevitable death in the system. Later, because Ling Kinkyu was the type he liked, he chose to be nice to her. Moreover, in his opinion, children like Ling Kinkyu, who once lived in a large family, would most likely not be able to cook or even clean for themselves. But now, Guyan looked at Ling Kinkyu who was helping to wash the dishes. And a warm feeling appeared in his heart. Ling Kinkyu was washing the dishes. And she could more or less guess what Guyan was thinking. However, she couldn't let Guyan think about her like that. Even though she is blind now and has many inconveniences in life. But she also didn't want to appear weak in front of others. Not to mention, it seemed that Guyan had done a lot for them today. You have to share some of the burden yourself. He is obviously a young master. Ling Kinkyu thought with amusement in his heart that Guyan was simply the best man among the rich second generation. Crash. Guyan also turned on the faucet on the other side. Okay, then Kinkyu, you wash that side, and let me take care of the bigger pots and bowls over here. Good. Ling Kinkyu paused when he said this. Then he asked intentionally or unintentionally, "Then you won't sing the confession balloon?" Guyan was stunned for a moment, then smiled and said, "Sing, I'll start over. I don't really want to listen to it. It's up to you whether you sing or not." Okay, I'll start then. Whatever. Then the god-level singing skills that Guyan had just exchanged could be heard again in the kitchen. Because it was sung for Ling Kinkyu, the system was moved and gave a discount. Only, what the two didn't realize was, at the door, there stood a girl with a gradually stiffening expression. Elder sister. Ling Linger looked at Ling Kinkyu and Guyan as if she was petrified. They seemed to have their own light effects. They talked, laughed, sang and washed dishes. This made her feel like she was just a wow, how could this happen? Ling Linger held her head and cried out with tears in her eyes. The sun has set. In front of Ling's house. It's getting late. I'll go back first. Guyan said goodbye softly. Inside the luxury car behind him, Bao Gao felt extremely relieved when he saw how much his young master had changed. The look he gave Ling Kinkyu also became very friendly. Ling Kinkyu nodded calmly after hearing this. If you have to cook so many dishes every time you come, forget it. I know you feel bad for your husband because I'm too tired to cook. I'll do less next time. Guyan chuckled. I didn't say that. I'm just worried about the life of my stove. Ling Kinkyu paused, and turned to Guyan and said, "Go back and doctor slowly." Then before Guyan could react, he walked into the house. Guyan also came back to his senses and shouted happily, "Kinkyu, I'll come again tomorrow morning." He was answered by a calm voice. Whatever. Boom. The gate is closed. But in a place where Guyan couldn't see. Ling Kinkyu couldn't help but curl up the corners of her mouth slightly as she walked. And at this time, thump, an object rushed into Ling Kinkyu's arms. Then there was a wail. "Sister, you have changed." Stopping Ling Linger's words, Ling Kinkyu showed a helpless smile. "What's wrong? Linger, why did your sister change?" Hearing this, Ling Linger was even more sad. "Sister, you have changed. Something is wrong with you since Guyan came. Guyan is the only one in your eyes. It's only been 2 days. I've become an outsider in this family." When Ling Kinkyu heard this, she thought that she had neglected Linger because of Guyan's matter. Alas, I really shouldn't be like this, so I reached out and patted Ling Linger on the back. "Be good, sister hasn't changed. It's only because our Ling family needs the financial resources and power of the Gu family to make a comeback that I am holding back my nausea and talking to Guyan." Ling Kinkyu comforted. "Is that so?" When Ling Linger heard this, she raised her head with a happy expression on her face. "That's great, sister. I really thought you fell in love with Guyan. It's okay that you didn't fall in love with him. That bastard seems to have some talent. He cooks delicious food, sings well, comes from a wealthy family, and is quite handsome, but it's a good thing that you didn't fall in love with him." Otherwise linger, I won't be able to stay in this house. The more Ling Qingqiu listened, the more she felt something was wrong. How could she fall in love with Gu Yan? What a joke. It's impossible for me to experience what it's like to be in love like a normal girl. It is impossible to fall in love with someone. Don't think too much. Linger, how could I fall in love with Gu Yan? And why wouldn't I let you stay at home? Okay, I'll take a bath, watch some TV, and then go to bed. Ling Qingqiu comforted. Ling Linger nodded vigorously. And while leading Ling Qingqiu into the house, she shouted happily. Sister, I feel much more relieved when you say that. Ling Qingqiu smiled, not knowing for what purpose. She suddenly asked nonchalantly, by the way, what do you think Gu Yan looks like? Oh, him. Even though he's just a small fry, it's undeniable that he's a good-looking small fry. I heard that in order to win Shen Waner's favor, small fry Gu goes to the gym every day. So he has a great body. If I could COS him, I'd definitely be the one to make a noise. It's just a pity that his previous dog-licking behavior made many people in the circle feel ashamed of it. It is said that he has rejected hundreds of girls who confessed their love to him for Shen Waner. It is said that he has never had a girlfriend until now. Ling Linger had received assurance from her sister. So she replied with disdain without even thinking. Oh, I see. Ling Qingqiu nodded aside. I don't know what I'm thinking deep down. Sister, you must not fall in love with the trash Gu. Ling Qingqiu was silent for a while after hearing this. Linger, he is now your nominal brother-in-law. You have to show him some respect. And didn't you say you failed math? Come to the study room after you take a shower tonight and I'll give you some tutoring. Ah, sister. Ling Linger was completely confused. What was going on? Looking back on the way home, Lao Gao was driving and saw the smile on Gu Yan's face in the rearview mirror. He couldn't help but feel happy in his heart, and asked cheerfully, Master, it seems that you like the girl from the Ling family very much. Gu Yan smiled softly after hearing this, nodded and did not deny it. Yes, Lao Gao, I have decided to treat her well for the rest of my life. Gu Yan paused as he spoke. He remembered something and asked, by the way, Lao Gao, how strong are you? In the original novel, there are actually many plots about Lao Gao. But most of them are scenes dealing with ordinary people. The only serious part is, the young man's fist whistled like the wind, and he attacked Gu Yan viciously. Young master, Lao Cao's eyes turned bloodshot, and he rushed over with a low sigh. Puff, with the sound of flesh and blood exploding, Lao Cao stood in front of Gu Yan, and his head was blown into a bloody rain. Well, this is the part that's related to warriors. It tells the story in the original plot, where the protagonist chooses to stop a car at night and assassinate Gu Yan, because he heard Shen Waner say that she was too annoyed with Gu Yan. You are still saying something like you are destined to die. Lao Zhao also died while protecting Gu Yan at that time. And Gu Yan naturally died soon after. It's so miserable. Outside world. Lao Bu's they. There was a hint of smile in his eyes. And then he said jokingly, maybe I can block some bullets for the young master. Okay, Lao Gao, since you said so, then you should rely on me. The young master, to protect you from now on. Gu Yan shook his head and smiled. Lao Zhao is a die-hard supporter of the Gu family, and has been guarding the Gu family since Gu Yan's father was still a child. So very loyal. The original book didn't specify the strength. But according to him, it can block bullets. That's at least a master level. The Grand Master can be said to be one of the top-level strongmen in this world. After all, the highest level of characters described by the author in the original work is only the peak of the Grand Master. But unfortunately, I happened to meet the protagonist. When he thought of the protagonist, a hint of solemnity appeared in Gu Yan's eyes. According to the plot, the other party will kill himself. I am not a match for the protagonist yet, so I naturally won't be so stubborn as to go after him. But even if you don't look for him, at least you must know his whereabouts. Moreover, if you have your own system, you can actually set up safeguards in advance for many things. Gu Yan's expression turned slightly cold. In fact, a plan had already emerged in his mind. If it worked, then even if he is the protagonist of the original work, he is not to be feared. First, let's analyze the situation. According to the plot, the protagonist's timeline from cultivation to returning from the mountain was shortly after his failed confession to Shen Waner. Thinking about it, Gu Yan's eyes showed an inexplicable meaning. And he said, Old Gao, investigate the person named Shaolin who has been in Zhonghai City recently. When Lao Gao heard this, although he didn't know who this person was, he would not refuse the young master's request. Okay. Young master, we can find them all by tomorrow night at the latest. After getting the reply, Gu Yan closed his eyes. The story of Shaolin came to mind. Shaolin, the male protagonist in the original novel. In the past, I practiced with a few old men on a mountain called Dragon King Mountain. He is passionate and simple. It was also the idea of those old men to go down the mountain. Before leaving, the old man gave Shaolin a dragon-shaped jade pendant. Others don't know what that thing represents, but Guyan, who has watched the plot, knows. The meaning of the jade pendant is the young master of the Dragon King Palace. The Dragon King Palace is a huge organization in the original novel. But unfortunately, it was destroyed by Ling King Qiyu. When Guyan thought of this, the corners of his mouth couldn't help but rise slightly. As expected, it's King Qiyu from our family. Although no one knows why Ling King Qiyu destroyed the Dragon King Palace and has been targeting the protagonist group. But at least this is good news for Guyan. Because this can explain. The Dragon King Palace is no match for Ling King Qiyu. However, the story of this organization is only in the middle and late stages of the novel. It's still early. Guyan felt that he had enough time to put in place some safeguards in advance. The second day. Early morning. Inside the Gu family compound. Is it possible to test it here? Guyan stopped in front of a big tree. He looked at his fist and then looked at the tree. There was an eagerness in his eyes. This is the intuitive way to test whether my book Universe Bureau of Technique is useful. That's right, after these days of hard work, Guyan now has enough points left to redeem the Universe Bureau of Technique. And with the redemption completed last night, he felt that something seemed to have changed in his body. For example, when he woke up this morning, he found that he was in better spirits. His skin also improved, but he couldn't tell what else was going on. It can't be that the only effect of this exercise is to strengthen the body, right? That would be hilarious. At the thought that, this definitely cannot be just a physical fitness method, Guyan came to the yard. He stretched out his hand and placed his palm on the tree and closed his eyes. According to the system, the operation mode of the cosmic pure love going is automatic operation 24 hours a day. Just do pure loving things and stimulate the energy of pure love. Then Guyan will become stronger and stronger. Moreover, this pure love can be inherited. In other words, all those pure love things he had done before had created a lot of pure love energy for him, thus strengthening his body. So at this moment, destroying such a small tree shouldn't be a problem for him. Wow, the breeze blows by, and the clothes flutter. Guyan felt as if there was a vibrant force surging in his body, enveloping him completely. Here it comes. This is the effect of the pure love technique. Guyan's heart was slightly disturbed. Could it be that something big was coming? The time is now. Guyan opened his eyes and pressed hard against the tree. Ah! Then, that's all. The tree is intact. Guyan slowly put a question mark. He frowned and looked at the tree. What happened? How can a small tree be so strong? Bang! He patted the tree hard in disbelief. As a result, the tree remained the same. What's going on? Didn't I practice the universe pure love technique? Isn't the universe awesome? Isn't pure love awesome? Why is there no reaction when the two are added together? Guyan was shocked, and his expression became somewhat stiff. What's going on? Why does he feel like his strength hasn't changed at all? And just at this moment, the system prompt sound also followed. Hello host, the universe pure love technique, as the name suggests, is a technique that is performed for the sake of pure love. The host's behavior of hitting the tree is not pure love. This question mark does not mean that I have a problem. That you have a problem. What kind of crazy technique is this? My fantasy of flying into the sky and hiding in the ground will be gone. Guyan cursed softly. He had originally thought that since he had the system, it meant he had stepped into the world of cultivation. You can directly exchange it for the kind of cultivation techniques described in novels. As the saying goes, warriors all over the world are learning ancient martial arts. But he is the only one practicing immortality. As a result, the system's words directly shattered his beautiful dream. Oh, never mind. It's good enough to be able to protect King Qiyu. Guyan was not so disappointed. He just changed his mind. That's not right. According to the original novel, Ling King Qiyu's martial arts skills would have allowed him to stand at the top of the world in the future. Why does a strong woman like this need his protection? Instead, he had to figure out how to protect himself before Ling King Qiyu fully grew up. Thinking of this, Guyan sighed. Damn it, what is going on? Am I going to become the weakest time traveler in history? This cosmic pure love technique can be used not only to protect the objective pure love. There won't be any other effects, right? Guyan shook his head. But what he didn't realize was, in other words, it is something that no one in this world can discover. Every corner of his body was covered with a layer of pink halo. It's just that Guyan didn't notice this halo, and he didn't know what effect it had. Inside the house, Gu Chunming and Su Murong looked at Guyan, who was hammering the tree in the yard, as if they had seen a ghost. The two looked at each other in bewilderment. What the hell is this kid? Getting up so early in the morning and hammering a tree with his bare hands? What kind of fitness method could this be? Ling family. Ling Linger was wearing pajamas and brushing her teeth in front of the sink with sleepy eyes. Because her elder sister gave her some cram schoolwork in math last night. She went to bed very late. Good morning, Linger. Did you stay up late last night? You're already a senior in high school on T. Stay up all night reading romance novels. Guyan passed behind Ling Linger carrying a bag of vegetables. Oh, brother-in-law, good morning. Ling Linger responded subconsciously while brushing her teeth. Brush, brush, brush. But suddenly, her eyes froze, all sleepiness disappeared. And she looked over there suddenly, just in time to see Guyan's back. Trash, trash fish. Ling Linger cried out in shock. No, brother, why are you here so early in the morning? Ling Linger didn't even bother to brush her teeth and trotted straight to the kitchen. As soon as I got there, I saw Guyan busying himself with something at the sink. Hey, you bastard Gu, what are you doing? Ling Linger shouted and moved closer. While washing the preserved eggs, Guyan glanced at Ling Linger. The other person was wearing a loose pink bunny pajamas. With messy yellow hair scattered on both sides of her cheeks and her eyebrows slightly wrinkled. It seemed like she really didn't want to see him. This kid was obviously having such a good time eating last night. Guyan pursed his lips, turned his head and continued to process the ingredients. Saying, make breakfast I'll have preserved egg and lean meat porridge this morning. Hey, for a small fry, you can do anything. I want more shredded pork for my portion. When Ling Linger heard this, her eyes sparkled and she nodded happily. She was also hungry. But that's not right. I clearly wanted to drive Guyan away. Got it, kid, hurry up and brush your teeth and wash your face. There's still foam on your mouth, can you be more like a girl? As Guyan spoke, he took out a piece of paper from the side and handed it to Ling Linger. Ling Linger looked at the wet tissue handed to her. Then looked up at Guyan. She was slightly startled. And snatched it away and said in a panic, Who is the little devil? I'm already 18 years old, I'm an adult. Goodbye. Trash Gu, Lululu, I'm going to tell my sister. Ling Linger ran out of the kitchen as she spoke. This brat. Guyan shook his head helplessly. Just suddenly, a scene flashed through his mind. The skinny figure fell in a pool of blood. And the woman with a bandage covering her eyes ran over from a distance in fear. Sister, I will use my heart's blood to help you. Actually, I know this can restore your eyesight. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have provoked him. I'm sorry. Linger. Guyan's eyes narrowed. Then he washed the preserved eggs as if nothing had happened. As he was washing, this scene flashed through his mind again. This is the introduction to Ling Linger's personal story in the original work. There is only this paragraph, but it contains a lot of information. Obviously, Guyan didn't pay much attention to this kind of information when he was reading books in his previous life. But for some reason, just now, after he saw Ling Linger, this scene flashed through his mind. What's going on? Is this a function brought by the system? If he remembered correctly, this part was indeed the ending of Ling Linger. Blood in the heart. Eyes restored provoke. Wait a minute. Guyan took a deep breath. He seemed to know while Ling Qiyu would become the final villain. It seems like everything makes sense again. If that's the case, then he will have to focus his attention on Ling Linger for a long time to come. If for no other reason than to prevent future tragedies. He wanted Ling Qiyu to continue to be the final boss. But he never thought of doing it by sacrificing his relatives. No, I have to prevent this tragedy. There was a hint of determination in Guyan's eyes. Then he looked at the points balance on the panel. There were still 13 points left. 13 points. Guyan thought to himself that no matter how many points he had, he would not be able to practice other miscellaneous skills. But it doesn't say that you can't buy fighting skills or something like that. So just in case. System, in order to prevent my sister-in-law from following her old path, exchange all my points for fighting skills, combat techniques, and combat experience that will improve my combat power. In order to save my sister-in-law and prevent her from breaking down and feeling sad. This is definitely a matter of pure love. This system is very satisfied. 13 points have been deducted, successfully exchanged for God-level fighting skills and God-level fighting experience. Hearing the system's prompt, Guyan breathed a sigh of relief. With Lao Gao following him, and with his own fighting skills, he had a lot of cards up his sleeve and felt confident. It will also be easier to deal with some emergencies in the future. Okay, now let's cook the porridge. Time passes by every second. Upstairs. Study. Ling Qiyu was flipping through a book. Suddenly, she seemed to have heard some noise. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly, but were quickly suppressed. Then he turned his head and looked towards the door of the study, and said calmly, I don't think I invited you here. Hearing this, the corners of Guyan's mouth slightly raised. He didn't know why, but hearing King Qiyu's tone, he was not discouraged at all. Instead, he became more addicted, so he walked forward, squatted down, stretched out his hand to help Ling Qiyu comb his hair. You didn't invite me. But I remembered that I said it before I left last night. You said it's up to you. Besides, if I don't come, who will make breakfast for you two? Come to think of it. Oh, you, how did you know it was me? Ling you noticed Gu Yan's actions. But she did not resist. Instead, she said calmly, casually can also mean rejection. Although Ling you did not feel disgusted by Gu Yan's arrival. She even felt a little happy. However, she would not admit that she was expecting Gu Yan to come over. As for how I know it's yours, it's because blind people's other senses are more sensitive. And combining these data from your weight, footsteps, and breathing rate when you entered my room twice before, any normal person should be able to figure out that this person is you. Gu Yan's eyes lit up when he heard this, and he praised. As expected of our you, I can only say 2 words to you. Ling you originally thought that Gu Yan would feel a little embarrassed or didn't know how to continue the conversation. After all, every time she opened her mouth, the atmosphere would become cold, and she wouldn't know how to continue the conversation. Which 2 words? Fuck. A crude fellow. Ling you turned his head, indicating that he didn't want to pay any attention to this guy Gu Yan. This caused Gu Yan to let out a series of strange cries. However, Ling you smiled in his heart. This guy is different from the others. Thinking about it, Ling you stood up in front of Gu Yan, stretched out his hand towards Gu Yan, and said lightly, "Let's go. Did you make century egg and lean meat porridge?" Gu Yan was a little shocked. You know all this? Well, I can calculate that. Is it fake? Yes, Linger ran up and told me. Gu Yan was shocked twice in a row. No, Ling you would make such a joke. Ling yu's mouth corners slightly raised. Although she didn't know Gu Yan's expression, she knew it must be very funny. Just when I was about to speak, and I heard Gu Yan say, "And my great wife you, do you know what I want to do next?" Ling you was stunned for a moment. His mind began to spin rapidly. What? Before she could finish her words, she felt her feet leave the ground and she could clearly feel her legs and back being lifted up. She was picked up by Gu Yan. Or in the form of a princess hug. Ling you was forced by Gu Yan to lean on his arms, which made Ling yu's heart beat wildly and her body began to struggle. What are you doing? Quick, let me go. What if Linger sees us? Gu Yan naturally would not let go, but hugged her tighter. Chuckling, no, you, it was you who played a trick on me just now. You, how can you be so stingy? When Ling you heard this reason, she immediately became furious and punched Gu Yan in the chest. Let me go, you bastard. No, I want to carry you to the dinner table. You, obviously you were the one who made me fall by moving a chair before. Well, that was an accident. Seeing Ling you lower her head and not wanting to talk anymore, Gu Yan quickly let her go and started to apologize and coax her. You, I'm sorry, I was wrong. However, next second, Ling you raised his head, a hint of victory appeared on the corner of his mouth, and he stretched out his hand and made a 2, now it's 2-1. 2-1. Gu Yan was stunned for a moment, then he suddenly realized. He shook his head with a smile, you haha. Hearing the laughter, Ling you couldn't help but laugh. Now you know the price of bullying me. Hearing this, Gu Yan took Ling yu's hand and said with a smile, I know, I'm afraid of you, let us go. Ling you pretended to struggle, but it only took half a second before he pretended to be unable to break free and nodded. Oh. On the dining table, Linger found the food tasteless. Because, in front of a table, Gu Yan moved a chair and sat next to Ling you. Then he took a spoon and fed Ling you mouthful by mouthful. She kept saying all kinds of sweet words. You, is it delicious? Ling you heard this and said seriously. It's okay. It's delicious, but I just don't want to say it's delicious. Gu Yan nodded. Okay, I'll do it for you next time. Seeing Gu Yan say this, Ling you was unhappy. This means you know I like to eat. She emphasized, so can also mean it's not delicious. But I see you obviously like it. What illusion makes you think I like you? Hearing this, Gu Yan thought about it, then chuckled and said, maybe it's because you always lick your lips after eating. Ling you was stunned. What is this? Hateful. Her ears turned slightly red, and then she stretched out her fist and punched Gu Yan's thigh. You're in trouble. Seeing this, Gu Yan grabbed the hand that was hammering his leg and said, haha, you, I love you so much. You, don't say such cheesy things while eating. Seeing this scene, Linger bit her spoon with gritted teeth. Damn it, a mere jerk. You actually did this, and that with my sister right in front of me. Damn bastard. Linger couldn't accept her current situation. Especially last night. She learned the reason why her sister pretended to be so close to Gu Yan. Turned out to be. All this is for the Ling family. The elder sister endured humiliation and lived in love with Gu Yan. and then found an opportunity to take away the Gu family, make the Ling family return to its peak. My elder sister is so pitiful. She made such a sacrifice for our Ling family. Ling Linger felt like a real nobody. Even though she knew her sister hated Gu Yan, he also knew that the other party was enduring humiliation and compromising in front of Gu Yan just for the sake of the Ling family. However, she was powerless and could only watch her sister being treated this and that way by Gu Yan. When she thought about this, Ling Linger's heart bleeds. If she could bear all this on behalf of her sister, she would be willing to do so. I'm full, I'm going to school. Ling Linger couldn't stand the sad scene before her, so she suppressed her grief and left the table. When Gu Yan heard this, he turned his head and looked at Ling Linger, who was leaving with the bowl and chopsticks. Wait, I'll take you to school later. Ling Linger and Ling Qingqiu were stunned when they heard this. Especially Ling Linger. She was very resistant, and snorted arrogantly. I don't want you to send me off. I want to ride my batty and want to go to school. Batty and one? That little donkey? But Gu Yan saw a fancy-looking ghost fire electric car parked in front of the Ling family's gate. What little donkey? That's called batty and one. Let me tell you. A tyrant Maru can go up to 140 mph. Ling Linger said proudly. Oh, if you modify an electric car without permission, you will be fined and the illegal tools will be confiscated. Gu Yan nodded and continued. I remember there were traffic police enforcing the law at the intersection where you went to school today. If you go over there, you'll probably run into them. If you don't want your tyrant Maru to be towed away and disassembled, then I advise you to just take my car to school. Ling Qingqiu nodded after hearing this. She turned to Ling Linger and asked expressionlessly. Linger, shouldn't I have arranged a driver for you? Why do you sound like you've been riding an illegal electric bike to school recently? When Ling Linger heard her sister's tone, her heart suddenly panicked. It's over, it's over. I accidentally let it slip. In desperation, she had to tell the truth, lowering her head and speaking with a tone of grievance. Sister, I just wanted to save some money for my family, so I fired the driver. Gu Yan, who was listening, leaned over to Ling Qingqiu's ear and reminded him. Use the remaining money from the resignation to modify the B8 Yin Wan. Ling Linger was furious when she heard this. She glared at Gu Yan. You. Before he finished speaking, Ling Qingqiu turned to Ling Linger and said coldly, do you know how dangerous modified cars are? I won't let you drive that car anymore. Then, she turned to Gu Yan and said, from now on, let your brother-in-law read you to and from school. Ling Qingqiu was really pissed off by Ling Linger. This child, why is he so disobedient? I hired a driver for her, but he fired me. Why modify an electric vehicle? How could someone do such a dangerous thing? It seemed that I had failed to discipline Ling Linger in the past, which had caused her to become bad. What if Linger makes friends with some bad people outside? What if Linger learns to dye her hair yellow, pierces her ears, and wears weird clothes? What if Linger learns bad things? Ling Qingqiu felt a little panicked when he thought of this. She subconsciously grabbed Gu Yan's hand. Oh, she could ask Gu Yan to keep an eye on it. Just when he was about to speak, Gu Yan patted Ling Qingqiu's hand. He glanced at Ling Linger, who had dyed yellow hair, pierced ears and wore strange clothes, and then comforted Ling Qingqiu. I will help you look after Linger. When the latter heard what she meant, she felt relieved when she saw that Gu Yan understood what she meant. Then he turned to Ling Linger with a stern face and said, this matter is settled, you are not allowed to refuse. Seeing that her sister was really angry, Ling Linger gave up resisting and lowered her head and said agreed. Lie. Oh, Gu Yan found it very interesting. It turned out that in order to cure this kind of kid, he had to rely on blood suppression. Come outside. Ling Linger, with her yellow hair shaking, followed Gu Yan with a school bag on her back. Looking unhappy, a Rolls-Royce stopped at the door. Lao Zhao stood by the car door and opened it, then said respectfully to Gu Yan and Ling Linger, Master, Miss. Gu Yan nodded. Then he patted Ling Linger, who was lowering her head, and said, let's go, don't be unhappy. I am doing this for your own good. Your brother-in-law modified cars are very dangerous. Do you want to wait until you get into an accident and have your sister cry all day long? When Ling Linger heard this, she also knew that it was wrong to do such a thing without telling her sister. However, she just didn't want to admit that she was wrong in front of Gu Yan. Thinking of this, she snorted softly, I want you to be widowed. After that, she slapped her school bag on Gu Yan and said with a fierce expression, help me hold the trash, Gu. The latter smiled helplessly. The other party didn't know that he had no deterrent power at all. Okay, listen to our Linger. Bah, what your Linger? Ling Linger's expression became confused and she got into the car in a panic. Trash Gu Yan, talking nonsense all day long. When they got in the car, Gu Yan said to Lao Gao, let's go to John High School. Okay, master. The car starts. Gu Yan leaned back, closed his eyes, and began to think about what would happen next. One thing needs to be confirmed first. That is, according to the original novel, Gu Yan, Ling Qiyu, and Ling Linger are all villains. Perhaps it was because of the system. Gu Yan remembered every detail of the original plot very clearly, and he could even see that scene in his mind. And it just so happened that in the original novel, there was such a plot that involved Ling Linger in the protagonist group. And look at it in conjunction with the plot timeline. It seems like we are almost reaching that plot point. It was originally just a small storyline to introduce the character of Shen Waner's younger brother Shen. But unexpectedly, the character the author actually wanted to introduce was the sister of the biggest boss in the original work. This also led to Ling Linger's tragic ending. Gu Yan would never let that happen. The other side. Ling Linger supported her face with her right hand and leaned on the door sill, although her eyes were always looking out the window. But in fact, he was looking at Gu Yan out of the corner of his eye. What a piece of trash. He actually closed his eyes and fell asleep so early in the morning. Oh yes, seeing that he came here early in the morning with vegetables in his hands, he probably got up very early. If it weren't for this car, I would have forgotten that the other party was a top rich man. I really can't understand why a young master from the Gu family would be willing to lower his status and come over to cook for us. Could it be that? Does he really like my sister? Ling Linger pursed her lips. There was a flicker in his eyes. Gu Yan really likes her sister. But according to her sister, the ultimate goal of himself and others is to take away the Gu family. But at that time, when Gu Yan learned the truth, how would he feel? Ling Linger couldn't imagine how devastated Gu Yan would be when he found out the truth. No. Ling Linger took a deep breath, her eyes wandering. Anyway, it's because he insisted on liking my sister. That's right. He deserved it for the Gu family to be taken away afterwards. Ling Linger secretly hypnotized herself in her heart. But the next second. By the way, Linger, do you like motorcycles? If you get admitted to the university this time, how about I, your brother-in-law, give you one? All I ask is that you get into college, get a driver's license, and buy a motorcycle. I, your brother-in-law, will provide you with a one-stop service. After Gu Yan finished thinking, the most urgent thing was to improve his sister-in-law's favorability. Otherwise, she might not tell him about any activities outside in the future. That would be bad. When Ling Linger heard Gu Yan's words, she was stunned. How did he know I like motorcycles? Why, you don't want this reward? Or do you think you can't get into college? Seeing Ling Linger stunned, Gu Yan couldn't help but ask jokingly. Ling Linger finally came to her senses. She turned her head in panic and said, Who failed the exam? I'm just afraid that you won't keep your promise to me when the time comes. Gu Yan waved his hand. Brother-in-law, am I someone who needs that little bit of help? Even if you don't like the ones on the market and want a motorcycle of your own design, I, your brother-in-law, can deliver it to you within a day. Listen to these words. Ling Linger's mind was in great entanglement. Ooh, sister, can we find another way to get the Gu family? This makes my conscience uneasy. Ling Linger thought with tears in her eyes. Time passes slowly. In less than a moment. Donghai High School. The appearance of a Rolls-Royce attracted countless eyeballs. Wow, which rich kid has transferred here? Oh my god. There are still such rich people in our old and shabby place. What's going on? Is he a transfer student? Countless students stopped to watch and started talking about it. Immediately following. Click. Gu Yan walked out of the car. His elegant, easygoing temperament and handsome appearance instantly caused a lot of people to be shocked and cheer. Wow, so handsome, he's actually a handsome rich second-generation guy. Yes, how could such a male celebrity come to our school? What's going on? Are you going to make a movie? I don't know. Seeing that handsome boy holding a school bag, could he really be from our school? Under everyone's surprised gaze, Gu Yan walked to the side door again. Then he opened it, lowered his head and said something in less than a moment. Ling Linger got out of the car and took the school bag from Gu Yan's hand with a proud look on her face. Then she gave him a vicious look and said, Don't be so ostentatious next time. Okay? After saying that, he quickly walked towards the school gate. Gu Yan looked at the other person's back helplessly and shrugged. You are obviously very happy. What a dishonest child. He smiled and waved to the crowd gathered around him. I got back into the car amid the noise. And as he sat in the car, the smile on his face faded slightly, and a hint of coldness appeared in his eyes. Well, from now on, it's time for me to nip any future plots in the bud. Thinking about it, he said, Lao Gao, let's go to Xinghua work V. Okay, master. On campus, Ling Linger's originally pretended ferocious expression turned into an expression of ecstasy. Hey. So many people are looking at me. It's so impressive. Ling Linger said she had never felt so good before. Although many people looked at her when she was riding on Haomaru, there was no envious look in their eyes at all. And just now at the school gate, there were so many people, they all looked envious of her. Ah. And just at this moment, a group of trendy girls carrying backpacks also ran to Ling. Everyone said at once, Sister Ling, is that your boyfriend? When did you start dating a boyfriend? Yes, he is so handsome and seems to be such a gentleman. He is much better than the guys in our class. One girl also said exaggerated. He is exactly like the prince of my dreams, he drives a luxury car to pick me up. Just like a princess. Ling felt happy but also very embarrassed. After all, Guyan was not her boyfriend. So she coughed dryly and pretended to be calm and said, he is not my boyfriend, he just had to send me here this morning. Upon hearing this, several people were envious and eager to try. Sister Ling, are you saying that handsome guy is not your boyfriend? Then do we have a chance then? Sister Ling, don't you like him? Can you see if I can do it? Ling slowly put a question mark, even though Guyan was not her boyfriend. But when will it be your turn? Moreover, when Ling saw that this group of people were trying to become Guyan's girlfriend, she felt very uncomfortable. So he snorted coldly and said, don't even think about it, he's my brother-in-law and he's already married to my sister. Upon hearing this, everyone immediately showed disappointment in their eyes. What, turns out he's your brother-in-law? Yes, let me tell you, my brother-in-law and my sister are very loving. Don't even think about attacking him. Ling warned, these guys don't know anything else, but they get excited when talking about these things. However, I didn't expect that the trashgu would be so charming. It seems that I have to keep a close eye on him for my sister on weekdays to make sure he doesn't mess around outside. Ling suddenly felt that she was carrying a heavy responsibility. Oh, by the way, I heard that Xiaowei's new boyfriend is the boss of a karaoke bar. Do you want to go there to sing after school today? Xiaowei said that friends like us can sing for free. She even took a day off today and went over to talk to her boyfriend in advance. At this time, a girl suggested. Okay, Sister Ling, are you going? Let's go sing. I heard there's a free fruit plate. Everyone agreed with both hands. As their eldest sister, Ling would naturally not disagree. But before getting off the car, Guyan told her that he would pick her up in the afternoon. What should I do about this? No matter what, just take it one step at a time. Thinking about it, Ling nodded. Zhanghe City. In front of Xinghua factory. Guyan looked up at the magnificent KTV club in front of him. A scene from the original novel came to my mind. That was the plot written by the original author to introduce Shen Waner's younger brother, Shenqian. It tells the story of Ling and her friends making an appointment to go to Xinghua karaoke to sing after school. As a result, when I just got here, I found that the good sister who invited me here was being forced to drink by Shenqian. Ling and her group got angry and started fighting with Shenqian on the spot. The two sides were so noisy that they stopped fighting only when the police came. Shen Waner knew her brother's character, but didn't want him to suffer. So she went to find Guyan and asked him to find those girls. Just say sorry to your brother. As a result, Guyan didn't even have time to find the person. A few days later, Shenqian was found dead at home, with even his face peeled off. The memories end. Guyan took a deep breath. He didn't know it before, but after combining it with the subsequent plot, he understood how Ling's ending came about. Because of Shenqian's death, Shen Waner was on the verge of collapse. It just so happened that the protagonist of the original novel, Xiaolin, appeared at that time, and stayed by Shen Waner's side. After learning about what happened to Shen Waner, Xiaolin was very angry and vowed to find the murderer and avenge Shen Waner. There is a high probability that Shen Yan's death was caused by Ling Qiyu, but Guyan was not sure what method the other party used. Ling died later because Shen Waner blamed Ling for her brother's death. In order to avenge his partner, Xiaolin chose to kill Ling. No wonder the author in the original novel wrote a special plot about Ling and Shenqian. The purpose of this relationship is to make Ling Qiyu turn evil more thoroughly. However, since he is here, this matter must not be allowed to happen. Moreover, he has already figured out how to keep things under his control. Thinking about it, he looked at Lao Gao who was following him and said, "Let's go, Lao Gao." "Okay, master." After saying that, Lao Gao waved to the back again. "Let's go, follow the young master in." Next second, crash. Dozens of people in black got out of luxury cars and followed Guyan into the Xinghua shop. In a private room. As expected of you, brother Tian. Even the girlfriend of the boss of Xinghua has to come and sing with you. Haha, we are all thanks to you, brother Tian. Several men and women looked at the young man sitting in the main seat and spoke in a flattering manner. The boss of Xinghua was standing aside, looking at a rebellious young man sitting on the sofa in front of him with a smirk. The young man had a thin body and his face looked as if he had been hollowed out by alcohol and sex. In his arms, he was holding a girl who looked like a student with a frown and a resistant look on her face. The girl showed some resistance to the man's tight embrace, especially because of the unpleasant smell of Chinese medicine on him, which made her almost vomit. She looked at the bar owner pleadingly. Brother Tao. Seeing his new girlfriend looking at him for help, he didn't dare to offend her because of her identity. Helpless, he could only smile awkwardly. Wei, be obedient. Just for a while, let Brother Tian hold you for a while. It will be fine soon. Hearing this answer, Xiao Wei's face turned extremely ugly. She gritted her teeth and tried to get up from the man holding her. Let me go, I want to go back. She really didn't expect that her new boyfriend would actually give herself to a guest who came to sing. So what if the other party's identity is not ordinary? I really can't stand this anymore. When Shen saw the girl in his arms got up, he immediately looked at the bar owner with dissatisfaction. Boss, is this your girlfriend's service attitude? I heard Shen speak. The rest of Shen friends also hugged the women in their arms and scolded. Jiang Tao, what's your attitude, my girlfriend? Apologize to our brother Tian quickly. Yes, do you know who our brother Tian is? If you offend brother Tian, you Xinghu will never be able to make a name for yourself in Zhanghe City. That's right, Jiang Tao. I came here to play with you today to give you a chance. Don't miss this opportunity. Jiang Tao was so angry when he heard this that he quickly apologized. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, she's new here and doesn't know much. The bar owner wiped his sweat and turned to look at Xiaowei, not caring whether she was his new girlfriend or not. He went straight forward and pushed the other person back. Xiaowei, why are you so ignorant? If you serve this gentleman well, you will have everything you want. Do you know who Brother Tian is? He's the brother-in-law of the eldest son of the Gu family. The bar owner looked at Xiaowei unhappily. Does this woman know the value of the Gu family? Just wait for Shen to go back and say a few good words to the eldest son of the Gu family. Then wouldn't Xinghu be able to make a big leap forward in Zhanghe City? It is not impossible to become the most luxurious Kate, EV in Zhanghe City in the future. When Xiaowei heard this, she was stunned. The brother-in-law of the eldest son of the Gu family. In Zhanghe City, who else can be called the eldest son of the Gu family except the young master of the Gu family? Although she had never seen what Gu Yan looked like, she had heard a little about his status in Zhanghe City. Did you hear me? I am Gu Yan's brother-in-law if you make me happy today. And I can give you whatever you want. Shen enjoyed the flattery from the people around him. As he was originally just an idle person in society, he accidentally learned that the eldest son of the Gu family was pursuing his sister. Therefore, he often used Gu Yan's name to do evil things outside. Of course, he himself looked down on Gu Yan very much. After all, the other party's servile manner in front of his sister really made him feel that the children of a big family were no more than that. Moreover, whenever he was short of money, he would ask Gu Yan for it, and the other party would give him hundreds of thousands or millions every time for Shen Waner's sake. It's enough for him to enjoy himself for several days. When Xiaowei heard this, she lowered her head with a deathly pale face and stopped struggling. In Zhanghe City, no one dares to provoke the Gu family. Seeing this scene, the others also started to make a noise. Brother Tian is so mighty, Brother Tian is so domineering. I think even if the eldest young master of the Gu family comes, he has to respectfully address our brother Tian as master. Yes, I heard that the young master of the Gu family is just a lapdog of our brother Tian and sister. Shen was very benefited by what he heard. He waved his hand and said, Hey, don't say that, otherwise, where will young master Gu save his face? How about this? Shen stood up with his wine glass as he spoke, and the others also raised their glasses and stood up to cooperate with Shen. The former waved his hand with satisfaction and said, I'm happy today, I'll pay for all your expenses. Brother Tian is mighty. Brother Tian is so domineering. Brother Tian, you are awesome. A bunch of friends shouted flattering lie. But the next second, BNG, clang, the door of the box was kicked open with great force, and it hit and sank into the wall. Then, Bao Gao walked in. This scene stunned everyone present. Immediately following, fuck. Before Shen could say anything, all his friends became unhappy. Bang! They dropped their glasses and shouted, Hey, old man, who are you? Do you know who we are? How dare you kick our door? Are you tired of living? Lao Giao frowned slightly when he heard this. He said calmly, Let's keep it quiet here. Next second, crash. A group of men in black rushed in, and the entire box was packed with people in an instant. The faces of the people who were talking suddenly turned pale. They realized that they had met someone who was not easy to deal with. Everyone began to tremble. Wait, old man, who are you? Brothers, is there any misunderstanding? Shen was so scared that he collapsed on the sofa. He begged for mercy with a trembling voice. Wait a minute. I'm Guyan's brother-in-law, you can't do this to me. After hearing this, Lao Gao sneered, you should talk to my young master in person later. The words fell. Before Shen Yan and his group could react, they were all forcibly pinned to the ground by the men in black who rushed over. The speaker was turned off by the man in black nearby. The entire box fell into a silent panic. Shen Yan and his group were forced to kneel on the ground by the black-clad bodyguards. The men in black formed a circle and surrounded them. Shen Yan seemed extremely flustered. He didn't expect that Guyan's reputation would not work anymore. What's going on? Why is this happening? Whenever I encountered problems in the past, I could resolve the crisis by simply mentioning Guyan's name. Master, it has been handled. Lao Gao said to the outside world respectfully. The voice responded from outside, followed by the sound of footsteps. Shen Yan felt that the voice sounded familiar, so he looked up. He saw a person who was so familiar to him that he couldn't be more familiar slowly walk in through the door. Gu Yan. Shen Yan shouted in shock, are these all your people? After saying this, his expression became extremely ugly. He felt like he had been tricked. Gu Yan walked in with a calm face. And he casually glanced at the people who were pressed to the ground. Then he turned his gaze to Shen Yan and walked forward. Then, under everyone's incredulous gaze, bang! Gu Yan kicked Shen Yan hard in the face with the inside of his leather boots. There was an uproar among the crowd, and they all gasped. Gu Yan, what do you mean? Shen Yan roared in pain, looking at Gu Yan in disbelief. Why did he dare to hit me? Isn't he afraid that my sister will find out? Gu Yan heard this. His eyes flashed with a cold light that made Shen Yan panic. His tone was calm and indifferent. What do you mean? What I mean is, your good days are over, Shen Yan. As he said this, he waved his hand. The subordinate at the side brought over a document. Crash. Gu Yan put the contract in front of Shen Yan and said, this document records the money I have borrowed from you over the years. A total of 23.48 million. If you can't pay it back, you will most likely be charged with large-scale fraud and spend the rest of your life in jail. Also, you use my name to do whatever you want outside. The crimes you committed during this time are enough to send you to jail for life. Shen Yan was stunned when he heard this. He was filled with disbelief. He shouted in panic, what are you talking about, Gu Yan? Didn't you give me all that money? Give. Gu Yan thought about it. And then said calmly, every time you asked me for money, you always added the word borrow. The chat records are all there. Shen Yan was stunned after hearing this. No way. Brother, you are so rich, and I am just being polite by asking you to lend me money. Why do you really want me to pay it back? Also, is it necessary for a rich second generation like you to discuss the law with someone like me? Why do you look like you need to call the police? Can you have some perspective? Have you ever seen a dude go to the police to talk about the law? I don't have any money. Shen Yan said hesitantly. Oh, then you go to jail. Gu Yan nodded and then stood up. Wait, brother-in-law, my brother-in-law, my sister has money. I'll ask my sister to pay me back. When Shen Yan heard this, he shouted anxiously, others might not know, so how could he not know? Gu Yan is his sister's loyal bootlicker, probably because his sister has been ignoring Gu Yan recently. So Gu Yan became angry and embarrassed. No, if Gu Yan doesn't pursue his sister anymore, and he has to go to jail? When Gu Yan heard this, he smiled in his heart. On the surface, he turned around calmly and said lightly, let Shen Waner send the money over within 3 days. Otherwise, you will be prepared to spend your whole life in prison. After hearing this, Shen Yan thought he understood what Gu Yan meant. At the same time, I was extremely scared. It turns out that the people from this big family are not easy to deal with. I thought Gu Yan was really my sister's bootlicker. But now it seems that he lost his patience because my sister kept refusing to agree. No, I must let my sister be with Gu Yan as soon as possible. I don't want to give up my current life. He nodded repeatedly. Okay, I will definitely let my sister go find you. Master Gu. Gu Yan waved his hand when he heard that. A group of black-clad bodyguards quickly released their control over Shen Yan and the others. Although they were released, Shen Yan and the others no longer had the arrogance they had at the beginning on their faces. Instead, they stood there in fear. Gu Yan's aura was really too scary. At this time, Gu Yan also saw the boss of Xinghui. He looked at him. When the other party saw Gu Yan looking at him, he was so scared that he lowered his head. Master, that's Xinghui's boss, his name is Zhang Tao. Lao Gao reminded from the side. Gu Yan nodded. Then his face turned cold and he said, this name is too ugly. From today on, I don't want to hear the words Zhang Tao and Xinghui in Zhanghe City anymore. Okay, master. After Lao Gao finished speaking, he stepped back and made a phone call. Zhang Tao's face turned pale and he fell to his knees on the ground. It was over, all over. Xiaowei huddled in the corner. Shivering, everyone here was pinned to the ground. Accept her. She looked at Gu Yan with fear and curiosity. Is this person the legendary eldest son of the Gu family? It's really scary and amazing. Just at this moment, Gu Yan looked at Xiao Wei, and their eyes met. The latter's body trembled and he lowered his head quickly. It is most likely Ling Linger's sister who was forced to drink. Gu Yan thought to himself. He stopped talking, turned around and walked out the door. Lao Gao, you take care of this. Okay, master. Lao Gao nodded and asked. Where are you going next, master? Gu Yan waved his hand, leaving Lao Gao with his back, and a voice came. Make lunch for King Qiyu. Lao Gao. Ling's house, study. Or Ling King Qiyu was supposed to be alone. There was a blindfolded woman kneeling on one knee. The blindfolded woman was wearing an elegant red robe, with long hair falling to her waist like a waterfall. Her skin is as white as snow, her body lines are slender and elegant, showing an extraordinary temperament. Master, according to the investigation, one of the murderers has been found, the blindfolded woman said in a respectful tone. Hearing this, Ling King Qiyu suddenly stopped what he was doing, and a hint of coldness flashed across his brows. She suddenly raised her head and stood up, with an impatient murderous intent in her heart. He slammed the book in his hand shut, making a dull sound. She looked at the blindfolded woman, her tone revealing a deep murderous intent. Tell me, who is it? Ling King Qiyu's heart was filled with murderous intent and impatience. 5 years have passed, and there has finally been some progress in uncovering the truth behind the massacre. Although she was just one of the people who took part in the massacre, it at least meant that she was one step closer to finding the real culprit. Upon hearing this, the blindfolded woman immediately lowered her head and replied. He is a member of an organization called Death God. His name is Lin Feng. Who is Lin Feng? What kind of force is the Death God? Ling King Qiyu took a deep breath and tried to calm himself down. The blindfolded woman knew the importance of this matter, so she had already investigated everything clearly. Reporting to the master, when we investigated Lin Feng, he already had a family, and I was working as a small employee in the Wanli group in Zhanghe City. And the Death God is a well-known assassination organization in the foreign ancient martial arts world. The members of the organization are all warriors, and they are very powerful. It is understood that they mainly make profits by receiving assassination information from the dark web. Hear this? Okay. Ling King Qiyu pushed the desk open, and her shawl fluttered around his body like a shadow in the darkness. She walked quickly to the window, and there was a loud bang. The curtains creaked as he pulled them open, and the cold wind from outside rushed into the room, instantly freezing the air in the study. Ling King Qiyu breathed in the cold air, forcing himself to slowly cool down his heart, that was filled with murderous intent. Grim Reaper. What a god of death. Assassination organization. Raymond Lam. Ling King Qiyu held the curtains tightly. She could not have expected this. Back then, you participated in the massacre that almost wiped out my Ling family, and now you have leisurely left the organization and returned to China. Married, had children, and lived the life of an ordinary person. How do you have the nerve? Depriving others of their lives, while you yourself are at ease? Meizu. Ling King Qiyu's voice was low and full of murderous intent. Find Lin Feng and get all the useful information from him. No matter what method you use, whether it's threatening his family or threatening his friends, I want all the information he knows. Ling King Qiyu's tone revealed a chilling indifference that filled the entire study with waves of terrifying pressure. Meizu swallowed, cold sweat running down her face. She quickly lowered her head and responded, yes. The words fell. Gurgle. Black shadows began to emerge on the ground beneath her feet, and Meizu slowly sank into the shadows. 1 second. 2 seconds. 3 seconds. Ling King Qiyu finally slowly came to his senses from his murderous intent. She let go of the curtains and took a deep breath. My heart gradually became calm and sad. I can't believe it. The murderer back then was now at large. Dad, Mom, Grandpa and Grandma. King Qiyu, I swear that I will find the truth for you and avenge you, just because of the dagger that cut my eye back then. Ling King Qiyu was just thinking about it. Buzz! A dagger slowly emerged from her palm. The blade of the dagger was as deep as the night, and its dark luster revealed a terrifying chill. There are many obscure ancient characters on the dagger. This was the dagger that Ling King Qiyu used to cut his own eyes. But at the moment of the cut, a wave of memories flooded into Ling King Qiyu's mind. Night. This is the name of the dagger and also the name of an ancient book. That ancient book was in Ling King Qiyu's mind, which not only made her memory stronger, but also made her comprehension ability stronger. Moreover, she also learned that there is actually an existence called ancient martial arts world in this world. Thinking of this, Ling King Qiyu slowly stroked his eyes. She opened her eyes slightly, which was different from what ordinary people imagine a blind person to look like. There was actually a strange talisman imprinted on each of Ling Qinyu's pupils. It was as if Ling Qinyu's vision was sealed on purpose. According to Ling Qinyu's memories, the ability of this ancient book in her mind is very strange. Absorb the night, understand the night, become the night. Only by enduring 5 full years of darkness can one be invincible at the moment when light finally returns. 5 years? Ling Qinya murmured to herself and closed her eyes. According to ancient records, she only needed to endure 5 years of darkness. Then, at the moment when she finally regains her eyesight, she will be able to break through the critical point of the human body and become invincible. Before that, she had always been an ordinary person. Fortunately, the memories in her mind gave her a lot of help. It also allowed her to inherit a force called night. This force does not recognize people, it only recognizes daggers. Whoever obtains the dagger will be the master of this force. Over the years, Ling Qinya was able to collect useful information one after another thanks to the organization Yi. Ling Qinya put away the dagger and breathed a sigh of relief. He was suddenly a little too excited to hear this news from Meizu. Ling Qinya, you will have to deal with more enemies from now on. You have to be more steady and more stable. Thinking about, Ling Qinya was looking for his walking stick if he calculated the time correctly. It should be noon now. Linger wasn't here, so she'd just make something to eat. And just at this moment, instead of finding a crutch, a strong, warm hand held her. And the voice that startled Ling Qinya appeared. Qinya, what are you thinking about? Why do you seem to be standing in front of the window in a daze? Yan held Ling Qinyu's hand with some doubt. When he came over just now, he found Ling Qinya standing in front of the window, and he glanced at the window. The curtains were drawn and cold wind kept blowing in. It's so cold, Qinya, your hands are frozen. As Yan spoke, he walked forward and closed the window. Ling Qinya remained silent. Yan, when did he come? What did he hear? What did he see? Ling Qinya felt a little conflicted. The dagger was her biggest secret and also her greatest reliance in finding the murderer. She didn't dare to bet whether Yan saw her dagger and pretended not to see it. I don't dare to bet whether the Gu family was involved in that incident back then. If Yan. Ling Qinyu's breathing frequency changed slightly, and her heart was in a state of conflict. Even though she is just an ordinary person now, the power of the dagger is devastating. Just a breath away. Qinya, what are you thinking about? Yan placed the back of his hand on Ling Qinyu's forehead with a strange look. He felt the temperature and said, you don't have a fever. At such a close distance, I can definitely kill him with one strike. Then let Meizu take care of the body. If I want to do that, I must eliminate all hidden dangers. Ling Qinya raised his hand slightly. Yan saw it, nodded, and smiled gently. Are you worried about Linger? Don't worry, she's fine. I sent her to school safely. That's right, not only was he sent back to school, but the future BAD plot was also reversed by him in advance. You are such a kind person, Yan. By the way, Qinya, are you hungry? What do you want to eat for lunch today? Yan's endless chatter reached Ling Qinyu's ears. I don't know why. Why can't I do it? Damn. So far, she gave up. She lowered her head slightly and put down her hands. Something was wrong with the mood. Yan finally noticed that something was wrong with the other party and became a little panicked. Damn, what did I do wrong? What happened to my pure love object? Do you know that you are annoying? Ling Qinya raised his head and said calmly with no expression. Upon hearing this, Yan was happy. He grabbed Ling Qinyu's hand and rubbed it, saying, what nonsense, Qinya, you are so cute and beautiful. I wish I could stay by your side and bother you every day. Let me tell you, I'm not that annoyed with my own dad, but I am so annoyed with you. You may be the only one in the world who has this kind of treatment. So you should be happy. Touch the object of pure love. Points 1. The pure love object's mood improves. Points 3. Hearing what Yan said, Ling Qinya chuckled in his heart. This bastard. Everyone knows that he and his father can't even say 3 sentences to each other in a day. He almost broke off his relationship with his father because of Shen Waner. But on the surface, Ling Qinya still snorted softly, and she raised her head slightly. Who cares about you? No, I only care about you, Qinya. Smooth talk. Oh, Qinya, how do you know that your husband's mouth is oily and his tongue is slippery? Otherwise, let's suck it a little bit. When Yan saw Ling Qinya frowning, he couldn't help but chuckle and felt even more excited. Damn, I'm not awakening some weird habit, he said with a smile. Stop joking. What do you want to eat for lunch today? No bragging, I will cook anything. Ling Qinya felt hungry when he heard that, but he couldn't let go of his pride, so he said, I don't want to eat. I was just planning to eat something to get by young Master Gu. You should stop cooking for me like a servant. Guyan understood immediately after hearing this. He waved his hand and said, "Hey Kinkyu, how can you just deal with it casually? It's really bad for your health. How about this, let's keep it simple and just cook 2 dishes." Ling Kinkyu heard this, and although he agreed in his heart, he still said lightly, "It's up to you." After lunch, Ling Kinkyu sat on the sofa in a daze. The sound of washing dishes coming from Guyan's kitchen echoed in her ears. Linger's favorite gangster cartoon was playing on EV. I don't know why. At this moment, her mood was extremely peaceful and harmonious. Why do I feel this way? I shouldn't feel this way. A night organization night gave me armed forces and a huge intelligence network. And if I can take over the Gu family, I will have sufficient funds and superficial social status. The combination of the two will definitely help me find the real culprit behind the scenes. But why, at this moment, my mood is so peaceful and calm? There's even a feeling of wanting to stay in this state forever. Ling Kinkyu took a deep breath and turned off the TV. She pulled herself out of the comfortable state she had been in. No, absolutely not. I absolutely cannot have the thought of being content with the present. One of the murderers has been found, and what I have to do next is to continue according to the plan. The murderer must be found, and the Gu family must also be taken away. Start from both ends. You must never be serious about it. Kinkyu, the weather is so nice today. Do you want to go out for a walk? Guyan wiped his hands, sat on the sofa very skillfully and squeezed next to Ling Kinkyu. He stretched out a hand and placed it naturally on Ling Kinkyu's shoulder. Feeling Guyan's movements, Ling Kinkyu frowned slightly, shook the shoulder that Guyan was holding, trying to shake Guyan's hand off. But Guyan's hand was like taffy and he just couldn't shake it off. Helplessly, Ling Kinkyu didn't want to care about it anymore. She shook her head and said lightly, "No. I'm already tight. And you still want me to go out and waste time? What a joke." Guyan was not discouraged. He smiled cheerfully and said, "Good wife, no matter how hard you work, you must know how to balance work and rest. Besides, if you stay at home all the time, your skin will get moldy. And why don't we go out and at least bask in the sun in the yard? In case you get osteoporosis when you get old, you don't want to become like that. Do you? In my opinion, Kinkyu, you are just too shy. So you don't want to go out, right? Don't be shy, you have a good husband like me to accompany you. Just go out and sunbathe." Ling Kinkyu felt as if there was a bee buzzing around his ear. She covered her ears and yelled, "Stop, stop, stop, go. Oh, go." But as soon as she finished shouting, she regretted it in her heart and quickly said, "Wait." But the words were not finished. Then he was pulled up by Guyan. And his slightly happy voice reached Ling Kinkyu's ears. "Aha, that's great, Kinkyu, let's go to the yard to bask in the sun." When Ling Kinkyu heard Guyan's happy voice, she wanted to refuse firmly. But for some reason she closed her mouth again. She thought to herself, "Never mind. Anyway, I will take away the other person's Gu family later. So before that, let's just make this bastard happy." That's right. I didn't agree to this just because I saw the other person was happy. It was simply a small compensation to the other party in order to take away the Gu family later. Just as Ling Kinkyu was comforting herself, Guyan pulled her out of the yard. Although it was the frost season, the direct sunlight from the high sun made Ling Kinkyu feel warm. Walking on the lawn in the yard, Ling Kinkyu felt a little dazed. It seemed like I hadn't left that study for a long time. Because time is so precious to her, she has no time to rest at all. And ever since Guyan came, in just a few days, all her plans seemed to be disrupted. This yard once contained many memories of her and her family. Guyan held Ling Kinkyu's hand and walked through the path in the yard. The sunlight shone through all the leaves onto the two of them, creating mottled light and shadows. Guyan felt that Ling Kinkyu seemed to be missing something. He did not disturb her and quietly held Ling Kinkyu hand. A leaf fell, and Guyan reached out to catch it. He looked at the surrounding scenery and chuckled. "Kinkyu, your yard is quite beautiful, and the green plants are planted just right." Hearing this, Ling Kinkyu, who was originally lost in past memories, also came back to his senses. She looked up at the blue sky and white clouds. If she could still see them, she believed the sky would be very beautiful. She seemed to be recalling something and smiled. "Yes. I know it must be beautiful. Because this was my father's favorite yard when he was alive. All the green plants and landscaping here were designed by him. After he left, I also took on the responsibility of taking care of the yard." Having said that, Ling Kinkyu's mood also became slightly depressed. Guyan, you deserve to die." Guyan took a deep breath, not knowing how to comfort her for a moment. Ling Kinkyu also noticed this. She shook her head and said, "This has nothing to do with you." After all, she looked at Guyan, as if confirming something, and her tone became a little weird. "My father's death has nothing to do with you. Although it is more or less certain that what happened back then probably had nothing to do with Gu Yan. But who can guarantee that the Gu family is not involved? Ling Qiyu was worried about this, and it was because of this that she always kept a distance from Gu Yan. Sometimes she thought that by using Gu Yan, she might be able to confirm whether the Gu family was involved in the incident that year. Gu Yan heard the abnormality in Ling Qiyu's tone. Comparing it with the plot of the original novel, Gu Yan could more or less guess what Ling Qiyu was worried about. Because of what happened that year, Ling Qiyu would not and dared not trust these people. Thinking of this, Gu Yan tightly grasped Ling Qiyu's hand. He said seriously, "Qiyu, please believe me, I will always protect you. I will always protect you. I won't let anyone hurt you again." Ling Qiyu smiled slightly when she heard these words. I felt a smile in my heart. Protect her? There are too many things in this world that Gu Yan doesn't know. The ancient martial arts world, and warriors. Such beings are able to block bullets with their bodies. How could Gu Yan, an ordinary person, really be with her until the end? Only, the other party's tone was so serious that Ling Qiyu couldn't even think of laughing at him. She didn't think about it anymore, but smiled and said, "Protection is not something that can be achieved with just words. But your determination to protect me is good." Ling Qiyu thought about it. She reached out and touched Gu Yan's cheek. A smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. "Anyway, thank you." Wow! As the autumn wind blew, the rustling sound of the leaves accompanied the conversation between the two, as if it was a moving piece of music composed for them by nature. Time in the yard seemed to stand still at this moment. Gu Yan felt the cold palm on his cheek and Ling Qiyu's smiling face, and was stunned for a moment. Plop, plop. Even though Ling Qiyu had already put down his hands and turned his back, but Gu Yan reached out his hand and touched his beating heart. This. Oops. I seem to be in love. This time really. I seem to have fallen in love with Ling Qiyu. Ling Qiyu, who had her back turned, also had a slightly hot face. Damn it. Why would I say that? How embarrassing. How could I say such petty words? It's so abominable. It's all Gu Yan's fault for talking nonsense. No. I have to go back to the study. Ling Qiyu was just thinking about asking Gu Yan to take her back to the study. Gu Yan's voice came over. "Qiyu, I have another inspiration." Inspiration? What inspiration? Ling Qiyu was stunned and asked in confusion. "I just composed another song in my mind. Qiyu, do you want to listen to it?" Gu Yan's words made Ling Qiyu feel a little curious. Made another song? Just now? Although I have heard Gu Yan's confession balloon before. It was also composed by Gu Yan many years ago. And now, with only a few minutes, how could Gu Yan possibly compose a decent song? Ling Qiyu naturally didn't believe it, but the other party was interested in it. I didn't have the heart to interrupt him, so I nodded and said, "Then you sing." But after singing, I'm going back to my study to read. Hearing this, Gu Yan nodded and chuckled. Okay. Ling Qiyu just treated it as a way to deal with it as quickly as possible. So he pricked up his ears and listened. Next second, the song that made her heart tremble rang out. I heard the raindrops falling on the green grass. I heard the bell ringing in the distance. But I didn't hear your voice. Seriously, call my name. I didn't understand love when I fell in love with you. It is only when we part that we realize how unforgettable it is. The melody of the song is soft and melodious, giving people a warm and relaxing feeling. Ling Qiyu feels as if he is enjoying a cup of warm tea with a hint of tranquility. What does it feel like? Ling Qiyu covered his chest. This song seemed to be the same as Confession Balloon. Both were songs about love between a man and a woman. Rather than a confession balloon, this song seems to be about making people cherish the happiness they have now. It sounds good. Ling Qiyu murmured to herself. She couldn't help but relax her mind and listen quietly to Gu Yan's singing. And the song has reached its climax. It turns out that you are the lot that I want to keep the most. It turns out that we were once so close to love. I'm so lucky to meet you. But I have lost the right to shed tears for you. The song is over. Gu Yan walked forward and held Ling Qiyu's hand, with a gentle expression and a soft voice, saying, "Qiyu, I love you. I don't want to leave you. I don't want you to leave me either. Please let me protect you forever, okay?" Ling Qiyu was still immersed in the song just now. She came back to her senses when she heard Gu Yan's words. Ling Qiyu raised her head and looked at Gu Yan. Although she couldn't see his face, Ling Qiyu could feel his love for her. It was pure and passionate. "Oh, never mind." Ling Qiyu sighed and replied calmly. "No." Gu Yan was dumbfounded and was about to struggle. And Ling Qiyu said calmly, "You are so weak, let me protect you. Being my man, you might die quickly." Ling Qiyu was not joking when she said this. After all, she was the controller of the night. He also carries a deep hatred for his suffering. Her life was destined to be a thorny road with no turning back. As for Guyan, when he heard Ling Qingqi's words, he didn't feel a bit immature, but felt very happy instead. Because if the other party said this, doesn't it mean? Ling Qingqiu, what do you mean by that? Guyan swallowed. He was a little hesitant and couldn't believe it. Do I need to say anything about this guy? Ling Qingqiu frowned slightly, shook off Guyan's hand, turned around and walked into the house. I don't know, you guess. Hey, Qingqiu, I was wrong. Qingqiu. Guyan hurriedly jogged over to him. This caused Ling Qingqiu to look disgusted. But he didn't refuse. She sighed inwardly. Forget it. Just consider it as a little compensation to Guyan for taking advantage of the Gu family behind him. Tianyi Pharmaceutical Technology Co. Limited. This is a medical technology company founded by the Shen family. The main product is skincare cosmetics. In the president's office, Shen Waner has been very unhappy recently. She frowned as she looked at the series of data on the computer screen. Opposite her, personal secretary Shen King lowered her head nervously. Boss Shen Shan, I don't know what's going on. All the companies that previously cooperated with us have cancelled their orders and withdrawn their investment. Now our company's production workshop has been suspended. The batch of raw materials purchased previously had to be put away in a warehouse. But the day to pay the final payment is coming soon. If we don't find a partner. The more Shen Waner listened, the more annoyed she became. She clutched her hair tightly and looked at the data on the computer with an uncertain look. How so? Why is this happening? Shen King's words pierced her heart like silver needles. All previous partners cancelled the orders, but because we were old customers and had a trusting relationship. The contract did not include any compensation clauses such as liquidated damages. The final payment for a large batch of materials they purchased was about to be paid. And now that all the orders have been cancelled, there is no way they have that much money in their company account to pay the balance. Without orders, it is even less likely that they will have new funds coming in. And the revenues from their own stores are just a drop in the bucket. In the past, their company's biggest source of income was the order contract signed between them and other companies. What to do? Shen Waner murmured to herself, her eyes filled with anxiety. Moreover, it is almost the end of the month, but the employees' salaries for this month have not been paid yet. Could it be that she won't be able to survive this disaster? Shen King looked at the painful Shen Waner, and an indignant expression appeared on her face. Boss Shen, those business owners are really abominable. They all cancelled their orders as if it was an appointment. Obviously they were so kind to us before. Shen King has finally witnessed the fickleness of the world. Although she didn't know what happened, she could more or less feel that this might be what is called having no friends in a business battle. Make an appointment. Shen Waner recalled this sentence in her mind. And suddenly, her expression froze. Then he showed a hint of shock. Wait a minute, he seems to know something. If these people suddenly agreed to cancel the order together, there would be only one reason. Shen Waner's face turned a little ugly. Her fists were clenched so tightly that they made a crackling sound. Okay, you're great, Guyan. You're so cruel. Aren't you? Shen Waner cursed in a low voice while gritting her teeth. She raised her head and looked at Shen King. You go down first. I have another way. The latter was stunned for a moment. Then nodded. Okay, Mr. Shen. For a moment, Shen Waner was the only one left in the office. She took a deep breath and tried to calm herself down. Then she pulled out her cell phone. I opened the address book and found a person. It is shown above. Guyan. When Shen Waner looked at the two words Guyan, her expression became very ugly. Damn it, I clearly said before that I wouldn't call him again. But I didn't expect that the other party would do this in order to attract my attention. Shen Waner's expression became very angry. Guyan. Your methods are so cruel. Thinking of this, Shen Waner called again. In her opinion, Guyan turned off his phone and didn't answer her calls just to get her attention. Until now, all other companies have cancelled their orders. Shen Waner had probably guessed what the other party wanted to do. The other party just wanted to threaten her with this. And now, his goal has been achieved when he calls Shen Waner this time. He is absolutely sure that the other party will answer. Only, what Shen Waner didn't expect was that as she dialed the phone, there was a voice coming from the other end of the phone. Sorry, the number you dialed is powered off. Shen Waner's face rose and she looked at the phone in disbelief. It was this number, right? How could that be? If Guyan had turned off his phone before, it shouldn't be still turned off now, right? Could it be that? Shen Waner thought of a possibility, but it was impossible. In her opinion, Guyan would never do that kind of thing to her. No. For the first time, a trace of panic appeared on Shen Waner's face. She quickly opened Guyan's chat window on her phone. The chat record above still stops at the day many days ago when Guyan asked her out to confess his love to him. With a nervous and uneasy mood, Shen Waner sent a message. Guyan, are you there? Only. A scene that made Shen Waner stunned happened. Just saw the moment she sent the message. A red exclamation mark popped up after her message. He blocked me. Shen Waner muttered to herself, her eyes becoming somewhat dull. She suddenly felt a little cold all over, and an inexplicable feeling of grievance surged in her heart. Why? Why did Guyan block me? Why is this happening? No, I have to ask him in person. Shen Waner's tone became a little flustered and hurried, and she quickly picked up the car keys on the table. She hurriedly put on the brand bag that Guyan gave her and rushed out of the office. It was afternoon. On the way to Zhonghai High School. After what happened at noon, Guyan felt that the gap that should have existed between him and Ling Qingqiyu seemed to have been reduced a lot. For example, when he once held the other person's hand, he could feel the other person's obvious resistance. But now, the other party just pretended to struggle and then let him go. Very good. A smile appeared on Guyan's lips. Although at the beginning he only approached Ling Qingqiyu in order to avoid his inevitable death. But now, he found that he seemed to really like this final boss. This this what they call villains attracting villains? Guyan thought about it and shook his head. No, he is not a villain, and Ling Qingqiyu is not a villain either. It's just a different stance. In less than a moment. Master, we are here. Lao Gao drove his luxury car and slowly stopped at the school gate. Guyan came back to his senses and looked out the window. Students came in and out, but Ling Linger was nowhere to be seen. 10 minutes later. Guyan frowned. What's going on? What is this kid doing? Didn't I tell her that I would pick her up after school? At this time. Boom boom. There was a knock on the window outside. Guyan's expression remained unchanged as he slowly lowered the car window. A relatively young and immature face was revealed from the outside. He spoke a little haltingly. Hello, are you waiting for classmate Ling Linger? Hearing this, Guyan raised his eyebrows and then looked at the other party. The other person was a boy wearing a school uniform, with a flat head and black framed glasses, and carrying a school bag behind him that looked like it was filled with many books. After seeing Guyan roll down the car window, he also seemed a little nervous. Oh, students. Seeing this, Guyan relaxed his guard and chuckled. Yes, but how did you know? Seeing that Guyan was indeed waiting for Ling Linger, the boy's eyes began to flicker. But he still replied. Well, I saw you coming to see her off this morning. And Ling Linger and I are in the same class today. I happened to hear that she and her friends had an appointment to go sing after school. They asked for leave from the last class in the afternoon. They should be going to sing. Hearing this answer, Guyan suddenly understood. Why did this kid go and sing again according to the plot? But now that plot has been eliminated by him in advance. So Ling Linger and the others will probably be fine. Okay, thank you. Guyan thought about this and nodded with a smile. And he rolled up the car window, no longer looking at the student whose expression had become somewhat gloomy, and said, Let's go, Lao Gao, to the city. Okay, master. See the luxury car leave. The boy also withdrew his gaze, clenched his fists, and a trace of pain appeared in his eyes. Linger's boyfriend is so handsome and rich. Compared to him, I am simply not as good as him in any aspect. I really can't accept this. At this time, in the urban area, several girls carrying school bags but dressed in a way that was not suitable for their current age were walking on the street borderline. It was Ling Linger and his group. Ling Linger felt a little helpless. She had originally wanted to wait until Guyan came and then tell him. But before she could even utter this thought, she was half dragged and half pushed by her friends onto the bus and brought to the city. I was thinking that I would wait until I got to work and then borrow a phone to call home and tell them. Result. She turned her head in confusion and looked at the girl behind her who had been lowering her head and looked like she had experienced a major blow. Xiaowei, what's wrong with you? Where's the free K-worker you mentioned? This question is also the question of others. They came because Xiaowei called them. Why did they come? But they were not what we imagined. Ya Xiaowei, what happened? Where's your boyfriend? Where's she? Yeah, why are you the only one here? The others also asked with concern. They seemed to figure out what had happened to Xiaowei. Do you want to say it yourself? But, if it were to be told, what would happen if Sister Linger and the others ran off to look for Shentian? The other party is the brother-in-law of the eldest son of the Gu family. Although there seems to be some conflict between them, it isn't known when they will reconcile. I can't put my friends in danger. So Xiaowei closed her mouth, shook her head, and said in a low tone, I'm sorry, I broke up with my boyfriend, so the K-worker V thing fell through. Hearing this, Ling Linger and the others were stunned and looked at each other. Everyone comforted themselves. Oh, what's the matter? That's all. It doesn't matter. We all think your boyfriend is not that good right away. He looks like a sneaky guy. Yes, Xiaowei, we are not without money. We can just go find another store to sing in. Yeah, You've been sad for so long just because of this. Linger didn't expect that Xiaowei actually broke up. Although she didn't know the reason, she felt that the other party seemed so depressed. It seems that the breakup has had a great impact on her. Okay, in that case, let's celebrate Xiaowei's escape from the sea of love. Let's go to a random shop and sing until we're drunk. Linger raised her hand and looked at the others with a smile. Does anyone agree? After hearing this, the others all smiled at each other and said, I agree. I agree. I agree. Ling Xiaoche worker V. In a private room, Chenqian, with gauze wrapped around his face, was drinking in depression. Two women were sitting beside him, comforting him. Hey, brother Tian, calm down. Mr. Gu must be treating you like this because your sister is too ignorant. If your sister had married young Master Gu earlier, wouldn't your reputation in Chang'e City be even higher than it is now? Chenqian took a sip of wine and nodded in agreement. Under the influence of alcohol, he also complained, you don't know. My elder sister is really pretending to be noble, and has been hooking up with the eldest son of the Gu family. If my sister had agreed earlier, I wouldn't have to go through this mess today. Look at this, young Master Gu is treating his brother-in-law like this now. Chenqian also stood up and said, wait a moment. I'm going to the toilet. Okay brother Tian, take care. Father Tian, we'll be waiting for you to come back. Hey, I understand. At the same time. Hi worker V front desk. Hello, guests, this is your room number. The total time is 2 hours. The front desk clerk handed the room card to Linger and others with a smile. Oh. It was obviously the first time for Linger and the others to come to such a place. And they all looked a little embarrassed. When they first came in, they looked around the place with curious eyes. Chapter 21. The plot reappears. Guyan arrives. On the way to the private room, the others ask Linger curiously, Sister Linger, didn't you say that you often came to places like this before? When we get to the private room later, will you order songs? I don't know, this is my first time here too. Linger was a little panicked, but on the surface she pretended to be calm and said, That's natural. I'm very familiar with this kind of thing. What song do you want to sing later? Just tell me and I'll order it for you. Yeah, Sister Linger, you are awesome. After entering the private room, what the few people didn't notice was a corner. Chenqian's figure poked out from there. He looked at the private room that Linger had just entered with some doubt. Isn't that Zhang Tao's useless girlfriend? Why is she here? Chenqian muttered to himself, and his eyes became extremely greedy. It just so happens that since I didn't succeed in getting you at Xinghua, then here he. Thinking of this, Chenqian walked towards his private room again, ready to call for some help. The other side, while Guyan was rushing to the city, he was also thinking about which KTV Linger and the others would go to sing. After all, the starlight in the original novel is no longer there, so I don't know if they will suddenly change their minds and stop singing. TSK, the plot in the original novel has been stopped by me in advance. So even if Linger and the others continue to sing at KTV, they shouldn't make the same mistake again, right? Guyan felt a little unconfident. After all, this world is about the ability to heal itself. What if this plot really goes back to the way it was? That would be terrible. That's right. An idea suddenly popped into Guyan's mind. He asked in his mind, System, how do I find Linger's location? Host, who is Linger? This system says it only knows Ling Qiu, and she is alone in her empty room at home. Don't make a fuss. If anything happens to my sister-in-law, Qiu will definitely be sad. Okay, it takes 1 point to find Linger's location. Hear this answer. Guyan K smiled, that was it. Sister Linger. You're not well yet, we've been waiting for a long time. Everyone looked impatiently at Linger, who was fiddling with a screen not far away. The other party has been working on it for more than 10 minutes, but hasn't produced a single song. Linger was a little embarrassed. She swiped the screen and responded, right away. I'll get it done right away. Oops, it's over, I don't understand. Linger looked nervously at the colorful screen in front of her. God knows she is actually a digital idiot, and has no idea which button is which. Xiaowei knew some of the ways of playing in entertainment venues because of her family background. So she quietly came to Linger and whispered, Sister Linger, click on this playlist category and you can choose songs. Linger touched the back of her head when she heard this. Hey, of course I know this. So I reached out and was about to click. Next second. Bang! The door was kicked open. Several figures rushed in. Chenqian and a group of people walked into the private room where Linger and others were staying as if no one was around, and closed the door. They looked at Linger and the others and couldn't help laughing. Hey, sisters, are you guys coming out to play? Do you want your brother to accompany you? Yeah, you're welcome. I'll pay for this game. Ling and others were stunned when they saw this scene. And they stood up from the sofa one by one and started cursing. Bah, who do you think you are? Why are you acting like hooligans here? Sister Linger, I'm going to go out and call security. Ling and the others are rebellious little girls. They are young and fearless, and have never suffered any loss. Of course, they are not afraid of Shen Tian and his group of social people. Ling Linger's expression also became very annoyed. Get out of the way, this is our private room. As she spoke, she pulled Xiaowei and said, Xiaowei, go out and call the security guards over. These guys are trying to cause trouble in their territory. However, what surprised Ling Linger was, Xiaowei's face turned pale, and her body seemed to start shaking. Xiaowei? Ling Linger was stunned. Sister Linger, you guys should leave quickly. We can't afford to offend this group of people. Xiaowei pulled Ling Linger's hand and spoke in a somewhat stiff tone. She was naturally not afraid of Shen Yan and his gang. But she had seen the power of the eldest son of the Gu family. Since the other party is Shen Yan's brother-in-law, then naturally they cannot afford to provoke him. What are you talking about? Xiaowei, I can easily defeat this group of people in 2 or 3 moves. Ling Linger frowned, and looked at Shen Yan and the others with hostility. She took a stance and said, I advise you to get out of here quickly. Otherwise I can't guarantee that you, a bunch of skinny fish, and leave here standing. Ling Linger's mocking voice was like a sharp needle piercing the hearts of Shen Tian and others. They had just been taught a lesson by the people brought by Gu Yan, and now they were really angry and urgently needed to find an outlet to vent. The veins on Shen Tian's head bulged, and he clenched his fists. Okay, brothers, come on, let these little brats know what it means to be a social person first. Hey, alright? It's all up to Brother Tian. Next second, a group of people rushed towards Ling Linger and others. Are we afraid of you? Sister Linger, let's go. Ling Linger's group also rushed forward without fear. However, the disparity in strength is naturally not small. In less than a moment, everyone except Ling Linger was knocked to the ground. Sister Linger. No, I can't beat him. Damn it. If my brother were here, you would all die here. Several girls who were pinned to the ground continued to shout stubbornly. Shen Tian gritted his teeth when he heard this. Damn it. One by one, first his parents looked down on him, and then Gu Yan looked down on him. Now even these high school girls look down on him. Hold her down for me. Shen Tian held a beer bottle in his hand and pointed at the girl who was shouting the loudest. He walked up with the bottle in hand, gritting his teeth. You, stop it. Ling Linger was also exhausted even though she had practiced taekwondo. She couldn't hold off so many adults. When Ling Linger saw Shen Tian about to hit his friend with a beer bottle, she also hurriedly wanted to rush over. Only, the people on Shen Tian's side also stepped forward and pressed Ling Linger to the ground. They laughed and said, Stay here, kid, take a good look at how your friend gets smashed in the head by Brother Tian. Let me tell you, this is the price of your arrogance. Xiaowei was very scared. She gritted her teeth and rushed to Shen Tian. Wait, you can't hurt my friends. Xiaowei, get out of the way. If they dare to smash it, I'll let my brother kill them. Get out of my way. I just want to teach this most despicable woman a lesson. Shen Tian pushed Xiaowei away, then raised the wine bottle and smashed it on the girl's head. Quan Lan. Ling Linger struggled desperately, but it was of no avail. She could only watch the beer bottle getting closer and closer to be Quan Lan's head. Holy! Before Shen Tian could completely smash it down. Next second. Bang! The door was kicked open. Hello! A voice filled with suppressed anger reached Shen Tian's ears. Chapter 22. You are all good children. Hearing this familiar voice, Shen Tian was stunned and subconsciously turned his head to look. Result. Idiot! What appeared before his eyes was a whip-like kick coming towards him. Puff! Shen Tian's face was kicked so hard that it was sunken, and his whole body was kicked several meters away. And that's not all. The NGBA. Idiot! What else can you do besides doing these crap? You are a useless person who can't do anything good but always makes trouble. The figure that rushed and continued to kick the other person in the chest, abdomen and cheeks. Gu Yan was almost scared to death. Just that 1 second. This damn BAD block might be presented in a way worse than the original. Gu Yan angrily kicked the pile of rotten meat on the ground that was more likely to cause trouble than help. This idiot, if only he had come a second later. The plot is definitely going to be worse than the original. By that time, once Ling Linger died, Ling Qingyu's personality changed drastically and he wouldn't recognize any of his relatives. All my efforts these days may be in vain. Hellflap. Don't kick anymore. Shen Tian was kicked so hard that his head was bleeding. He curled up his body and kept begging for mercy. Shen Tian's other friends were stunned by this scene. Their bodies were shaking and their eyes were filled with fear. Wait, isn't this Mr. Gu? Why are you here? Didn't he just teach them a lesson this morning? Hurry, run. I don't know who shouted. The rest of the people seemed to have heard some life-saving command. They released their control over Ling and the others and ran out as if they were escaping. Xiaohui felt even colder all over, and she collapsed to the ground with a thud, murmuring, "Goo goo, brother-in-law." Ling stood up and looked at Guyan with shining and incredible eyes. God knows how excited she was to see Guyan in this place. She even called him brother-in-law directly. As soon as these words came out, the girls who stood up while rubbing their injured parts also looked towards Guyan. All their eyes shone brightly. Sister Linger's brother-in-law. Oh my god, Sister Linger's brother-in-law beat up the bad guys to save them. This is so cool. Xiaohui was even more stunned. Wait a minute. Brother-in-law? And what is the relationship between Shenqian and Linger? Xiaohui felt that there was nothing she could do in the current situation. Hear the sound. Ishu. Guyan was tired of kicking. He took a deep breath and turned to look at Linger, who was looking at him with incredible eyes. He retracted his foot and walked towards Linger. Seeing that the other party was fine, he breathed a sigh of relief and extended his hand. Seeing this, Linger thought Guyan was going to hit her. So she closed her eyes and lowered her head guiltily. But in the end, Linger felt a warm touch on her head. She was startled and opened her eyes. Guyan looked helpless, and said in a tone like he was coaxing a child, "What are you looking at? Do you think I will hit you? You troublemaking brat. Go away and go back to eat." As soon as these words came out, buzz, Linger was stunned. An unknown impulse surged from her heart. What happened? What's going on? What does it feel like? Linger stood there blankly even though Guyan had withdrawn his hand and was looking at other people. She still couldn't recover. Wow, brother-in-law, you are so handsome. A hero saving a beautiful girl. I have nothing to repay you. Otherwise. Hey brother-in-law, look at me. I am in my prime. You are all so enthusiastic, but I am a family man, with a wife and a sister-in-law. A wife is a wife. A baby is a baby, and a darling is a darling brother-in-law. Look at me, ouch. Several people were holding Guyan's strong arms and saying some nonsense with red faces. Suddenly, Linger rushed over and punched him. Linger, what are you doing? It hurts. Yes, Sister Linger. How can you stop us from pursuing love? Several people covered their heads with their hands in grievance and looked at Linger, whose face was slightly red. Love is bullshit. This is my brother-in-law. Linger grabbed Guyan's hand, and then shouted to them as if to claim sovereignty. This is my sister's man. You are not allowed to have any ideas about him. Even though Linger wanted to look serious, for some reason her slightly blushing face made Guyan think she was cute. Alright, you little brats are skipping class to sing karaoke. As he spoke, he glanced at Shenqian lying on the ground, and said in a serious tone, I encountered something like this today. If I hadn't rushed here, do you know how terrible the consequences would be? Every one of you thinks you are very good at fighting. But today you know that in the hands of these bad guys, you are still just rookies with no strength. Remember what happened today. Your task now is to study hard and give yourself an explanation. Guyan's words made several people lower their heads. If someone else had said these words, they would definitely cover their ears and turn away. But for some reason, when their savior Guyan said this, they felt very ashamed. Some people even tightened their loose clothes, as if it was embarrassing to dress like that in front of Guyan. Seeing that they seemed to be truly repentant, Guyan's expression became a little kinder. He took a deep breath and said, You little brats, although you don't have much ability, you are very courageous. You didn't abandon your companions at the last moment. Which shows that. Guyan nodded and said in an approving tone, You are all good children. Chapter 23 Shen Waner is here. As soon as these words came out, thump, thump, several people looked up Bai Lan, the girl who had shouted the loudest at the beginning, covered her chest with her hands and looked at Guyan blankly. Good boy. No one had ever said this word to her before. The faces of several people flushed slightly at once, and they all lowered their heads, looking very embarrassed. Seeing this, Guyan also sighed in his heart. In fact, they don't have any big problems, they just lack proper guidance. If the original plot had been followed, most of their endings would have been very tragic. Linger's friends include many people from big families. It is only because of lack of love that the current situation has come about. Okay, I'll call my people to take you back. Remember, don't skip classes to sing karaoke. Guyan's expression relaxed slightly, and his tone was not as harsh as it was at the beginning. Well, thank you. Thank you, Sister Linger's brother-in-law. Me. Xiaowan Lan raised her hand, her face slightly red, but she looked at Guyan expectantly. If I get into college? Can you, Sister Linger's brother-in-law, fulfill one of my wishes? Alas, he is just a little devil after all. Guyan nodded and said with a smile. If you want me to be your boyfriend or something, don't say it. After hearing this, Bi Quan Lan became a little disappointed. She puffed her lips and said, "Oh? You really want to?" The corner of Guyan's mouth twitched. "No, how precocious are you? When I was in high school, I never experienced what it was like to be in love. Quan Lan, I told you not to try to take advantage of my brother-in-law." Ling Linger's protective tone also made Guyan feel a little funny. Alright, Linger, you and Lao Gao go back first. I need to deal with the aftermath here first." Guyan patted Ling Linger's head and chuckled. "Ah, you won't go back with me?" Ling Linger felt a little worried when she heard that Guyan would not go with her. "Yeah, don't worry, leave this to me, you just need to go to school and do whatever you need to do from now on. Besides, I do have something to do with this guy." And, as Guyan spoke, he looked at the person who had just opened the door and walked in. "Guyan, what did you do to my brother?" Shen Waner looked for Guyan for a whole day. From the company to home just when she was about to go back disappointed. She saw Guyan's car in front of this KTV. According to the reply from the panicked receptionist, "I walked into the private room and indeed found Guyan." However, she also saw her brother slumped on the ground. For a moment, she let out a sharp popping sound. Looking at this tall and beautiful woman, Ling Linger couldn't help but hold Guyan's hand tightly for a moment. Her eyes became very alert. "Who are you? Who are you?" Shen Waner's chest heaved up and down with anger. She looked around and found that they were all high school girls. But her brother was lying in the corner in a disfigured state. And finally she turned her attention to Guyan. She didn't know what was going on. However, she thought that it was all Guyan's fault. "Guyan, great, you blocked me, so you've changed your taste? I can't believe you." Shen Waner didn't finish her words. And she found that Guyan was looking at her with an annoyed and indifferent look. "Shut up, you are so noisy." These cold words made Shen Waner stunned for a moment. "He is mean to me? How could this be? Why would Guyan do this to me?" Shen Waner felt as if the world had changed overnight. Guyan ignored this person who played a key role in his plan. Instead, he looked at Ling Linger and the others and said gently, "You guys go first, I still have some things to deal with here." Seeing this strange atmosphere, Bi Quan Lan knew that she should not stay here any longer. So everyone nodded and walked outside. "Sister Linger, let's go." "Sister Linger, let's go first." They urged Ling Linger to leave first. But Ling Linger didn't want to leave, because when she looked at the woman in front of her, she seemed to have guessed her identity to some extent. What if the other party seduces Guyan and makes Guyan fall in love with her again? Before this, Ling Linger actually hoped that Guyan would separate from her sister like this. But for some reason, she doesn't think so now. "Brother-in-law." Ling Linger looked at Guyan with worry. The latter shook his head and chuckled. "Wait for me to get back." Ling Linger felt relieved for some reason after hearing this simple answer. She nodded, then glared at Shen Waner fiercely and hostilely, just like when she first met Guyan. Then he let go of Guyan's hand and followed the others out of the private room. That's it. There were only 3 people here, Guyan, Shen Waner and Shen Qian lying on the ground. "She called you brother-in-law? Who did you find? Who is that woman?" Shen Waner heard how Ling Linger addressed Guyan just now. For some reason, a nameless anger suddenly surged in her heart. It's like something that should have belonged to you was taken away by someone else. However, faced with these answers, Guyan's performance made Shen Waner stunned. Just see. Ling Linger and others left the room. Guyan's entire temperament and expression became extremely cold and indifferent. For Ling Qiyu, and also for myself, Shen Waner must be used. In order to avoid subsequent deaths, I must do this. Guyan walked to the sofa and sat down, leaning his whole body against it. He looked at Shen Waner with a look that seemed to be indifferent to everything. He said calmly, "You came at the right time, let's chat." Shen Waner's faced which, she didn't expect that Guyan would speak to her in this tone and with such an expression. Even her questions were ignored. For some reason, the other party's behavior made her, who had always been in a relaxed and contented mood in front of Guyan, become extremely irritated. Shen Waner gritted her teeth, threw her bag onto the sofa, and then sat on the other side of the sofa. He gritted his teeth and said, "Okay, let's talk. Guyan, let me see what you have to say." Chapter 24. Shen Waner couldn't believe it. "Are you really going to do this to me?" In the private room, Shen Waner sat on the sofa with her legs crossed, looking at Guyan opposite her with anger. The other person's eyes were cold and a little annoyed. "Damn it, Guyan never looked at me like that before." Next to her sat Shen Qian, whose head was bleeding from being beaten by Guyan. Shen Waner never dreamed that Guyan would treat her with such a bad attitude. She even injured her brother. For some reason, Shen Waner felt a little chilled. She had been so good to Guyan, but she didn't expect that he would treat her like this now. She really had the wrong person. "Guyan, what do you want to say?" And how do you explain my brother's injury? Shen Waner suppressed her anger and glared at Gu Yan. She had already sworn in her heart that if Gu Yan didn't apologize properly now, she would never forgive him in her life. As for Gu Yan, he had never thought about having any more relationship with Shen Waner. But, with the appearance of Linger's plot, he realized that simply avoiding defense was not going to work. Only by laying some measures in advance can we prevent bad plots that may happen in the future. With the addition of the system, a clear plan appeared in Gu Yan's mind. It is known that the male protagonist of the original novel Shaolin will meet Shen Waner and fall in love with each other in the subsequent plot. Rather than saying it's love, it's better to say that I have become the other person's lapdog. Therefore Shen Waner became an indispensable part of this plan. Shaolin is very powerful as the son of the world. He can always upgrade and break through in battle, thus becoming stronger and defeating the villain. This kind of incredible cheat makes Gu Yan wise enough not to provoke it casually. But that doesn't mean he will just sit there and wait for death. After activating the system, the store has a wide variety of items. Among them there is an item that can restrain Shaolin and make him lose all his strength. But the usage is extremely rough. It can be said that only Shen Waner could do this to catch Shaolin off guard. After thinking about this, Gu Yan looked at Shen Waner and ignored her questions. Instead, he said directly, Shen Waner, I will speak frankly. Your Shen family's pharmaceutical company is finished. With your ineffective beauty cosmetics, I was able to continue to operate in the past. And you know why even without me telling you? If you don't want your Shen family to declare bankruptcy like this, then... Gu Yan's cold voice reached Shen Waner's ears. Her brows furrowed, and anger welled up in her chest. Damn, such a cold attitude. Gu Yan, do you really want to treat me like this? Shen Waner took a deep breath and interrupted Gu Yan before he could finish. She shouted angrily, you're dreaming. I know you're doing this just to make me your girlfriend. I'll tell you Gu Yan. Don't even think about it. You are such a despicable person, you actually want to use such means to get me. I'm telling you, I, Shen Waner, also have a backbone. I can't possibly be your girlfriend like this. Shen Waner shouted angrily. What is this person talking about? Gu Yan slowly put a question mark and looked at Shen Waner. The other party's self-centered words made him realize more clearly that the other party was stupid. Shen Waner is here. Gu Yan's changing expression made Shen Waner, who said this, seem somewhat happy. Aha, man, I was right. Right? Shen Waner thought she had exposed Gu Yan's trick. So the other party broke down. But she really didn't like Gu Yan. So he emphasized it again, but his tone was much gentler. Gu Yan, I know you like me, but my career is on the rise. And I can't give up my career because of love. So, I'm sorry I can't agree to your request now. Shen Waner took a deep breath and said something that she thought was perfect. You should know that I didn't directly reject Gu Yan. I told him that I didn't want to be in a relationship at the moment. He also emphasized that he just couldn't agree to the other party's request right now. What if he agrees in the future? Don't you think so? This will not hurt Gu Yan's young heart and will also maintain her perfect image. It's simply too perfect. Sometimes Shen Waner even feels that she is too kind. Even though Gu Yan is so annoying, she is still so patient in explaining the reasons to him. After venting, Shen Waner's mood became extremely beautiful. Looking at the silent Gu Yan, she felt even happier. Ah, I let you play hard to get with me before. Chen Qian on the side opened his mouth and wanted to say something. But looking at Gu Yan, who was silent at the moment, he couldn't figure out for a moment whether Gu Yan was really trying to play hard to get. Also, why do people say that our pharmaceutical companies are going to be doomed? Shen Waner folded her arms across her chest, crossed her legs, and looked at Gu Yan with a proud look in her eyes. Gu Yan, if you still want to continue talking to me, and I advise you to put away your little tricks. Otherwise, are you stupid? Gu Yan spoke slowly and interrupted the other party's fantasy. For a moment, the room fell silent. Shen Waner's expression froze. Her body trembled slightly, and she looked at Gu Yan, who said this in disbelief. What did you say? Gu Yan was almost laughing because of Shen Waner's anger. Looking at the woman in front of him who didn't understand the situation, he couldn't help but clap his hands gently, and said in a mocking tone, I have to say that you are really imaginative. It as a pity that you don't become a writer. Looking at Gu Yan, who suddenly laughed, Shen Waner didn't know how to react for a moment. You, what are you laughing at? Shen Waner didn't know why, but Gu Yan's mocking voice made her feel a little embarrassed. She couldn't help but stand up, pointed her finger at Gu Yan, and shouted, I asked you why you were laughing. Did I say anything wrong? As for Gu Yan, he put down his hand and looked at Shen Waner with indifferent eyes. The latter's body stiffened slightly at the look in the other's eyes. I was laughing at your real trust. What is the reason? As Gu Yan spoke, he stood up and looked down at Shen Waner. Mocking her, Does it give you the illusion that the top rich second-generation man in Zhangye city standing in front of you would fall in love with a stupid woman like you? Can you be more realistic, you idiot who has neither business sense nor emotional intelligence? How do you think you can make me like you? Shen Waner. Stop being immersed in your own world. Guyan said this as Shen Waner's expression gradually became stunned. He said something that shocked Shen Waner. I'll say it clearly. Not only is your current company about to go bankrupt, but your brother also owes me more than 20 million yuan. If he can't pay it back, he will go to jail. Shen Waner's face turned pale. And she subconsciously denied, you are talking nonsense. My company will not go bankrupt. And what about my brother? She took a deep breath and looked at Shentian, whose eyes were a little evasive behind her. Xiaoqian, what did Guyan mean by that? When did you owe him money? Shentian's eyes dodged. He saw that he couldn't hide the truth. So he cried out in a sobbing voice, Sister, just obey young Master Gu. Otherwise, I, your brother, will definitely go to jail. Sis, I don't want to go to jail. Boom. As soon as these words came out, Shen Waner's mind went blank and her body began to tremble. With a trembling voice, he asked, What did you say? Do you really owe that much money? Shen Waner was stunned. She originally thought that Guyan was just talking nonsense. After all, how could it be so exaggerated? However, after Shenyan said it and did not deny it, Shen Waner then realized that Guyan was not joking. Sister, I don't want to go to jail, please beg Master Gu. Shenyan has seen the situation clearly and no longer has any hope of luck. He had heard some rumors about Guyan when he didn't know that Guyan was pursuing his sister. It is said that he was arrogant and domineering when he was in school and didn't take anyone seriously. It was not until he met Shen Waner that he began his mad pursuit of her, which lasted from school until graduation. The other party also changed from an arrogant and domineering young man to a servile dog. That's why this change made Shentian look down on Guyan even more. But when the other party stopped pursuing Shen Waner, Shentian Kai discovered that the other party's current behavior was the normal Guyan in the past. So, if the other party says that he should go to jail, then he must do what he says. You. Shen Waner pointed at Shentian and wanted to say something. The information she learned was so horrifying that she temporarily lost the ability to organize her words. On one side is his younger brother and family, and on the other side is Guyan, whom he hates and finds annoying. Shen Waner was in a struggle. Her self-esteem naturally would not allow her to compromise with Guyan. So she took a deep breath and angrily said to Guyan, My brother owes you money, I will pay you back, is that okay? Hearing this, Guyan knew that the other party was just being stubborn. So he nodded expressionlessly, Send the money to my house within 3 days. After saying that, he walked outside without any intention of staying. When Shen Waner saw that Guyan was really leaving, her eyes suddenly became panicked. I feel like something is missing in my heart. She subconsciously shouted, Wait a minute. Guyan paused when he heard this. He glanced sideways and asked, Why, have you changed your mind? Seeing that Guyan was too lazy to even turn around, Shen Waner pursed her lips unwillingly in a grieved lie. She looked at Guyan with complicated eyes. You really want to do this to me? Guyan was happy when he heard this. What did I do to you? Not to mention the original novel, you caused my family to be broken up. Just now, I won't say that I have other purposes towards you, but it is only natural to ask you to pay back the money. Right? Stupid, instead of feeling wronged, you might as well think about how to raise the money. Guyan waved his hand and left without looking back. Shen Waner just stood there in a daze. He scolded me again. With a thud, Shen Waner's body went limp and she collapsed on the sofa. Her eyes turned to Guyan's departing back. As she watched, the scene of Guyan's concern for her appeared in her mind. The other person ran errands for her and did shopping for her, then loved her so much. No matter how much I wanted to be nice to her, the figure in my mind began to overlap with the back of this cold-hearted person who left without even looking back. Ouch! Shen Waner's eyes were gradually wet with tears. She gritted her teeth and yelled loudly outside, Guyan! You bastard! Ling family! In the study! What? You mean Guyan stayed there with Shen Waner? Ling Qiyu raised her voice slightly, and she felt uncomfortable in her heart. Originally, she was waiting at home, wondering why Guyan hadn't come back yet. Finally, Linger came back, but she said that Guyan was talking to Shen Waner. No, why do we have to discuss things in K-Worker V? What do you do at K-Works? Ling Qiyu suddenly found a loophole in Ling Linger's words, so he faced her expressionlessly. Seeing this, Ling Linger lowered her head guiltily. What she feared most was her sister showing this kind of expression. I originally wanted to conceal it, but I had no choice but to explain the whole process. A few minutes later, Ling Qiyu, who understood what happened, became even colder, and said in a cold voice, Go down and wait for your brother-in-law to come back. Ling Qinyu's words made Ling feel strange. Why didn't my sister scold me? Who cares? Anyway, it's okay. Oh, okay sis. Ling nodded repeatedly, then ran down happily. There was a hint of anticipation on her face. Brother-in-law, when will that bastard Gu come back? I'm so hungry. And after Ling left, Ling Qinyu's expression became increasingly cold, and she clenched her fists tightly. Endless murderous intent surged in my heart. Shen family, Shen family, Shen family, Shen family, Shen family. Shen Qian. And his gang of bastards. You actually dared to hurt my sister. The Ling Qinyu. Ling can be said to be her most precious person. She couldn't bear anyone to hurt her. As for the person who hurt his sister. No, I can't. Ling Qinyu shook her head and pressed her restless chest tightly. No, the Shen family has Shen Waner, the woman Gu Yan once pursued. Killing her brother might bring some trouble to Gu Yan. I don't know how Gu Yan would feel. I can't do that. It was just that Gu Yan rescued Ling and taught Shen Yan a lesson. But now he stays there and chats with Shen Waner. I don't know why. When she thought that Gu Yan was now with the Shen family, she felt uncomfortable in her heart. Ling Qinyu didn't know what this feeling was. But I just feel uncomfortable. She was a little annoyed by this thought and couldn't help but curse in a low voice. It's all Gu Yan's fault, you bad guy. That's right. It was all Gu Yan's fault if he hadn't insisted on staying there and talking to Shen Waner. She wouldn't be so distressed now. What's more, I clearly confirmed our relationship with you in the morning. But you suddenly sneaked into a private room with another woman. Who knows what will happen? Ling Qinyu couldn't help but clench her hands tightly. What if? What if Gu Yan and Shen Waner rekindle their old love? Then No, that's not right. It's not like I'd be sad or anything like that. Just because I think it will disrupt my plans. I am so annoyed. Gu Yan, please come back soon. And just when Ling Qinyu was feeling upset. In a luxury car. TSK, doctor faster. Believe it or not. I will deduct your salary. Gu Yan looked at the timetable and shouted anxiously to the driver who came to pick him up. Yes, sorry, master, this is the fastest. A driver screamed in fear. Then cried out in tears, Master, this car can only go this fast. Gu Yan took a deep breath and leaned back helplessly. Damn it, I missed the best time for meal. Will Qinyu be starving? Oh, no, I must apologize sincerely when I go back. Qinyu, your husband has done a lot of hard work in secret for you. I believe that when we go back, you won't blame me. Right? Chapter 25. Let's stay here tonight. When Gu Yan returned to the Ling family as agreed. The time had already come to 1944. If nothing unexpected happens, and the accident probably won't happen. Ling family. At the dinner table. The atmosphere at this moment is a bit weird. While Ling was eating the simple meal she and her sister had prepared, she was secretly glancing at Gu Yan, who was whispering something to Ling Qinyu. What did Ziyu Gu and Shen Waner say? We actually chatted till this late. No way, it can't be what I thought, right? Linger's eyes widened slightly, and she always felt like her family had been abducted. Ling Qinyu had the same thought as she ate her meal with a sullen face. If Gu Yan didn't give her an explanation, she believed she would be so depressed that she wouldn't be able to sleep tonight. Of course, things were not what the two of them thought. Qinyu, my dear Qinyu, I really didn't do anything with Shen Waner. I stayed there just to end the relationship between me and her. Gu Yan was explaining when he came back and found that Ling Qinyu and Linger had already prepared the food and were waiting for him. He knew he was doomed. And your relationship with her? Ling Qinyu interrupted Gu Yan's speech and then spoke in a sarcastic tone. Well, that's true, but that's not the problem. Upon hearing this, Gu Yan hurriedly grabbed Ling Qinyu's hand. But this was a little difficult to explain after all. What he was going to do was too secretive, and he definitely couldn't let Ling Qinyu and the others know about it. Wouldn't that affect his image in both of their minds? The problem isn't here. I don't think it's about ending the relationship, but about continuing it. Ling Qinyu threw away Gu Yan's dirty hands and turned away with a sneer. For some reason, Ling Qinyu always felt a strange feeling in his heart, but she didn't know what that feeling was, but she knew it was caused by Gu Yan. She didn't like this feeling. Seeing Ling Qinyu turned her head away and didn't want to pay attention to him, Gu Yan suddenly felt something was wrong. Oh no. Could it be that? The one from all the romance novels I read in my previous life? Because the husband went out for social events, his wife at home began to distrust him, which eventually led to a quarrel and divorce between the couple. Although he and Ling Qinyu have not officially married yet, he feels that this is probably the situation. Helplessly, Gu Yan had to talk about some unimportant things first. He hurriedly stood up and moved behind Ling Qiyu with a licking face. Then he stretched out his hand and placed it on the other's shoulder to massage him. Qiyu, it's not like that, let me explain. Let me go. I won't listen. Ling Qiyu felt Gu Yan's movements and shook her shoulders as if she was struggling. But Gu Yan had already started massaging, so Ling Qiyu stopped moving after struggling for a few times, and instead pricked up his ears to listen to Gu Yan's explanation. As for Gu Yan, he said sincerely while massaging, Qiyu, you also know that I chased Shen Waner in order to forget you. During this period, Shen kept asking me to borrow money. I originally thought that I wouldn't have to pay him back. Hear this. Ling Qiyu frowned and interrupted, wait a minute. What do you mean by chasing after Shen Waner in order to forget me? That's what they often say in EV dramas, in order to forget someone. You choose to find someone else. I didn't dare to face you because I felt that I was not worthy of you. Qiyu. That's why I wanted to find Shen Waner. But I now realize that I still can't forget you. Qiyu, I want to be with you, forever. I want to give you massages, sing for you, cook for you, and warm your bed every day. The more Gu Yan spoke, the more nonsense he became. And Ling Qiyu's heart began to beat wildly. Her face turned slightly red. And she quickly interrupted, stop, what are you talking about? Ling Qiyu took a deep breath, but relaxed her body a little. She leaned slightly on the back of the chair to make Gu Yan's massage more comfortable. Then he said, don't talk about anything else, go on. How much money did you borrow from that guy named Shen? Why didn't you let him pay it back? When it comes to Shen, Ling Qiyu doesn't have a very good attitude. After all, the other party almost hurt his sister. Not much, just 20 million. I was thinking about it, but I didn't bother to ask him for it. But he actually dared to bully our Linger. I can't tolerate this. Gu Yan just said this. Clang. Then I heard the sound of a spoon falling to the ground. He turned his head and looked. Ling Linger was stunned when she heard the number 20 million. The spoon in her hand fell to the ground and she didn't react. To point 20 million? Brother-in-law, how could you not come back? Of course I have to have this. This is enough for me to buy so many clothes. Ling Linger hurriedly stood up and shouted, her face becoming extremely anxious. Brother-in-law, go find that bastard and get it back. If you don't want it, you can give it to me. Linger, what are you talking about? Ling Qiyu scolded him. Then pretended to be calm and asked, so you stayed there just to collect the debt? Right? Is the money coming back? Without? Ling Qiyu slowly put a question mark, then looked up at Gu Yan and said expressionlessly. Then what are you doing back here? This. Gu Yan was embarrassed for a moment. Just the next second. Then Ling Qiyu's mouth corners slightly raised. And she smiled softly. I'm just teasing you, it's enough to know that you didn't do anything bad. Seeing this scene, Gu Yan realized that the crisis was over. He sat down next to Ling Qiyu and said softly, Qiyu, how dare I do something bad behind your back? Don't you know what kind of person I am? Hearing this, Ling Qiyu rolled his eyes in his heart and said, the whole Zhang city knows what kind of person young Master Gu is. Oh, are you saying that I'm handsome and upright? Aha, you are so shameless. Alas, what's the use of face? I'm so handsome, but it's a pity that Qiyu can't see it. Otherwise, you would have fallen in love with my handsome face the moment you saw me. Ling Qiyu felt that she had never met such a narcissistic person from before to now. But for some reason, she felt at ease listening to Gu Yan talking. But the reserve in her heart naturally wouldn't let her show it. So he snorted and said, if my eyesight was better, I might want to divorce you the first time I see you. Oh no. At this point, Ling Qiyu added for some reason. Divorce is just right, you can go find Shen Waner again. Gu Yan saw that the topic was returning to the topic again. He explained with tears in his eyes, Qiyu, believe me, I really didn't do anything with Shen Waner. I didn't say anything about you and her. Qiyu, what are you doing? A few minutes later, sister-in-law Ling Linger served Gu Yan a bowl of rice with great dissatisfaction. You bastard, Gu will die if you can eat it. She seemed very unhappy after learning that Gu Yan actually lent Shen 20 million. It feels like feeding your own money to dogs. This little devil. The corner of Gu Yan's mouth twitched. What a dishonest kid. After thinking about it, he looked at the dining table. There were only 2 dishes and 1 soup, and it looked as if they were cooked very poorly. Qiyu, did you and Linger do this? Gu Yan took a bite. Very salty and bitter. Well, since you didn't come back, the 2 of us tried to make some food. I wanted to wait for you to come back and eat together. How does it taste? Ling Qiyu hadn't even started to eat yet. But she was already feeling a little nervous after all. This was her first time cooking after she became blind. As for Ling, she showed an ugly expression after taking a bite. But when she thought that this was made by her sister, she swallowed her tears. Just the next second, she then heard Gu Yan say on the other end, "Too much salt was added and the fire was too high. It's edible, but the taste is average." Ling was shocked and she quickly looked at Ling Qiyu. Sure enough, the other person's expression became a little stiff and awkward. His expression also became a little lost. Ew! Ling was about to speak. But then Gu Yan put down his chopsticks, held Ling Qiyu's hand, and said gently, "But, even though Qiyu can't cook, I still like her. I like everything about you, Qiyu. Your strengths and weaknesses, I like them all. I don't have your smart brain. And you don't have my superb cooking skills. The two of us can complement and help each other. Qiyu. Although I have said this many times, I still want to say it again. I really, really love you." Ding! Ling's spoon fell to the ground again. And she was dumbfounded by the scene. "If you're not the big brother, how can you do this?" Plop, plop. Ling Qiyu was very embarrassed by what Gu Yan said. Her face turned slightly red. "You, don't talk nonsense. Ling is still here. Gu Yan is so hateful what he said. I don't know what to do. But it's not my character to be passive all the time. Call." Ling Qiyu didn't know what she was thinking of. She took a deep breath, then reached out her hand and slowly placed it on Gu Yan's cheek. Gu Yan was stunned, and then a smile appeared on his face. Thinking what Ling Qiyu was going to do. "Qiyu, is this okay? Ling is still here." "It's okay." Ling Qiyu's face turned slightly red. She smiled gently, then picked up the chopsticks and picked up a bite of food. Then, as Gu Yan's expression gradually stiffened, he found Gu Yan's mouth by the position of Gu Yan's face. "Aman, since you love me so much, then you can't waste these dishes today. Although it's salty and bitter and pretty average. I hope you'll bear with me." Well, Ling Qiyu was very vengeful. Gu Yan felt it. After dinner, Gu Yan Sheng lay helplessly on the sofa, looking up at the starry sky. "Should I go for a blood test to make sure my indicators are not above the standard?" "Aha, weakling, you can't handle this little setback?" On the side, Ling finished taking a shower, put on her bunny pajamas, and jumped onto the sofa with her bare feet. She put her hand to her mouth, then looked at Gu Yan with a mocking expression. The latter glanced at the other party, then looked away helplessly. "There is a little kid named C at home these days. Hey, what's with that expression on your face? It's very rude." Although Ling didn't know what Gu Yan was thinking, she knew in her heart that it was definitely not a good thing. "I think Ling, you still have a very cute expression when you don't speak," Gu Yan answered casually. When Ling heard this, she was stunned for a moment. Her face turned slightly red, and the rabbit tears on her hat slowly drooped. Ko. Cute? Are you talking about me?" As for Gu Yan, he looked behind him. Ling Qiyu went to take a shower, although I also wanted to follow him in, but he was rejected coldly by the other party. Ling Qiyu was so shy, even though they are an engaged couple. Next second, Ling Qiyu came out wearing a bathrobe and wiping his hair with a towel. The other person who just came out of the bath is like a lotus emerging from the water, even more beautiful and charming. Ling Qiyu seemed to know that Gu Yan hadn't returned yet, so he walked to the living room skillfully and said, "Why aren't you going back yet?" As if she was very sure of Gu Yan's direction, Ling Qiyu said it very naturally. After hearing Ling Qiyu's words, Gu Yan reacted immediately. According to the time, he should indeed go back. But for some reason, he just couldn't bear to leave. "Oh, then I will leave first. But if the other party doesn't want to stay, I naturally can't just stay here and not leave. Otherwise, what should I do if I lose favorability?" "No." Ling Qiyu nodded and said lightly. Gu Yan stretched out his hand and wanted to say something, but finally put it down. "Forget it. Once the favorability level goes up, everything will be available to you." So he stopped hesitating, picked up his coat and walked outside. He walked to Ling Qiyu's side. "Qiyu, I'm really leaving then." After waiting for a few moments and seeing that the other party didn't speak, Gu Yan raised his foot in disappointment and prepared to leave. Only, before he even reached the door, Ling Qiyu's voice came again. "It's so late, how are you going back? The time is already 22:30 in the evening." In fact, driver Gu Yan's car had already been parked outside the house. However, when Gu Yan heard Ling Qiyu's words, he understood what she meant. He smiled immediately and pretended to be pitiful and said, "There's no one at home. My parents are traveling. My subordinates are not happy that I won't come to pick me up. Lao Gao is away today because of something. Let me see if I can get a cab back." Gu Yan sighed and continued walking. Ling Qiyu frowned when she heard Gu Yan's words. For some reason, a surge of anger welled up in my heart. It has been heard that there are many conflicts within the Gu family, and many people are very dissatisfied with Gu Yan as the future heir to the Gu family group. But unexpectedly, no one of them listened to Gu Yan's words. It seems it is necessary to let Qi help Gu Yan in secret. Thinking about it, Ling Qiyu said, "Wait, if that's the case, you can sleep here tonight." As soon as these words came out, Ling Linger, who was sitting on the sofa, was stunned. She looked at Ling Qiyu in disbelief. Gu Yan's body paused. His face lit up with joy, and he blurted out, "Really? Can I sleep with you, Qiyu?" After these words were spoken, the whole audience was silent for a while. A long time. Ling Qiyu cursed angrily, then walked upstairs without looking back. What Gu Yan didn't see was that the other person's face was flushed with shame and anger. Just sleep in this room." Ling Linger held a stack of quilts and pushed open a door with a dissatisfied look on her face. "This room? Yes, it's my parents' room. What? Are you very dissatisfied?" Ling Linger snorted coldly, put the quilt on the big bed, and looked at Gu Yan vigilantly. "You bastard Gu, don't sneak into my and my sister's room at night. Otherwise I will call the police to arrest you." Gu Yan had just finished looking around the tidy room when he heard the kid's stupid words. He waved his hands and said disapprovingly, "It's normal for me to sneak into Qiyu's room. But what's so special about you that's worthy of my sneaking in? Just because of your weird bunny pajamas? You bastard." When Ling Linger heard this, her face turned red with anger. She cursed angrily and walked out of the room angrily. Click. She closed the door. "This brat." Gu Yan shook his head with a smile. If the other person didn't eat any small fry, maybe he would be very cute. And just at this moment, buzz. Gu Yan's phone vibrated slightly. He was stunned. He should have told his parents that he might not go back tonight. And I picked it up and took a look. I saw that it was a document sent by Lao Gao. The file name is Shaolin. Gu Yan's expression changed, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but rise. There was also a hint of inexplicable meaning in his eyes. "Oh, now that the protagonist is here, it's time to start the plan." The study room on the other side. Mei Zhu, a tall, blindfolded woman, was kneeling on one knee, with a round object wrapped in a red cloth bag at her feet. "Master, I learned from him that a mysterious existence issued a mission to massacre the Ling family. There are countless forces involved, and death is just one of them. As for who the mysterious being is, this person doesn't know. And he doesn't know why he does that. But, I also got the name of the power from him." As she spoke, Mei Zhu took out a scroll from her arms, on which were recorded the names of the forces that had participated that year. Ling Qiyu took the specially made Braille scroll and opened it to read it with a cold expression. She looked quickly, as if she was searching for something. 10 minutes later, when she flipped through the special Braille scroll again, she did not find the word on it. Ling Qiyu finally let go of her worries. She took a deep breath and put away the scroll. Then he spoke calmly. "Is there any force on the list in Zhanghe City?" Mei Zhu immediately lowered her head and replied. "It is understood that the former base camp of the Dragon King Palace was Zhanghe City, and their young master Shaolin has arrived in Zhanghe today." When Ling Qiyu heard this, a hint of murderous intent appeared in her eyes. "The young master of Dragon King Palace Shaolin. Well, now that you're here, don't even think about getting out alive." When Ling Qiyu thought of this, she was silent for a while. After a long while, he said, "Check who in the Gu family wants to harm the young master of the Gu family. Eliminate it secretly." Mei Zhu was slightly stunned when she heard this, but he quickly reacted and responded, "Okay, master." As soon as the words fell, Mei Zhu's figure quickly disappeared in silence. Chapter 26, Shaolin, the urban protagonist. Weakening the opponent is equal to strengthening our side. Inside the house, Gu Yan opened the file and looked up the information about Shaolin. The first line reads, "There are 33 people named Shaolin in the city. And only one person named Shaolin came to Zhanghe City in the past week. Shaolin 32 expand. Shaolin 1 expand." Gu Yan took a quick look at the other 32 Shaolins, and found that none of them met the requirements of the male protagonist of the original novel. Then, he clicked on the single Shaolin. What comes into view is a portrait picture. The picture shows a young man, whose appearance can only be described as average. But his eyes revealed a look of determination and passion. The following is the other party's information. Shaolin. Male, 24 years old, arrived in Zhanghe City by boat at 18:10 today. This person was born in Zhanghe Hospital. His parents died when he was 5 years old, and he has lived in an orphanage ever since. Until the age of 14, Shaolin disappeared from the orphanage and all information was lost. That's all the information. However, a smile appeared on Gu Yan's lips. He closed the file, with a hint of inexplicable meaning in his eyes. The less information there is, the more it shows that there is something wrong with this person. If he was not sure before whether this person was Shaolin, he could be sure now. In the original novel, Shaolin was captured by the master of Dragon King Palace when he was 14 years old and taken to Dragon King Mountain to practice. So this person must be Shaolin. Thinking of this, Guyan sent a message to Lao Gao, "Help me keep an eye on Shaolin who just arrived today. Tell me where he is now." A few minutes later, "Buzz." Lao Gao called. Guyan answered the call. The next second, the other party's voice came. "Master, this Shaolin just arrived in Jiangye city today and rescued a woman who was harassed by gangsters. This woman heard that Shaolin had just arrived and had not found a place to live. So she lent her attic to Shaolin to live in. The address is 7600 to Unraveling community." When Guyan heard this, he suddenly understood. In the original novel, when Shaolin first appeared, he saved the second female character in the original novel. The other party wanted to repay the protagonist after being rescued. So she let Shaolin live in her house. If Guyan remembered correctly, the next day, Shaolin was going out to look for a job, and happened to see the security recruitment notice of Shen Waner's company. Then, the gears of fate began to turn. Of course, Guyan was also somewhat surprised at Lao Gao's efficiency. "You are not personally monitoring that Shaolin, are you?" The other end. Lao Gao stood on a tree, holding a telescope in his hand and looking towards the Yulin community. He answered the phone with his right hand. "Yes, master. I have people keeping an eye on the other 32 Shaolins. There is only Shaolin, whose information has been missing for more than 10 years. I think there is something fishy about him. He might be the one you are looking for. So I have been following him since he came here." Hearing this, Guyan replied, "The rest of the people are not needed. You just need to keep an eye on Shaolin now. Besides," at this point, Guyan's tone was somewhat serious. "Old Gao, you must remember. If you are discovered, you must run as fast as you can." Lao Gao could hear the solemnity in Guyan's voice. Although he didn't think that the young man he was monitoring could pose any threat to him. But since the young master reminded him, he would naturally keep it in mind. "Okay, young master." Click. Phone turned off. Guyan put away his phone and lay down on the bed, his mind starting to think. In the original novel, the rescued female landlord was also one of the protagonist Shaolin's harem because of her heroic rescue. So I had a good impression of Shaolin from the beginning. But to say that the two of them completely opened their hearts to each other and were together, we have to talk about a key plot that followed. Guyan's expression became a little subtle. In addition to Shen Waner, Shaolin also has many female concubines. But the one he loves the most is Shen Waner. However, the strength of this group of female concubines in the later period is also very powerful. It can be said that if it were not for this group of people, and in the original work, Ling Qiyu would definitely not have died together with Shaolin because of exhaustion. Think of this. Guyan's eyes flashed with a slight cold light, and he stretched out his hand towards the void and slowly clenched it. The heroines provided a lot of help to Shaolin, and there were many life and death moments. And it was the heroines who resolved the crises for Shaolin. So preventing these female protagonists from having anything to do with Shaolin is actually a way to weaken the opponent's combat power. Not to mention that he also has a hidden chess move by Shen Waner. With each layer of means being used, Guyan didn't believe that he wouldn't survive to the end. "Okay, go to sleep." Yulin community. A man with thick eyebrows, a hot-blooded face and wearing ragged clothes was lying on a mattress in the attic. He crossed his legs and rested his head on his hands. Looking around curiously, he grinned. "Hey, beautiful sister is so nice to me. She even found a place for me to live. Master is right. The women in the city are just the best. Oh, by the way, I think I have a marriage contract. It seems to be the eldest daughter of the Bei family. No, I already have a beautiful sister." Just as he said this, a pleasant voice came from downstairs. "Shaolin, are you cold? Do you want another quilt?" Hearing this, Shaolin showed a face like a pig brother. He shouted, "It's okay, I'm just fine, beautiful sister. Go to sleep." "Okay, you should go to bed early too." After seeing no movement downstairs, Shaolin wiped the tip of his nose with his hand, then laughed cheerfully. "Living together with a beautiful sister is just like a dream. For the past 10 years, I have been living on that broken mountain, and all I have seen every day are those old men and women with ugly faces. Today, I can finally enjoy my life. But I can't keep bothering my beautiful sister. I'll go out and find a job tomorrow." After saying this, Shaolin also closed his eyes happily. Downstairs, a woman in pajamas is sitting at a table. The yellow light from the table lamp in the corner of the bedroom reflected on the woman's sad face. She held one hospital bill after another in her hands. She was 26 years old, her eyes revealed fatigue and helplessness, and her long hair hung loosely on her shoulders. Under the light, her silhouette looked particularly tired. The room was filled with a quiet atmosphere. with only the sound of flipping bills and the woman's thoughtful sigh. Some medical reports, drug instructions, and some folded papers were scattered on the table. Mother. Wang Yilan's brows were furrowed, and her eyes revealed anxiety and uneasiness. She closed her eyes, leaned on the table, and tears gradually appeared in the corners of her eyes. She was too tired. Her father died young, and her mother was seriously injured in a car accident half a year ago and was in the hospital. The daily medical expenses had almost crushed her. Every day I just do the work of making money and paying back debts. And it seems like almost nothing good happens. Oh, no. There is one today. Wang Yilan raised her head, a hint of tenderness in her eyes. Today she had just returned home from visiting her mother in the hospital when she was harassed by some gangsters. Just when she was scared, Shaolin rescued her. The other party's straightforwarders made her feel some favor towards him. So when she heard that he had just arrived and had no place to live, she offered to help him. Only, even if something good happened in her life, it still couldn't solve her current problem. That is, a big bill from the hospital. If you still can't afford it. Well, her mother. Mother, Wang Yilan murmured to herself. And before she knew it, she closed her eyes again, lying on the table and slowly fell asleep. Chapter 27, Embarrassed Link, Inqiu. Midnight. Rustle, rustle, rustle. Guyan was awakened by some slight rubbing sounds. He opened his eyes blearily. What's that noise? Guyan stood up from the bed with a headache. The sound is like turning pages of a book. Oh, wait a minute? When Guyan thought of this, he lost all sleepiness and his eyes widened slightly. No way? Could it be our Inqiu? Guyan opened his phone and took a look. 210 am. No way, you are not asleep yet so late? Guyan thought about this. Tiptoed to open the door, and sure enough, the first thing he saw when he opened the door was a faint light coming from the crack under the study door in front of him. Why? Guyan sighed lightly. Inqiu was really working too hard. Even though I know that the other party doesn't want to stop for a moment because he wants revenge. But if I continue like this, my body will definitely collapse first. Moreover, Guyan said that he would also help Ling Inqiu find the truth about what happened back then. Even though it's not mentioned in the original book at all. Thinking of this, in order to prevent his good wife from getting exhausted first, Guyan quietly walked downstairs. 10 minutes later. In the study. On Ling Inqiu's desk stood a book emitting black smoke. She opened her eyes, revealing a pair of pupils engraved with special runes. Ling Inqiu seemed to be able to see the contents of the book. She flipped the pages of the book with her fingers, and bursts of black smoke floated from the book into Ling Inqiu's eyes. Buzz, buzz. Just then, the book flickered slightly. Ling Inqiu's expression changed. She closed her eyes, and quickly put a normal book on the table. Crash! The books disappeared in an instant. Immediately following. Click. The door to the study was slightly opened. Guyan pushed the door open and walked in. Inqiu, why aren't you asleep yet? His helpless voice rang into Ling Inqiu's ears. Hearing the voice, Ling Inqiu's heart slowly relaxed. She said in a light tone, because I don't want to sleep. Nonsense, I can tell you're tired. Look at the dark circles around your eyes. They look like they were smoked. Guyan placed the things he had prepared on the table. And he looked at Ling Inqiu with heartache, who had dark circles under his eyes. Hearing this, Ling Inqiu was silent for a while. She couldn't say that she was practicing some evil secret technique just now, right? But even if I told him, I'm afraid Guyan wouldn't believe it. After all, he is just an ordinary person and doesn't know much about the world of warriors. So, you didn't sleep either. And what did you do? Ling Inqiu seemed to smell a hint of sweetness and asked curiously. Guyan casually moved the chair and sat next to Ling Inqiu. Then he picked up the bowl on the table, scooped a spoonful with a spoon, and said with a smile, I made brown sugar ginger water. The weather has been cooling down a lot recently. And it's early morning, when the yin energy is strong. It would be bad if you catch a cold, Inqiu. Come. I'll give you some. Hearing this, Ling Inqiu felt a little amused. Ever since she started practicing this strange secret book, her body is no longer afraid of the cold. In other words, Ling Inqiu's body temperature had already become different from that of normal people due to his practice of this secret book. Thinking of this, Ling Inqiu shook his head inferently. No, I'm not cold. Upon hearing this, Guyan put down the spoon and held Ling Inqiu's hand. Feeling the coldness of her palm, he felt even more distressed. What nonsense are you talking about? Your hands are so cold. And you still say you're not cold? As he said that, Guyan quickly took off his coat and put it on Ling Inqiu. Ling Inqiu pretended to resist, but the corners of his mouth rose slightly. She felt a warmth in her heart. I didn't expect that Guyan would specially cook a bowl of brown sugar ginger water for me. It was clearly the middle of the night and he must be very sleepy too. When she thought of this, Ling Qiyu felt an unknown feeling in her heart. She said, "Go to bed soon. I said I'm not cold anymore." "No, no, I have to sit here and feed you until you drink before I leave. It's not good for a girl to catch a cold. You didn't eat much for dinner." Guyan shook his head, then sat down, scooped a spoonful of brown sugar water and handed it to Ling Qiyu's mouth. If Ling Qiyu had eyes, she would definitely roll her eyes. She snorted, "If I don't think it tastes good, just take it and go back to sleep." When Guyan heard this, he was delighted and slowly fed it to Ling Qiyu. "Okay, sure?" Seeing Ling Qiyu frowning as if tasting something, Guyan asked expectantly, "Is it delicious?" I put too much sugar and turned up the heat. It's just so-so." Ling Qiyu said expressionlessly. "How is it possible? My cooking skills are god level. Your love partner feels happy and delicious. Points 1. Guyan was slightly stunned. Oh, he understood. Love is playing this trick on me again. Isn't it? Okay. Guyan looked at Ling Qiyu, then looked at the spoon in his hand. Then he thought of a good way to play it. As for Ling Qiyu, when she heard that Guyan had stopped talking, she knew that he was dumbfounded. She couldn't help but chuckle in her heart. "Who told you that my cooking skills are bad? Okay, it's about time I told him I was just joking." As a result, Ling Qiyu just opened his mouth. "Goo. Huh? How could that be? Let me use this spoon to taste the saltness." Guyan shouted exaggerated. Now it was Ling Qiyu's turn to be stunned. "Wait, what did he say? Taste it with a spoon? Wait. Ling Qiyu quickly stood up and stretched out his hand to stop Guyan. Her face turned red instantly. That spoon, she had just used it. As a result, she didn't see anyone in front of her. Instead, the sound came from behind, and it was the sound of drinking soup. Slurp, slurp. It tastes sweet and smooth, with a hint of a known sweetness on the spoon. It is perfect with my brown sugar water. Ling Qiyu. Tell me, how can you think such delicious brown sugar water doesn't taste good? Guyan put down the spoon, finished savoring the food, and looked at Ling Qiyu, who had turned around with a dazed expression. You really used the spoon I drank from?" Ling Qiyu's expression looked a little strange, and he asked in a tone as if he was suppressing something. Hearing this, Guyan looked at the spoon that he had just sucked all over, and smiled at Ling Qiyu and said, "Yeah, and you licked it very clean. Thank you for the treat." Ling Qiyu's heart was shaken and she felt extremely embarrassed. She had never expected that there would be such a perverted person in the world. You. Ling Qiyu took a deep breath, picked up the crutch beside her, and waved it at Guyan with an embarrassed look on her face. "You drew leading perverted sex maniac. Die pervert. Die. Ling Qiyu never dreamed that he would encounter such a thing. This completely destroyed the calm state of mind that she had cultivated for many years. Guyan was dumbfounded. Wait, Qiyu, are you serious? Bang. Nonsense, I have nothing to say to a perverted sex maniac like you. Die. Murdering her husband. You, what dear husband? Stop yelling, stop disturbing Linger." At this time, the other side of the room, Linger, wearing pajamas, looked at the ceiling with dark circles under her eyes. She felt like crying but had no tears after listening to her sister's words. "No, I was woken up a long time ago. Do you guys always have such exciting fun late at night?" Chapter 28. Please, don't find out? Early the next morning, Ling Qiyu ate breakfast in small bites with a sullen face. She said she didn't want to pay any attention to Guyan, the big pervert. Guyan also lowered his head in embarrassment. "Qiyu, don't be angry. I was too confused last night, so I did that." It would have been fine if she hadn't said anything. As soon as she said it, Ling Qiyu got angry again. She looked up at Guyan and sneered, "Haha, Qiyu. Shut up, I don't want to talk to you now." Oh, Linger was eating breakfast, her eyes moving left and right between Guyan and Ling Qiyu. She felt a little cold sweat on her back. Wait, what on earth did these two people do last night? No way, could it be that something like the plot in the romance novel she read really happened? No, if something like that really happened between my sister and Guyan, what status would she still have in this family? No, you're such a pervert. Linger shouted at Guyan, who looked confused, with a blushing face. And he picked up the dishes and ran to the kitchen. What is this kid talking about? Hey, speak clearly. Little brat. Guyan stood up quickly. This was not something that could be said. Because, well, what did you do to Linger? Sure enough, Ling Qiyu's cold words pierced Guyan's ears. His face froze. And he laughed. Well, do you believe me when I say you know nothing? Aha, considering what you did last night, I really don't know whether I should believe you or not. Ling Qiyu naturally knew in her heart that Guyan would not do anything to Linger. But she just wanted to play a trick on Guyan. Humph. It was the other party who kept teasing her. Please really believe me. Guyan sighed helplessly. Suddenly, he seemed to have seen something. And after a light exclamation, he moved closer to Ling Qiyu. Feeling the familiar smell coming towards her, Ling Qiyu's heart was in turmoil. She asked coldly, "What do you want to do?" Although his face was cold, a hint of panic was still revealed in his tone. However, Guyan, who had discovered the miraculous thing, did not notice it, but asked curiously, "King Qiyu, are you using any skincare products recently?" "Skincare products? I never use those things." Ling Qiyu thought Guyan was going to ask something. "This is how things are." "Oh, that's weird. You had really dark circles under your eyes last night. But how come they're gone this morning? Also, your skin condition has improved recently. It feels better than when I first met you." Guyan was somewhat puzzled by his discovery. No way could a beauty become more beautiful day by day? What kind of physical condition is this? Can dark circles disappear automatically overnight? When Ling Qiyu heard Guyan's words, he cried